Chapter 231. Quickly deal with it, your sister-in-law has already bought the food and is waiting for you guys to eat. After finished speaking, Wei Chang disappeared. The green and red brothers let out a breath and looked at the three people. Big brother, how about we cut another artery, that way it might be faster. Good idea. Right now, the three people couldn't even scold out even if they wanted to, they are simply inhumane. To actually abuse you guys like this, I curse you guys to die a horrible death. 10 minutes later, the green and red brothers returned to the rented house. Looking at the two people who appeared, Tang Wei said with a slight smile, "You guys are not used to it, right? I was the same at the start as well, I just got used to killing and killing. Now that I think about it, I still feel a bit excited." The green and red brothers took a look at each other, and an evil smile appeared on the corner of their mouth. Thinking back to the scene just now, it was indeed very violent and exciting. "Alright, don't just stand there, come over and eat." "Thank you, sister-in-law." "Thank you, sister-in-law." Wei Chang walked out from the bedroom and asked curiously, "Where did you guys throw the corpses to? Isn't it very conspicuous?" "Little brother, you tell them." Big brother Green poked his little brother. Little brother Red was a bit embarrassed as he said hesitantly, "We left the corpses at the funeral parlor." Wei Chang, Tang Wei. Immediately Wei Chang's angry scolding could be heard. The green and red brothers didn't even eat and immediately went to deal with the corpses. After the two left, Tang Wei smiled and said, "They are still newbies, Uncle Wei, don't be angry. I am afraid that his honor will blame us." Wei Chang laughed bitterly. Tang Wei laughed lightly then said faintly, "Uncle Wei, our money is almost gone, we still have to feed them." "Xiao Tang, you can be at ease, Uncle Wei won't let you suffer." "Uncle Wei, I am not afraid of suffering, I am just afraid that you won't be able to keep up with your nutrition, and your illness won't be cured." Wei Chang was puzzled then asked, "Xiao Tang, just what illness do I have?" "Uncle Wei, it's fine as long as you know, there is no need to ask." "How would I know?" Alright, you aren't sick, right? Quickly come over and eat." Wei Chang was very helpless. "As for the problem of money, I can only look for Death Mage. I hope that my little brother can have some money to deal with this emergency." Death Mage expressed that he would immediately deliver the money to Yi Hua. "I forgot to bribe the betrothal gifts that I had snatched last time." Right now Yi Hua was also distressed about money. "Qingya is too ruthless, she isn't even giving me a single cent. Of course I won't ask her for money. I can only look for my subordinates to get me some money to deal with this emergency. However, I have to express it in a more subtle way, I can't let them see that my money is being controlled. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have given that 50 billion to Qingya." Irritated, depressed. "Your Honor." At this time, Wei Chang suddenly sent a voice transmission. Yi Hua stood on the balcony of his office and smoked while looking at the hot pot restaurant that was not far away from him. What happened? Death Mage has something to offer to his honor. Yi Hua's eyes shone. Bring him to Leisure Bar's storage room. Yes. Yi Hua went downstairs and arrived at the storage room on the first floor. Wei Chang could be seen bringing along Death Mage and Sun Fang. The three kneeled down respectfully and shouted out at the same time, "Subordinate pays respect to your honor." Yi Hua swept his gaze across everyone and shouted out with a deep voice, "All of you get up." "Thank you, your honor." Looking at the mahogany chest at the side, Yi Hua asked faintly, "What's inside?" Death Mage hurriedly said, "Your honor, these are all small things that subordinate made, I hope that your honor will accept them." Yi Hua slowly walked over and opened up the mahogany chest. A golden light immediately lit up the entire room. When Yi Hua opened up the chest, he saw that the chest was filled with jewelry and a white fan. "Your honor, this is an ancient godly item, godleaf fan." Sun Fang added. Yi Hua casually threw the fan into the chest and said faintly, "I don't need these things." Death Mage and Sun Fang's heart sunk. "But, seeing that you two have put in so much effort, I will reluctantly accept them." Death Mage and Sun Fang became joyous and hurriedly kowtowed to Yi Hua. Yi Hua let out a breath. "Luckily they didn't see that I am bankrupt. This is simply timely rain. This little skeleton is not bad. I didn't waste the marriage that I gave him." "What movements did Ying family make recently?" Yi Hua asked. Death Mage didn't reply. After all, his honor wanted Sun Fang to monitor Ying family's every movement. Replying to your honor, Ying family sent someone over to Voidless Realm to negotiate. Sun Fang was a lot more obedient in front of Yi Hua. She didn't dare to be careless in the slightest. "What is Voidless Realm?" Sun Fang replied, "Voidless Realm is one of the big powers in the north." "Oh, is that so? Let them negotiate then, it would be best if the negotiation fails." Yi Hua said faintly. The more ruthless they fight, the happier I will be. Wei Chang, how did the Green and Red brothers perform today? Wei Chang replied respectfully, the Green and Red brothers' performance was out of my expectations. Their killing methods were incomparably ruthless, and their methods were extremely frightening. That's good, I like this kind of people. After those 3 people died, is there any reaction from the south? The 3 people didn't speak, seemingly they didn't keep up with the intelligence. Yi Hua immediately wrinkled his brows. The 3 people immediately knelt onto the ground. Subordinates have failed in their duties. Intelligence must keep up with the tempo. I don't want to be the last one to know. Yi Hua said coldly. In the past, I didn't know the importance of intelligence, but now, I know. Yes. The 3 people shouted out in unison. After scolding their subordinates, they still had to ask about their subordinates' private matters to show their concern. Sun Fong. Yi Hua called out. Subordinate is here. Yi Hua asked faintly, how are you getting along with my little skeleton? Sun Fong's beautiful face immediately became bright red. Subordinate? Seems like this little skeleton didn't manage to do it. Wei Chang, kill it? Yi Hua shouted out coldly. Wei Chang nodded his head. Yes. Death Mage was stupefied. Not only was Death Mage stupefied, Sun Fong was also stupefied. Your Honor. Sun Fong immediately knelt onto the ground and shouted out hurriedly. Yi Hua said gravely, Sun Fong, since you have joined my team, you should be clear of my rules. My team doesn't need useless people, and towards useless people, I will only kill them. Death Mage and Sun Fong never expected that things would turn out like this. Originally they were here to send gifts, but they didn't expect that they would send a disaster instead. Little skeleton didn't manage to meet my requirements, and thus he naturally won't be able to escape death. Wei Chang, he is your subordinate, you go ahead and kill him. Yi Hua said faintly, not showing any signs of letting go. Towards Yi Hua's orders, Wei Chang would only obey and not go against it. Looking at Death Mage, Wei Chang said faintly, do you two have anything else to say? Your Honor. He didn't do anything wrong. Sun Fong hurriedly begged, completely unaware of how much she wanted Death Mage to die back then. Towards Sun Fong's begging, Yi Hua didn't pay attention to it. Death Mage put down his weapon and untied his black cloak, revealing his skeletal body. Lightly placing his hand onto Sun Fong's shoulder, Yi Hua told her not to anger his honor, if not, 2 of them would die. Chapter 232. Quickly kneel down and beg his honor, what are you standing there foolishly for? Looking at Death Mage, Sun Fong shouted out while choking with sobs. Death Mage took out his phone and typed a few words. Sun Fong, your wish is about to come true. Looking at these words, Sun Fong's tears finally fell. That's right, my wish is going to be realized, but why don't I want to realize it anymore? Without this adorable skeleton, who am I going to bully in the future? Who am I going to play games with in the future? For the sake of topping up money, I won't be able to see the scene of the skeleton emitting smoke anymore. Sun Fong let out a sigh, then kneeled in front of Yi Hua and said, Your Honor, subordinates wishes to kill Death Mage, then kill myself afterward. Thank you, Your Honor, for helping Sun Fong take revenge, but please, Your Honor, after you take care of Death Mage, you can also take care of Sun Fong. Death Mage didn't even have time to type, and he let out a GGG sound, royal translation. You're such an idiot. You actually want to die. Yi Hua looked at Sun Fong, who was kneeling on the ground, and he seemed to be deep in thought. In actuality, I can spare its life, but are you willing to die in its place? Yi Hua asked. Sun Fong turned her head around and took a look at Death Mage, then said gravely, Sun Fong didn't want to live any longer. To be able to die in the hands of someone as powerful as Your Honor, Sun Fong feels that it is worth it. Fuck, his underling's underling used a skeleton body to pick up such a beautiful woman, and this woman actually dared to die for it. I, the Supreme Overlord, am so handsome, and yet those 2 women still want to die with me. If I were to reveal my true body, wouldn't I have no choice but to go and commit suicide? We are both skeletons, but why are you so outstanding? That's good. This sovereign will fulfill your wish. Yi Hua slowly raised his hand, and a lump of golden flames emerged from his hand. Death Mage could be seen not caring about anything else as he immediately rushed forward and used his bones to protect Sun Fong. Your Honor, forgive subordinate for being rude. If Your Honor wants to kill someone, then go ahead and kill subordinate. Looking at Death Mage and Sun Fong, Yi Hua suddenly thought of an idea. I have never met with any difficulties before. If there comes a day when I am unable to hold on and am about to die, would they be like this? Yi Hua expressed his curiosity. After keeping the flames, Yi Hua said faintly, Alright, I was just joking, look at how nervous the two of you are. A joke? You don't look like you're joking. Death Mage and Sun Fang were both stupefied, and Sun Fang's face turned red as she hurriedly pushed Death Mage away. Your Honor. Sun Fang's face was about to drip blood. His honor is so powerful, but I didn't expect that he would actually be so mischievous, to actually allow me and a skeleton to poke a hole in a piece of paper. Yi Hua said with a slight smile, Sun Fang, if you like him then you like him. There is nothing wrong with that. Although he is of a different race it doesn't matter. Your Honor? Sun Fang felt that she was going to dig a hole in the ground. Death Mage was overjoyed. This woman even said that she doesn't like me and she is even willing to die for me. I am so touched, as expected of the ugly woman that I like. Yi Hua put away his smile and said calmly, Sun Fang, if you want to give birth to a child I will bestow a body to it. I, the Supreme Overlord, can help you with this matter. Your Honor, I don't want to have a child with it. Sun Fang said shyly. Today His Honor actually managed to see through my inner thoughts. When I return I will definitely be laughed at by the skeletons. Alright, I agree to your request. Actually, not having children is also good. Death Mage and Sun Fang were both stupefied. His Honor isn't taking the normal path. What he expressed just now was shyness. Who would talk about giving birth to a child at this time? Yi Hua waved his hand. The two of you can leave for now. From today onwards, you have to pay attention to the intelligence gathering. Yes. Yes. Death Mage brought Sun Fang and left. Seems like after returning to Ying family, the two of them are going to bicker with each other again. Wei Chang revealed out a respectful smile. Your Honor truly sympathizes with subordinate, personally helping subordinate pull the strings of marriage, and even helping to break the gap between them. Subordinate is truly convinced by Your Honor. Sun Fang is a good woman and similarly she is also a good subordinate. Put her in an important position in the future. Subordinate understands. Alright, you can go back and accompany your Xiaotang, I still have things to do. Yes. After Wei Chang left, Yi Hua opened up the mahogany box again and muttered, Qinya, you didn't expect this, right? I have a lot of money. But how am I supposed to exchange the gold for money? Sell it for money? So troublesome. If I had known that this would happen, I would have asked them to exchange the gold for money. Forget it, everyone would know that I don't have any money. Yi Hua opened the door and walked out. Upon seeing that Donghuang Baiji was currently lying on the bar counter and sleeping, Yi Hua sighed. Even Sun Fang is willing to die for Death Mage and yet, my own woman wishes for me to die. This is the difference between us, motherfucker. If I had known that this would happen, I wouldn't have done what I did just now. I might as well order all of them to break up with each other. Before I settle the matter, I am not allowed to reconcile with each other. When Yi Hua arrived at the bedroom, he saw that the two beauties on the bed were actually not sleeping and were chatting with each other. When Qingye saw Yi Hua, the smile on her face immediately changed. When Dong Huangli saw Yi Hua, she shouted out with a smile, Daddy. Yi Hua carried his daughter who was lying on the bed and said with a smile, What are Ali and Aunt Qing talking about? Daddy, Ali and Aunt Qing are making a pinky promise. You can't tell others about it. If not, Ali will become a person who goes back on her words. Mommy often tells Ali that one must be honest and not lie to others. Hearing what Ali said, Donghuang Baiji was definitely talking about me. Qingye, who was lying on the bed, snorted. Ali is a big liar. Pinching onto his daughter's little nose, Yi Hua said faintly, Daddy, can you teach Ali a powerful technique? Papa, really? Of course it's true, why would Daddy lie to little Ali? That's great, Ali wants to learn it. After the father and daughter left, Qingye got off the bed and decided to go and have a chat with Donghuang Baiji. Yi Hua brought his daughter to his office and sat on the boss's chair. Donghuang Li stood on her father's lap with a face full of expectation. Yi Hua stretched out his index finger. Puff. A purple flame appeared on the tip of his finger, and it looked very beautiful. Donghuang Li was attracted by the flame in Yi Hua's eyes. Daddy, this purple flame is so beautiful, so beautiful. Ali, this is Sky Ghost Fire, one of the most powerful flames in history. It is capable of burning souls. Do you want to learn it? Yi Hua said with a smile. Ali wants to learn it, but Ali is afraid that I won't be able to learn it and will disappoint Daddy. Donghuang Li's little mouth crooked. Silly child, there is no need to be afraid of failure. Giving up on failure is what is scary. Yi Hua taught Ali attentively. I haven't been by Ali's side for more than 2 years, and I didn't expect that Ali's mentality would be so bad. How is that Donghuang Baiji a mother? Donghuang Li pondered, then said seriously, Daddy, Ali understands, Ali will bravely try it. Daddy's good daughter, Ali try it. As Yi Hua's bloodline, Dong Huangli inherited all of Yi Hua's innate skills, just that she had yet to awaken them. Just like a character in a game, the character would have all of the skills, but the character would only be level 1, and would have to slowly unlock the skills. Dong Huangli imitated her father, stretched out her little index finger and looked at it earnestly. After a long while, not even a single spark appeared on the index finger. Ali became anxious, but she didn't want to disappoint her father. Thus, stubbornness could be seen on her little face. Chapter 233. He seemed to see his own shadow in Ali. Ali, don't be anxious. You have to be calm. More haste, less speed. Yi Hua guided attentively. After hearing those words, Dong Huangli gradually relaxed. Buzz buzz buzz. Purple sparks could be seen coming out from Dong Huangli's finger. Dong Huangli was exulted, and even Yi Hua was stupefied. A small ball of sky ghost fire appeared on Ali's fingertip. Papa, Ali succeeded. Right now Yi Hua was in a stupefied state. It took me an hour to condense out my bloodline, but Ali actually condensed out my bloodline in less than 20 minutes. As expected of my bloodline, this kind of innate talent is even a bit stronger than mine. If such thoughts were heard by others, they would definitely scold the father and daughter for being perverts. Sky's ghost fire would take at least a few hundred years to condense out, and it would also require all kinds of fire starters to fuse together. In the end, they were able to condense out the Sky's ghost fire in just a few minutes, especially Dong Huangli, who was able to condense out the Sky's ghost fire in less than 20 minutes. Yi Hua was still lamenting that the 1 hour that he had spent to condense out the Sky's ghost fire was too long. Ali is really amazing. Yi Hua encouraged Ali and stroked the child's head. Ali narrowed her beautiful eyes as she enjoyed her father's touch. Yi Hua stretched out his hands and various colored flames could be seen emerging from his fingertips. Ali, this will be your first lesson. Dong Huangli looked foolishly at the flame on her father's fingertip. So beautiful, so powerful, he must study hard and not let his father down. He must make his father proud. Right now, Dong Huangli's big eyes were shining with a firm conviction. Yi Hua was very satisfied. I wonder if Qingye's child will look like Ali. I'm really looking forward to it. While the father and daughter were cultivating their relationship upstairs, Qingye came downstairs and looked at Dong Huangbaiji, who was currently drinking wine. Taking a deep breath, Qingye walked over and sat beside Dong Huangbaiji, then poured herself a glass of wine. You are pregnant, yet you are still drinking? Dong Huangbaiji reminded, then slowly took a sip of wine. Qingye slightly went into a daze, then placed down the wine glass that was at the side of her mouth. Thank you for reminding me. The two women sat there without saying a word. The atmosphere was a little weird. These 3 years must have been very painful for you, right? Qingye said slowly. Dong Huangbaiji laughed lightly. Pain? It's a common occurrence. I've gotten used to it in the past 3 years. If Yi Hua had gone downstairs back then, perhaps you wouldn't be in so much pain. Qingye said faintly. I feel that Dong Huangbaiji is also a victim. Based on what Ali said, Dong Huangbaiji's life isn't very comfortable. Dong Huangbaiji looked towards Qingye and said earnestly, Qingye, if Yi Hua had come down back then, you wouldn't be able to do anything anymore. Would you be willing to do that? Qingye didn't speak because right now she couldn't bear to part with Yi Hua, but at the same time she was also angry. These two kinds of emotions intertwined together, causing Qingye to be unspeakably bitter. In actuality, if Yi Hua was a bit more of a rascal and coaxed the two women a bit more, he might be able to hug the two beauties back home. Unfortunately, Yi Hua wasn't that kind of person. This Dong Huangbaiji was even spanked. How could she not be angry? Qingye, in actuality, I am rather envious of you. Dong Huangbaiji said calmly. Her tone was indeed filled with envy and she wasn't lying. Qingye laughed bitterly. What is there to be envious of? I am just an ordinary woman, and it's just that I have a bit of money and good looks. That's why I was tricked by Yi Hua to come here. Qingye, I envy your luck. Dong Huangbaiji let out a light sigh. What? When you came to look for him when you were pregnant, he immediately went down. I envy you. Dong Huangbaiji had a drunken smile on her face. Most probably only when she was in this state would she reveal her inner thoughts. Qingye understood. If it was me and Yi Hua didn't go down, I reckon that I would even have the heart to die. Meanwhile, Dong Huangbaiji persisted for so long, and she even brought Ali along with her. In actuality, no one knew just how much pressure Dong Huangbaiji was under. The pressure was brought by Voidless Realm, and the pressure was brought by the outside world. But now, everyone knew of Ali's existence and it didn't matter anymore. Then, did Yi Hua explain why he didn't go down back then? Dong Huang Baiji laughed in disdain. He did, just treat it as what he said was the truth. Could it be that he lied to you again? Qingya was a bit angry. Everything about Yi Hua is good, but he only knows how to lie. He said that it wasn't convenient for him to go down during those few days. Do you believe him? Dong Huang Baiji herself laughed. Yi Hua doesn't even know how to lie. Can't he put some effort into making up a lie? Qingya went into a daze. Inconvenient? You aren't even a woman, what inconvenient about it? It was obvious that he was being perfunctory. Dong Huang Baiji poured a cup to the brim and downed it in a single gulp. From this, it could be seen just how angry she was. After a while, Qingya said in a deep voice, "Actually, the two of you are very compatible. Both of you are cultivators." Qingya, you don't have to say that. It's not a matter of whether we are worthy or not, but he wants to forcefully keep us here. Qingya clenched her small fist. That's right, if I was more powerful than him, I would definitely beat him up and let him be the boss. Aha, your thoughts are exactly the same as mine. I want to hang Yi Hua up and give him a good beating, and let him know how formidable I am. Who asked him to lie to me? Although Yi Hua was clearly smiling, tears were flowing out from her beautiful eyes. How could Qingya not be in pain? When this atmosphere arrived, tears unconsciously flowed down from her eyes. Sitting at the bar counter, the two women burst into tears. However, this scene was witnessed by Yi Zizi, who came downstairs to grab some spicy sticks. While eating the spicy strip, Yi Zizi couldn't help but sigh in admiration. These two madams were really a good match. Even when they were crying, they almost cried together. After saying that, Yi Zizi skipped upstairs to play games. After crying enough, the two beauties' eyes were red and swollen, looking very sad. Dong Huang Baiji choked with sobs. Qingya, do you want to leave this place? Yes. Qingya nodded her head. In actuality, she had long wanted to leave this place and calm down by herself. If there's a chance, I will bring you to Voidless Realm. The air there is good, it is suitable for nurturing the fetus. Qingya asked confusedly, Voidless Realm? And that place is my territory, no one will disturb you. Even if Yi Hua comes, I will be able to make him back off. But we are unable to leave at all. Qingya sighed. Facing such a tyrant, how is it possible for us to run away? Dong Huang Baiji naturally didn't know how to run away. Let's look at the situation first. He can't possibly lock us up forever, right? Baiji, you might not know this, but Yi Hua is really capable of doing such a thing. He isn't playing around with us. Qingya understood Yi Hua now. Although he dotes on you, once you provoke him, he won't be reasonable with you. Dong Huang Baiji said coldly, how can I do that? I still have a lot of things that I have to deal with outside. Thinking about how I sneaked out this time, if I am discovered to be missing, wouldn't Voidless Realm be in chaos? No. I have to rush back. Thinking up to here, Dong Huang Baiji pounded on the air wall and shouted out, Yi Hua! Get down here. Qingya was very confused. Stretching out her hand, she touched the air wall, but there wasn't anything there. Dong Huang Baiji laughed bitterly, Qingya, this is the difference between you and me. Chapter 234. Yi Hua, who was currently watching Dong Huang Li's practice, wrinkled his brows. What is this woman talking about again? Ali, practice properly. Yi Hua patted onto his daughter's head. Dong Huang Li nodded her head earnestly. Ali understands. Walking down the stairs, Yi Hua was startled. They are actually together? What does that mean? Dong Huang Baiji, you really don't have the slightest bit of etiquette for shouting like this. Yi Hua shouted out gravely. As my woman, look at how she is acting right now. She is acting just like an auntie. If my subordinates were to see this, I, the Supreme Overlord, would truly be throwing away my face. Qingya wrinkled her brows and stood at the side without saying a word. She was even feeling a bit of sympathy for Dong Huang Baiji. However, he had been lectured like this in the past, but the situation now was different. Someone else was raising a child with you, but you didn't say anything nice. Instead, you scolded me the moment you came. Yi Hua, let me out. Dong Huang Baiji hit the air wall and shouted out. Yi Hua stood outside of the air wall and looked at Dong Huang Baiji, then said faintly, if you don't have the slightest change, then just obediently stay here. Yi Hua, that's enough. Is there a need to imprison others? At this moment, Qingya also spoke out to persuade Yi Hua. This caused Yi Hua to be very unhappy. Just whose side are you standing on? Looking at Qingya, Yi Hua said coldly, Qingya, go upstairs and rest. No. I want to go out too. Qingye shouted out with a stern face. This caused Yi Hua to be even angrier. Do these two women really want to leave this place that much? I won't let it go. Qingye, don't make me angry again. Qingye didn't seem to be afraid at all and continued to shout out, Yi Hua, let me tell you. I'm not your pet canary. Enough. Yi Hua shouted out angrily. This roar caused the two women to be stupefied. Right now Yi Hua's expression was sinister, and a red light was flickering within his pair of black pupils. Yi Hua had been fighting for his entire life, and there was no one who was able to make him so angry. Even those overlords were unable to do so. However, Yi Hua didn't expect that he would be provoked by two women, and these two women were even his own women. Qingye, I'm talking to this woman. You can go upstairs and wait. After calming down the anger in his heart, Yi Hua said coldly. Qingye looked at Yi Hua in disbelief. He actually shouted at me, this bastard that deserves 1,000 cuts. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji could be seen picking up chairs and throwing them towards Yi Hua. Their expressions were that of wanting to kill Yi Hua. Yi Hua was angered to the point that his veins were about to pop out, and his handsome face had turned red from anger. Qingye, you asked for it. The two of you better stay here and don't go anywhere. With that, he turned around and went upstairs. Not only was the conflict within the family not resolved, it was becoming more and more intense, and now even Qingye was locked up. Right now Qingye was fiercely smashing the air wall with a chair and shouted out loudly, Yi Hua, I hate you. I hate you. Meanwhile, Donghuang Baiji, who was at the side, was the same as well. Yi Hua, you bastard. I, Donghuang Baiji, will never be your woman in my entire life. I, Qingye, am the same. I want a divorce. Facing the two women's various threats, Yi Hua slowly turned his head around and said coldly, then the two of you shall stay here forever. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji powerlessly fell onto the ground, then hugged onto each other and cried bitterly. Soon after, the two of them hugged onto each other and cried bitterly. Yi Hua stood at the entrance of the staircase, then lit up a cigarette and started smoking. Now, even Qingye has become like that, there's no way I can continue living like this. Suddenly Yi Hua thought of something and walked downstairs again, then shouted out faintly, Donghuang Baiji, from today onwards, Ali's surname will be Yi. Donghuang Baiji, who was currently crying, went into a daze, then began smashing the air wall crazily. Yi Hua, you don't have the right to do this, Ali is mine. You can't snatch her away. I'm just informing you, I'm not asking for your permission. After finished speaking, Yi Hua went upstairs. No. Yi Hua, you can't do this, Ali was raised by me, Ali. Donghuang Baiji's heart-wrenching screams were extremely heart-wrenching. Donghuang Baiji sat paralyzed on the ground and slapped the air wall powerlessly. This caused Qingye, who was at the side, to be very worried. She didn't care about herself and hurriedly comforted Donghuang Baiji. Donghuang Baiji is truly too pitiful. Donghuang Baiji has been raising a child for so long, and right now the moment Yi Hua takes over, he wants the child to change her name. Which mother would be able to endure such a thing? Yi Hua stood outside and smoked a cigarette, then walked into the office. Right now Donghuang Li was seriously practicing, and her little face was filled with sweat. Right now, only my daughter can make me feel at ease, not a single other person can make me feel at ease. Daddy, when Donghuang Li saw that her father had arrived, she immediately stretched out her hands, wanting to hug Yi Hua. Yi Hua's mood became a lot better. He stretched out his hands and hugged his daughter. How is Ali's practice? Daddy, Ali is only able to condense fire, I am unable to control it, Donghuang Li said disappointedly. She was a bit afraid that her father would get angry, because back in Voidless Realm, if Ali couldn't reach her mother's requirements, her mother would punish her. Yi Hua naturally wouldn't. Pinching onto Ali's little face, he said, it's alright, take your time. Seeing that her father didn't blame her and even comforted her, Donghuang Li became extremely happy and said, Ali likes Daddy the most, children are like this, they will like whoever treats them well. While hugging onto his daughter, Donghuang Li sat on the sofa and took out a tissue to wipe Ali's sweat. Suddenly, Donghuang Li's brows wrinkled and she actually started crying. Ali, what's wrong? Yi Hua asked worriedly. Ooh, Daddy treats Ali too well. Mommy has never even wiped Ali's tears before. From the looks of it, Donghuang Baiji was taught by a tiger mother. Don't cry in the future, with Daddy here no one will dare to bully you. Yi Hua said gravely. I wonder how much suffering Ali has suffered together with Donghuang Baiji. Donghuang Li hugged onto her father tightly and cried. This feeling of being doted on by her father was unprecedented. Ali, Daddy has something to tell you, Yi Hua said while caressing onto his daughter's hair. And Dong Huangli replied. Yi Hua said faintly, Ali, in the future you will follow Daddy's surname Yi. Ah, then Ali won't be called Dong Huangli anymore, will she be called Yili? And that's right. Alright, Ali will listen to Daddy's words. Dong Huangli agreed happily. However, she suddenly thought of something and frowned. Yi Hua was very happy. My daughter is so obedient and sensible. Daddy, if Ali's surname becomes Yi, Mommy will be very sad. Dong Huangli opened her eyes wide and looked at her father. Ali doesn't want to follow Daddy's surname? In actuality, Yi Hua didn't really care much about surnames. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. In the past, Yi Hua didn't know about it, but now that he knew about it, he definitely had to change it. Dong Huangli shook her head. Of course, Ali wants to follow Daddy's surname, but if that's the case, Mommy will be alone. Yi Hua remained silent. Although Mommy is very strict with Ali, Ali can tell that Mommy actually loves Ali a lot, just that Mommy didn't say it out. Furthermore, Mommy only has Ali. I'm afraid that Mommy will be very sad. Chapter 235. Seeing that her father didn't say anything, Dong Huangli thought that her father was angry, thus she hurriedly said, Daddy, don't be angry, Ali will follow Daddy's surname. However, in the future when Daddy and Mommy have a child, one of them must follow Mommy's surname. If not, Mommy will be too lonely. Dong Huangli said pitifully. Upon hearing that, Yi Hua laughed. Ali truly loves Mommy. Yes, Ali also loves Papa. Yi Hua said faintly. Then, Ali shall follow Mommy's surname. But Ali also wants to have Papa's surname. The little fellow felt extremely wronged. She pouted and looked very unhappy. Can a mere surname stop the love between us father and daughter? Right now, Dong Huangli liked Yi Hua even more. Dong Huangli kissed her father's cheek ferociously, while Yi Hua lifted Dong Huangli up. Oh, Ali can fly. Seeing that the little fellow was happy, Yi Hua was very happy too. At such a young age, he already knows how to dote on his parents. Papa, don't worry. I won't embarrass you in the future. This is more like my daughter. Hee. Upstairs, the father and daughter were getting along harmoniously, while downstairs, wailing endlessly. Even Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi, who were playing games, couldn't sit still anymore, and both of them came downstairs to take a look. In the end, Qing Yutong was instantly dumbfounded. Qing Yutong really didn't dare to believe that her brother-in-law would actually shut two people up in one go. I did ask you to be jealous, big sister, you shouldn't be jealous like this. Yi Zizi expressed that his honor was already very benevolent. If it was in the past, Yi Zizi would not only be locked up here, he would also be locked up in a place that was even more terrifying. Yutong, go up and talk to Yi Hua. I want to divorce him. Qing Ya's eyes were red and swollen as she lightly comforted Dong Huang Baiji, who was in pain. Yi Zizi blinked her beautiful eyes and said, Big sister-in-law, big cousin has a bad temper. Don't be angry. That's right, brother-in-law definitely didn't do it on purpose. Right now, Qing Yutong didn't dare to go and anger Yi Hua. If not, her butt would definitely be beaten swollen. Yi Zizi was thinking the same way as well. Right now, whoever stands on the side of Qingya and Dong Huang Baiji would be asking for a beating. Qingya pointed at the two of them and said in a low voice, You two traitors. During the crucial moment, he stood on Yi Hua's side. Sister, don't be angry. It's not like you don't know brother-in-law. Won't it be over if you act coquettishly? Qingya shouted out indignantly and shyly, I even acted coquettishly towards him, let him go and die. Return my daughter to me. I want Ali. Right now, Dong Huang Baiji was choking with tears. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi felt uncomfortable looking at this woman. This woman is truly very pitiful. Could it be that his honor doesn't know how to coax her? Sigh. Mama, Dong Huangli could be heard shouting out, then pounced over like a gust of wind. After not seeing her daughter for a few hours, Dong Huang Baiji immediately hugged onto Dong Huangli and said, Ali, Mama, why are you crying? Don't cry, Ali wiped Mom's tears. The more sensible Dong Huangli was, the more sad Dong Huang Baiji cried. If I didn't lose my temper that day, this little fellow wouldn't have left the house, and wouldn't have met with this heartless father of mine. At this moment, Yi Hua walked over unhurriedly and said faintly, Yutong, go and bring the table over. It's time to eat. Oh. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi immediately went to prepare the tableware. Qingya gnashed her teeth in anger. Traitor. The feeling of hugging a mother and hugging a father are different. A mother's embrace is warm, while a father's embrace is warm and safe. Mama, Daddy agreed to let Ali have the surname Dong Huang. Dong Huangli, who was nestled in her mother's embrace, said in a low voice. Dong Huang Baiji went into a daze, then raised her head and looked towards Yi Hua, who was smoking at the side. Will this man be so kind-hearted? I won't believe it even if I'm beaten to death. Dong Huangli could be heard adding a sentence. Daddy said that in the future the child that he and mommy give birth to must have the surname Yi. Cough cough cough. Yi Hua choked upon hearing his daughter's words. You still want my bloodline? That will have to depend on your performance. Do you think that it is that easy to obtain my bloodline? Wishful thinking. Dong Huang Baiji shouted out at Yi Hua for being shameless. To actually say such things to a child and still want to give birth to a child with me, wishful thinking. In any case, I don't plan to pay attention to Yi Hua for the rest of my life. I'm very angry, the kind that I can't coax. After setting up the dining table, Yi Hua brought over the meat of star-cleansing sparrow and golden delicate crane. Come and eat. Yi Hua shouted towards the two women. Mama, Aunt Qing, it's time to eat. Dong Huangli could be seen dragging the two women to the dining table. How could children be dragged by adults? It was just that Qingya and Dong Huang Baiji didn't resist. Qing Yutong couldn't take it anymore, and Yi Zizi was also drooling. This meat is pretty good, His Honor sure knows how to live his life. Ali, when you are growing, eat more. Yi Hua said tenderly. Dong Huangli smiled sweetly. Ali will start eating then. Yi Hua nodded his head, giving his approval. Wow, Daddy, what meat is this? It is so delicious. Dong Huangli cried out in surprise. I have never eaten such delicious meat before. Qing Yutong laughed. Ali, eat this meat, you can become prettier too. Really? In that case, Ali has to eat more, you will become prettier than mommy. Dong Huangli laughed happily. There was no need to talk about Yi Hua and Dong Huang Baiji's appearance, so how could the child that the two gave birth to be bad? The child would obviously not be bad, and the meat could only be said to be the icing on the cake. Qingya and Dong Huang Baiji didn't move. It seemed like they were going on a hunger strike to protest against Yi Hua's actions. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi noticed that the atmosphere wasn't quite right, thus they carried their plates and went upstairs to eat. Mom, Aunt Qing, why aren't the two of you eating? This meat is really delicious. Dong Huangli had already eaten 2 big pieces of meat, yet she still wasn't satisfied. Aunt Qing is on a diet, Ali, you eat. Qingya gave her share to Ali. Mommy is on a diet too, Ali, you eat. Dong Huang Baiji didn't eat either. Looking at the two women's actions, I, the supreme overlord, like these two women. However, let's see how long you two can persevere for. Dong Huangli licked her lips. Ali won't be polite then. Hearing what Dong Huangli said, a trace of an arc appeared on the corner of the two women's lips, but very quickly the arc disappeared. Daddy, Ali wants to sleep with mommy tonight, do you want to come? Dong Huang Baiji, Yi Hua said faintly, your mommy is currently under daddy's inspection. If you perform well, you will be able to sleep with daddy. Oh, is that so? Then mommy, you have to perform well and strive to sleep with daddy as soon as possible. Dong Huang Baiji, Yi Hua took a sip of wine then said faintly, Baiji, you bring Ali to sleep in the office today, I will go get a bed later on. Qingya, you sleep with me. Yi Hua, who was sitting in a big boss position, gave out his orders. Who wants to sleep with you? I would rather sleep on the floor than sleep with you. Qingya said with a cold expression. It's not up to you to say no. Chapter 236. After dinner, Yi Hua released the confinement of the two women and got a bed and placed it in the office. The bed will be Dong Huang Baiji's bedroom for the time being. Right now, Dong Huang Baiji was accompanying her daughter. It could be said that this was the first time that Dong Huang Baiji was wholeheartedly accompanying her daughter. On the other hand, Qingya was brought into the bedroom by Yi Hua. To be more precise, Qingya was carried into the bedroom by Yi Hua, and Qingya was even crying and throwing a tantrum in the bedroom, causing Yi Hua to feel extremely miserable. Yi Hua could only cast a spell on Qingya, and only then did Qingya fall asleep peacefully. If it was possible, Yi Hua wanted to directly cast a spell to turn Qingya into the kind of woman that he wanted. However, if he were to use it, Qingya would no longer be Qingya. She would just be an empty shell without a soul, and this was not what Yi Hua wanted. Lying on the comfortable bed, Yi Hua hugged onto Qingya as usual and lightly wiped away the tear stains on the corner of Qingya's eyes. Why don't you listen to me? If you're a little more obedient, I won't bully you. You still dare to say such foolish words like wanting a divorce? If it was in the past, I would have smacked your buttocks until they were swollen and you even froze my card. You are truly a little mischievous. While speaking, Yi Hua himself started laughing. Qingya is just so charming, even if she gets angry, Yi Hua would still like her. As for his feelings towards Donghuang Baiji, Yihua didn't have a deep impression of her. He just felt sorry for what happened in the past, and at the same time he was also thankful that Donghuang Baiji gave birth to Ali. Just based on this point alone, Yihua would definitely protect Donghuang Baiji. After all, Donghuang Baiji was already his woman. How could he possibly leave her outside? That was impossible. Within the office, Donghuang Baiji was currently hugging onto her daughter as she slept. Ever since Ali was born, she had never hugged onto her daughter to sleep like this. As a mother, Donghuang Baiji truly felt ashamed and a failure. However, after this incident, Donghuang Baiji decided that she would often accompany her daughter and let her feel the warmth of a mother. Looking at Ali, who was nestled in her bosom, Donghuang Baiji revealed out a slight smile. The smile of an empress is truly incomparably beautiful. Gulp, the empress was still a human after all. Without spiritual power, she too would be hungry. Since arriving here yesterday, other than having a pancake in the morning, the rest of his food had been alcohol. He didn't eat anything at noon or at night. Now that he was in a better mood, he was hungry. Donghuang Baiji covered her daughter's body with the blanket, then got down from the bed to see if there was anything to eat. Voidless Realm's Empress was just like a little thief as she searched for food everywhere. However, there was nothing to eat in the entire office. Stealthily opening the door to take a look, only to discover that Yihua wasn't there. Thus, I might as well go downstairs to look for Yihua. On the bar counter, other than wine, there was only more wine. Right now, Donghuang Baiji did not want to drink wine. If not, Ali would say that there was a smell of wine on her body. There should be something to eat here, right? Donghuang Baiji walked towards the leisure bar's storage area. After searching for a long time, he still couldn't find anything to eat, only drinks. What Yihua didn't know was that Yihua had already hidden away the spicy gluten to prevent Qing Yutong from secretly eating spicy gluten every day. There should be some food in this storage room, right? I am about to starve to death. It had been a long time since Donghuang Baiji experienced the feeling of hunger. After all, with the support of spiritual energy, even if she didn't eat for an entire month, it would still be fine. He opened the door of the storage room. It was pitch black inside. He touched the edge of the door. When the light was turned on, Donghuang Baiji was immediately overjoyed. Master Kang's instant noodles, and there were even boxes of them. Open the package and take out a bucket. Finally, I don't have to suffer from hunger anymore. This damnable Yihua to actually make me, the empress, come out in the middle of the night to look for food. Holding on to the instant noodles, Donghuang Baiji turned around and walked out of the restaurant. Suddenly, Donghuang Baiji stopped her footsteps and slowly turned her head around to look at a corner. Why does this mahogany box look so familiar? Walking forward, Donghuang Baiji opened one of the boxes, and inside the box was all gold. Looking at the mark on the gold, Donghuang Baiji's expression changed. Soon after, Donghuang Baiji opened the other boxes, and when she saw the god leaf fan, she was certain. So it was Yihua who intercepted and killed my people. If not, why would these betrothal gifts be here? This bastard actually killed my people. Yihua, get down here. Donghuang Baiji roared loudly and clenched her fists tightly, looking like she was going to fight Yihua to the death. Yihua, who was on the bed, wrinkled his brows. What is this woman doing again? Immediately disappearing from the bed, Yihua arrived at the storage room. Not sleeping in the middle of the night, what are you doing here? Yihua stood behind Donghuang Baiji and asked. Donghuang Baiji fiercely punched towards Yihua's face. Unfortunately, the speed of the punch was too slow and Yihua grabbed onto it. Donghuang Baiji, enough is enough. Don't think that just because you are my woman, you can be rude to me. Yihua tightly wrinkled his brows and lectured. Where did all these things come from? Donghuang Baiji's eyes revealed out an ominous glint. This man is taking revenge on me for marrying someone else, which is why he snatched the betrothal gifts and killed my people. Yihua took a look at the red wooden box at the side and said faintly, what does where they came from have to do with you? Quickly go back and sleep. You bastard, did you snatch them because you know that they are my betrothal gifts? Donghuang Baiji questioned. Yihua's expression immediately became serious. Betrothal gifts? You want to marry someone? That's right, but I am not marrying someone, I am marrying someone. Donghuang Baiji shouted out. Yihua immediately felt bad, and the strength of his hand became stronger and stronger. Donghuang Baiji could feel the strength of Yihua's hand, and her wrist felt like it was going to break, but she did not make a sound. You want to make me a cuckold? Yihua's ice-cold voice seemed to have come out from hell, causing one's heart to tremble with fear. That's right, I want to make you a cuckold. What are you going to do about it? Yi Hua's face was slightly twitching, and his gaze was changing, seemingly wanting to return to the state he was in 5 years ago. Looking at Yi Hua's current state, Donghuang Baiji felt a bit scared from the bottom of her heart. Suddenly Yi Hua let go of Donghuang Baiji's hand and fell onto the ground powerlessly. The demon that had been in a coma for 5 years was slowly waking up, and the remaining humanity that was left in him was slowly being devoured by the demon. This woman actually dared to make me a cuckold. Damn it. Everyone has to die. Donghuang Baiji started panicking, because Yi Hua's current state was just like him going berserk. However, even though it felt great to see Yi Hua like this, she still couldn't bear to do it. Yi Hua, what happened to you? Donghuang Baiji hurriedly helped Yi Hua up and asked nervously. Yi Hua stared fixedly at Donghuang Baiji and asked, You made me a cuckold? You snatched my betrothal gifts. Who am I going to find to make you a cuckold? Donghuang Baiji was speechless. Is there no logic at all? Yi Hua was startled, and the demon within his body gradually went back to sleep. His humanity had completely won. In that instant just now, Yi Hua thought that Donghuang Baiji had already made him a cuckold. This is completely unacceptable, and I even had the heart to kill everyone. However, I was mistaken. I only had this thought, but I didn't succeed. However, even if I had this thought, it wouldn't work. Chapter 237. Pulling Donghuang Baiji into his embrace, Yi Hua asked coldly, Why do you want to cuckold me? Donghuang Baiji struggled in Yi Hua's embrace, but it was useless. I want to cuckold you, you ungrateful fellow. Yi Hua pressed Donghuang Baiji onto his thighs, then raised his hand and slapped. Ah! Donghuang Baiji couldn't help but let out a moan. This is truly shocking. You bastard, you hit me again. Bah! Ah! Yi Hua said coldly, Baiji, if not for Ali, I would have smacked your butt until it swells. Go ahead and hit me, then I will tell my daughter about it later. Let's see how her father hits her mother. Donghuang Baiji's words seemed to be revealing some information, causing Yi Hua to stop. Adding on Donghuang Baiji's concerned expression just now, Yi Hua felt that this woman definitely still had feelings for him. Baiji, do you still like me? Yi Hua asked curiously. Even if I like a ghost, I won't like you. A woman who says one thing but means another, she's the same as Qinya. Yi Hua turned around and pressed Donghuang Baiji onto the ground, then immediately kissed her. Donghuang Baiji opened her eyes wide and struggled with all her might. However, facing the terrifying Yi Hua, she was completely useless. Yi Hua's sinful hand stretched into Donghuang Baiji's body and moved around Donghuang Baiji's delicate body. Every inch of Donghuang Baiji's body felt extremely good to the touch. Compared to 3 years ago, Donghuang Baiji's body was much more supple and supple. This situation made Donghuang Baiji think back to that night 3 years ago. That night was filled with both pain and happiness. Baiji, you are the same as 3 years ago, feeling fast. Yi Hua took out his sinful hand and waved it in front of Donghuang Baiji's eyes. Donghuang Baiji didn't know where she got the strength from, but she pushed Yi Hua to the side, then ran out while covering her face. Yi Hua didn't chase after her, he sat on the ground and laughed lightly. Seems like my charm is still the same as back then. Donghuang Baiji, who ran upstairs, crawled into her blanket. Her face was extremely beautiful with a blush. Thinking back to what happened just now, why am I so useless? Originally I wanted to settle the score with him, but in the end I was even feeling. I am so embarrassed. At this moment the Empress was like a little woman in love. That kind of coquettish pout and bashful anger was especially charming. Actually, for some reason when she saw those big red wooden chests, she felt a little happy. Hearing that the office door was opened, Donghuang Baiji wrinkled her brows. Why did he come in? Could it be that he wanted to? Bastard, my daughter is still asleep. He heard the door being closed again and the footsteps leaving. Donghuang Baiji raised her head slightly and took a look. This person came in and then went out? What was the meaning of this? Looking at the instant noodles on the coffee table, Donghuang Baiji immediately understood. I, the Empress, have lost all of my face. In any case, he had already lost all his face. What's the big deal? Let's make some noodles first. She didn't expect him to prepare a super large ham sausage. He was quite attentive. Crazy hints. The fragrance of the instant noodles quickly woke up Donghuang Li, who was asleep. Whooshed, seeing that her mommy was eating noodles, Donghuang Li rubbed her big eyes. Mommy, what are you eating? Mommy is eating instant noodles. Donghuang Baiji felt very awkward, being caught by her daughter while eating instant noodles secretly. Ali, come over, mommy will feed you. Ali, come over, mommy will feed you. Dong Huangli, who had tasted instant noodles for the first time, felt that it was great. The noodles are elastic and tenacious, and the taste is also super fragrant. In just a few moments, the mother and daughter finished eating a bucket of instant noodles. Mommy, Ali isn't full, I'm hungry, Dong Huangli pouted her small mouth. Dong Huang Baiji also wanted to eat instant noodles, she wasn't full at all. Let's go down and get some, but Ali can't tell Daddy, if not Daddy will be very fierce. And Ali will keep it a secret. The mother and daughter secretly ran downstairs and brought back 2 more buckets of instant noodles. The fragrance is so fragrant. Yihua, who was hugging onto Qingya, laughed lightly. This Dong Huang Baiji is a bit interesting, she suits my taste. The torturous day was finally over, and at the same time, a new day had arrived. Who knows what will happen on this day? Voidless Realm's morning was just like a fairyland. Clouds and mist lingered around the place, and spiritual energy was abundant. It was an exceptionally good place to train. Right now, within the palace hall, the 8 elders had a grave expression on their faces. The throne was completely empty, and it was truly making them anxious. I think that there is something wrong with this matter. Yuan De shouted out angrily. Xing Han stroked his beard and said, Brother Yuan, why do you say such a thing? The little prince has mysteriously disappeared, and now the empress has also disappeared. Is this still not enough to prove that something is wrong? Yuan De shouted out with his hands behind his back. The empress has already disappeared for an entire day, how can I not be worried about such a big matter? What Brother Yuan said is extremely true. I also think that the disappearance of the empress and the little prince isn't a coincidence. Most probably someone planned this. Perhaps it might be that group of robbers. He Xian agreed with Yuan De's opinion. Xing Han shook his head. The empress is very strong, who would be able to kidnap the empress? Most probably the empress missed her daughter very much and went out to look for her daughter. Everyone remained silent. Everyone would rather believe in this speculation. No one wanted anything to happen to the empress. An imperial guard suddenly ran into the palace hall and shouted out, Ying families Ying Shang and Ying Kangsha request to meet the empress. Yuan De waved his hand, and the imperial guard left the palace respectfully. This is great, where are we going to find an empress? Yuan De stomped his feet angrily. Of all times the empress had gone missing. Everyone remained silent. He Xian said in a deep voice, How many forces in this world do you think can kidnap the empress? Ying family, Ji family. Everyone blurted out. He Xian continued, This time, Ying family is definitely here to demand an explanation. However, the empress isn't here, can they be willing? He Xian. You are saying that Ying family kidnapped the empress and then deliberately came here just to find an excuse to start a war? Yuan De exclaimed. He Xian nodded his head but still said, Maybe I am thinking too much. I would rather kill the wrong person than let them go, I might as well take their lives. Xing Han was also a cruel and merciless person. He Xian shook his head and said indifferently, If the empress was really kidnapped by the Ying family, killing them would also put the empress in danger. If the empress wasn't kidnapped by them, but by the Ji family, it would be a situation of watching the tigers fight. In that case we can't kill the people of Ying family anyway? Yuan De sneered. Without the empress to take charge of the overall situation, it was really a mess. He Xian nodded his head. Yuan De, you come with me to meet the empress first and appease her. After all, if the empress was in such a situation, her reputation would be in danger. Not only would her reputation be in danger, everyone in the cultivation world was talking about the empress. Behind this illegitimate daughter, was there a degeneration of morals, or was there a distortion of human nature? No matter what, although no one said it out loud, but it had already spread. The empress's man was really awesome. Chapter 238. Yuan De and He Xian came to the living room to welcome the two from the Ying family. Ying Shang and Ying Kangsha did not put on stern expressions. Ying Shang was in a normal state while Ying Kangsha looked excited. He was about to see the empress and just thinking about it made him really excited. When the 4 of them met, it was inevitable that they would be polite to each other. Ying Kangsha couldn't hold himself back anymore and asked, When is the empress coming? Yishen smiled. Young Master Ying, the empress is currently in seclusion, and it will be a very long time before she comes out. Does that mean that the empress isn't willing to see us? Ying Shang's attitude instantly changed. This was clearly an excuse. Ying Kangsha hurriedly said, It doesn't matter. We'll just wait. Shut up. You good for nothing. Ying Shang sternly rebuked. Why did his elder brother ask him to bring such an idiot with him? With a gloomy expression, Yuanda said coldly, "Forgive me for speaking bluntly, but your majesty indeed had the intention of forming a marriage alliance with the Ying family. However, it seems that your son is impotent, so the marriage alliance is naturally nullified. Moreover, the betrothal gifts were stolen on the way." Bang! Ying Shang slammed the table. His eyes were as big as copper bells, and his eyeballs were about to pop out of their sockets. "Whatever your empress says. Are you playing around with my Ying family?" "Third uncle, calm down. The empress definitely doesn't mean that." Ying Shang raised his hand and delivered a slap. How could there be such a man in the Ying family? Had he been eaten by a dog? With a single slap, Ying Kangshi fell to the ground. He covered his face in a delicate manner. Coupled with his androgynous voice, he looked exactly like a transvestite. "Third uncle, you hit me. I want to tell father about this." Calling him daddy when he can't win was the character of a child. Yuanda and He Xian looked at each other. It was a good thing that Ying Kangshi was crippled. Otherwise, it would be embarrassing for the empress to marry such a man. That resume was all fake. Only by seeing the real person would one know the person's character. Actually, Ying Kangshi couldn't be blamed for this. After being raped, he had already started to develop his femininity. Sometimes he would even use his flower-pinching finger, making it hard for people to defend against it. "Bastard, I really want to King chop you into pieces." Ying Shang was infuriated when he heard Ying Shang's words. He had brought Ying Shang out to embarrass himself. He might as well lock him up on the island in the future. He Xian smiled and said, "Young Master Ying is still immature. You don't have to make things difficult for him." This was a blatant mockery. Was such an insensible man worthy of the empress? Obviously not. He Xian, Ying Shang will make my words clear today. If your empress doesn't come out and explain herself, I'll make it clear. 3 days later, Ying family's army will come and greet us. With Yuanda's explosive temper, he suddenly stood up and shouted out, "Sure, our voidless realm will be waiting for your arrival." Yi Xian facepalmed. "I really can't take it anymore. You guys are too casual." Ying Shang did not expect the other party's attitude to be so unyielding. Originally he only wanted to scare the other party, but now it was hard for him to back down. "Alright. See you in 3 days." After saying that, he picked up Ying Kangshi. Ying Kangshi shouted, "I don't want to go. I want the empress." Ying Shang knocked him out with a single slap. What a disgrace. Watching the two of them leave, Yuanda said angrily, "I'll kill them now. If we kill them now, we can't guarantee that the Ji family will also intervene. Don't forget that they are all from the south." He Xian shook his head. When two armies fought, they wouldn't kill the envoys. Everyone understood this principle. "You guys are too hasty. You want to fight just like that?" Yuanda was also speechless. The other party had already said that he would fight. Could it be that he had to admit defeat? Who has Voidless Realm ever been afraid of? Ying Shang rushed back to Ying family and immediately called for a meeting. All of Ying family's relatives were present, of course, other than Death Mage and Sun Fang. Sun Fang was only a supervisor and didn't interfere with Ying family's internal affairs. This made Ying family let out a sigh of relief. "Family head, Voidless Realm is really going too far. That empress doesn't even want to see us." Ying Shang reported the matter to his family head. Right now, Ying Kangshi woke up and said hurriedly, "Father, perhaps the empress is really in closed-door training." Ying Kangshi, "Just which side are you on?" Ying Shang lectured coldly. As the family head, Ying Jingshan still doesn't know about his son's character. "Since Voidless Realm has accepted the challenge, then let's fight. My Ying family has been quiet for too long. It's time for the world to witness the strength of my Ying family." No one objected to Ying Jingshan's words. Ying family has been too low profile, and they are making use of this opportunity to rise up. "Father. Shut up, from today onwards you are grounded." Ying Jingshan originally just wanted to see his son's reaction, but the result was still the same. Ying Jingshan no longer held any hope in his heart. "Father," Ying Kangshi's moan shocked everyone present, and some of them even felt like vomiting. "No matter what, you are still a man of Ying family. How can you act coquettishly like a woman?" "Scram!" Ying Jingshan shouted out sternly. Ying Kangshi stomped his feet, then walked out of the Ying family. Upon seeing this, the family members shook their heads. Ying family is truly a disgrace. Family head, should we inform Lord Sun about this matter? After all, our Ying family is really going to make a big move. Ying Shang warned. It was still necessary to inform Ying Jingshan of this matter. If by any chance his honor were to be angered, Ying family would have to face the consequences. Ying Jingshan nodded his head. Everyone prepare yourselves, I will go right now. The family members stood up, and killing intent emerged from their bodies as they shouted out in unison, yes. With a calm look on his face, Ying Jingshan took the lead and walked out of the hall, preparing to report this matter to Lord Sun. Standing outside of an ordinary room, Ying Jingshan was actually very puzzled. Why would they choose to live in such a remote place when they have such a good house? They are truly not greedy at all, but when I think about the treasures that were dug out, my heart aches. Little skeleton. Be gentler, your fingers are hurting me. GGG, Imperial Translation. I will be gentler then. Immediately, a comfortable moan could be heard. Be gentler, this is comfortable, move a bit more to the left, that's right, the most important, comfortable little skeleton, your technique is not bad. GGG, Imperial Translation. I have an even faster hand speed, do you want to give it a try? Ying Jingshan, who was standing outside of the room, felt very awkward. They are currently having fun in the bedroom, it doesn't seem good to disturb them like this. I should just wait for a while. The two people in the room were both sitting on the bed. Sun Fang's back was facing Death Mage, and Death Mage was using his fingertips to scratch Sun Fang's itch. Alright, stop scratching, there are people coming from outside, I will go and take a look. Sun Fang rolled her eyes at Death Mage. Ever since the two of them had pierced through that last piece of paper, the atmosphere between them had often become ambiguous. Death Mage was no longer as domineering as before and had become like a little puppy. Death Mage picked up his phone and began tapping on the screen. Biu. Recently he had returned back to the fishing world. Don't ask why, it was because he had money now. And right now, Sun Fang also didn't want to kill Death Mage. Recently she had been playing Honor of Kings and Death Mage was not interested in that game. What fun is there in being the boss if you can't top up your money? Is there anything? Sun Fang opened the door and asked. Chapter 239. Lord Sun, it's like this, 3 days later my Ying family will be attacking Voidless Realm, and I came over to inform you about this. Ying Jingshan bowed and said respectfully. Attacking Voidless Realm, isn't this the result that his honor wants? Sun Fang nodded. And I understand. If there's nothing else, then go and prepare. All right. After greeting them, Ying Jingshan went to take charge of the overall situation. They had to win this battle no matter what. After all, this was the first battle that the Ying family was going to face after leaving the mountain. After returning back to the room, Sun Fang told Death Mage about what happened. Death Mage didn't report this matter to his honor. After all, his honor had already said that it would be better for them to fight as fiercely as possible. Sun Fang leaned on Death Mage's shoulder bone and opened up the game. She said faintly, Battle of the World seems to have brought heavy dust to the sea to look for treasures. Imperial Translation. He's dug up the entirety of the Ying clan's island. Sun Fang sighed. If only you could speak human language. I have to guess every time. Imperial Translation. You can go and beg his honor then. In any case, I'm not going to go and beg his honor. If not, his honor would think that I like you a lot. Are you telling me to go and beg his honor? I'm not going to go and strangle you, you are making it seem as if I like you a lot. There isn't even a bit of flesh on your body, and when you lean against me it feels very hard. After finished speaking, Sun Fang took a pillow and placed it on her shoulder bone. Death Mage was speechless. Only yesterday, his honor said that he was going to bestow me with a fleshly body. You are the one who is not willing to give me a fleshly body. Sun Fang was also very depressed. If I had known that this would happen, I would have not cared about my face yesterday and asked his honor to bestow me a body. I have a boyfriend, yet I am unable to touch him. His subordinates women were thinking of ways and means to push each other down, and as the boss, Yihua was currently thinking of how to make them stop, let alone push each other down. Holding on to Qinya, who had a cold expression on her face, Yihua came to buy fruit crepes again. The middle-aged woman smiled but did not say anything. This young man brought one a day. He was really amazing. Was he not afraid of failing? Haha, this Captain Yihua's ship had already capsized long ago, and he is currently in the midst of making up for it. Qinya, don't have such a cold face, smile a bit. Yihua said lightly. In actuality, Qinya, who had a cold face, was very interesting, and I feel that it is very challenging. Move aside. Qinya shouted out coldly and fiercely took a bite of the Chinese jianbing. My stomach is about to shrivel up from hunger, I can't let my stomach suffer when I get angry at him. Eat slowly, no one is going to fight with you over your food. Yihua couldn't help but tease, then took the lead and walked into leisure bar. Qingye, who was at the back, said fiercely, I want to eat big mouthfuls of food. What can you do to me? While holding onto the Chinese crepe, Yihua walked into the office. Right now, Donghuang Baiji had already woken up, and Donghuang Li was still sleeping soundly. I bought breakfast for you. Yihua placed the Chinese jianbing on the coffee table. Get out. Donghuang Baiji stood beside the window with her back facing Yihua. Eat less instant noodles. Do you think I won't know if you throw it away? The whole house is filled with that smell. Donghuang Baiji said gravely, it's none of your business. Yihua slowly walked towards Donghuang Baiji, and when Donghuang Baiji heard the footsteps getting closer and closer, her heartbeat became faster and faster. Reaching out his hands, he hugged her slender waist and pulled her into his arms. Let go of me. Donghuang Baiji shouted out gravely. Yihua said faintly, Baiji, although you are very dishonest, your body is much more honest than other people. You scoundrel. A layer of redness appeared on Donghuang Baiji's fair face. Although I haven't been with you for a long time, I know what you are thinking. If not, you wouldn't have resisted. Yihua moved closer to Donghuang Baiji's ear and said, causing Donghuang Baiji's heart to be in a mess. You are grabbing onto my hand. How am I supposed to resist? Yihua laughed lightly, Baiji, for the sake of Ali, we should let go of our grudges. I hope that Ali can have a mother's love and care, and of course I can't lack my love and care as well. We will be a family. Donghuang Baiji became silent, because this was what she desired the most from the bottom of her heart. For the sake of Ali, she was willing to try. Seeing that Donghuang Baiji became silent, Yihua's pair of evil hands started moving around again. Stop messing around. Our daughter is here. Donghuang Baiji shouted out. Baiji, are you saying that if our daughter isn't here I can do it? Go and die. What a hypocritical woman. Although you are saying that you don't want to do it, your body has already fallen into my embrace. Yihua laughed lightly. Donghuang Baiji said in disdain, you definitely cast a spell on me. If not, how would I be like this? Baiji, don't lie to yourself anymore, you do like me. Bullshit. Donghuang Li, who was on the bed, rubbed her eyes, then turned her head around and looked towards her father and mother, then cried out in surprise, Daddy, Mommy, have you two reconciled? Ali is too happy. Yihua let go of Donghuang Baiji and carried his daughter into his embrace. Daddy has forgiven Mommy. That's great, Daddy is so handsome. After saying that, Donghuang Baiji kissed Donghuang Baiji. Soon after, Donghuang Baiji didn't forget to kiss her mother as well. What a harmonious family of three. However, Yihua knew that if he wanted to make the two of them submit to him wholeheartedly, this was not enough at all. Yihua had been thinking for the entire night. Because back in the storage room, Donghuang Baiji's concern had touched Yihua. This meant that only when I am in danger would they reveal their sincerity. From the looks of it, I have to hold the second meeting today to discuss how to make me in danger without losing his honor's face. Baiji, bring Ali to wash up and eat breakfast, I have something to do. Yihua said and walked out of the office. Donghuang Baiji carried her daughter. Ali, do you like Daddy a bit more? Or do you like Mommy a bit more? Ali likes both of them. Donghuang Baiji pinched onto her daughter's little nose lovingly. You little fellow, you also know how to play dumb. Ali loves Mommy the most, Mommy loves Ali too. The relationship between the mother and daughter slowly warmed up. After all, the previous Donghuang Baiji was very strict, and the current version of Donghuang Baiji was more like a mother. Seeing that Qingye was going upstairs, Donghuang Baiji shouted out, Qingye, there is something that I need your help with. And? Qingye was very puzzled. Come in and talk. Donghuang Baiji appeared to be very sneaky, as if she was afraid of being discovered by Yihua. Qingye could tell that Donghuang Baiji seemed to have a way to help Yihua, and thus, Donghuang Baiji entered Qing Yutong's room stealthily. Sit. Donghuang Baiji said with a smile. Qingye asked curiously, you seem to be in a good mood today. Upon hearing Qingye's question, Donghuang Baiji's expression immediately changed. Who is in a good mood today? Qingye, do you still remember the matter that we talked about yesterday? Donghuang Baiji asked. You are talking about leaving this place? Donghuang Baiji nodded her head. Chapter 240. Donghuang Baiji naturally knew that. After all, as a woman who was once an empress, her way of thinking would definitely be different. Qingye, what we need to do is very simple. As long as we anger Yihua, he will let us go. Are you sure that you want to let us go and not spank our butts? Qingya didn't believe it. That fellow loves to spank and touch people's butts. Dong Huang Baiji wasn't very sure. Why are you in a hurry to go out? Qingya asked curiously. Dong Huang Baiji let out a breath. I have a very urgent matter to deal with at home. The two women became silent. Qingya's gaze could be seen revealing a firm look. Let's try, isn't it just a spanking? In any case, I am pregnant and he won't spank me but you. I have Ali. Dong Huang Baiji was smart now, she looked for her daughter for help. The two women looked at each other and smiled. If we go out, where do you plan to go? Dong Huang Baiji asked while pouring a cup of water for Qingya. This was the first time Dong Huang Baiji poured a cup of water for someone after she became an empress. Qingya shook her head. I don't know. Let's go to my place. After all, my place is safe and suitable for nurturing the fetus. Children are more important. Qingya didn't dare to go back, and she also didn't want to go back to her home in Gaohai City. Qingya sighed. Let's see if we can get out first. All right. While the two women were planning to break out of the prison in the office, Yi Hua successfully held the second meeting in the toilet. Yi Zizi, Wei Chang, and Lai Gu stood respectfully in front of Yi Hua, waiting for his honor's orders. I am currently facing the biggest crisis in history, Yi Hua said gravely. The three shouted out in unison, subordinates are willing to solve your honor's problems. Very good. I have decided to learn from humans and become a hero to save the beauties. Yi Hua seemed to have already seen Qingya and Dong Huang Baiji being so touched that they would pounce into his embrace, then act coquettishly. His beautiful life was about to begin again, and in the future he would also be a person who would be hugging beauties on his left and right. While fantasizing, Yi Hua revealed an arc on the corner of his mouth. Yi Hua pouted her small mouth and said, But your honor, those heroes that saved the beauties that we met in the past didn't end up well, they were all killed by us. Zizi, are you saying that I can't be a hero and save the beauty? Yi Hua, who was a little complacent just a moment ago, immediately became serious. Zizi said sweetly, Zizi is a girl. Of course, I know what the madams are thinking. Although the hero saving the beauty can make them feel better, it can't achieve the best effect. After all, the hero saving the beauty is a bit old. Hearing what Yi Zizi said, Yi Hua also felt that this was an old trick. The two of them are so smart, if they were to see through this old trick, it would be awkward. My reputation would be ruined because of this old trick. Wei Chang, tell me. Wei Chang wrinkled his brows and said in a deep voice, Your honor, since ancient times, heroes have always found it hard to resist the charms of a beautiful woman. However, there is a need to lay the foundation in order to win the heart of a beautiful woman. Yi Hua's eyes lit up. Seems like Wei Chang has improved. Go on. The hero saving the beauty is a good idea, but in terms of the result, we should be more outstanding. Wei Chang smiled, thinking that this method was feasible. Lai Gu immediately slapped his thigh. I understand. Gluttonous monster's meaning is to let your honor display his godly might and let the madams be immersed in your honor's heroism and be unable to extricate themselves from it. Lai Gu cried out in surprise. I didn't expect that this gluttonous monster is becoming more and more intelligent. Yi Hua felt that it wasn't that it was impossible, but it was lacking something. Yi Hua said faintly, Ever since I came here, I have never come across any danger, let alone any danger that threatened my life. Your honor, what subordinate is talking about is this point? Wei Chang explained. Yi Hua indicated to Wei Chang to continue speaking. The madams love your honor, that is an undeniable fact. This bootlicking was done well, causing Yi Hua to feel happy. However, because of some matters, the madams hid their sincerity. What your honor needs to do is to reveal the sincerity of the madams. Wei Chang, that is exactly what I am thinking, just that I don't know what method to use. Yi Zizi suddenly said, If your honor is going to die, I reckon that the madams will definitely not be able to sit still. Wei Chang nodded his head. That's right, on the basis of this hero saving the beauty, we should increase the difficulty by a bit. Lai Gu slapped onto his thigh once again. I understand. Your honor is going to be the hero saving the beauty, and after defeating the enemy with great difficulty, you ended up suffering from serious injuries. If you do that, the madams will definitely be touched to death. This time Lai Gu finally guessed correctly. Yi Hua took out a cigarette and lit it up. Since we are going to act out a hero saving the beauty, then we have to make it a bit more realistic. We have to see blood with every move and we have to have people die. We have to have a big scene, only then will it be shocking. Your honor, leave these things to subordinate. Subordinate will go and look for the actors to cooperate with us. Wei Chang smiled. Lai Gu raised his hand and shouted out, I will be the bad guy. Wei Chang, you will be the bad guy too. Your identity cannot be discovered by the madams. As for Yi Zizi, forget about it, it will be too easy for the madams to recognize you. Yi Hua had already decided, victory or defeat will be determined by this battle. Suddenly thinking of something, Yi Hua said, then doesn't that mean that I have to chase them away? The three subordinates nodded their heads seriously. If I don't chase them away, how am I going to act out this show? Then later on I will think of a way to chase them away. Lai Gu, you take care of their safety and wait for my command. Subordinate obeys. Yi Hua waved his hand, all of you can leave now, let me think of a way to chase them away. After walking out of the toilet, Yi Hua sat on the bar counter and pondered. If I don't say some ruthless words to them, what should I do if they don't leave? If I say some ruthless words to them, what should I do if they become heartbroken? When that time comes, don't even talk about being a hero saving the beauty, what should I do? Just as Yi Hua was pondering, Qinya and Donghuang Baiji walked down from the bar, and their expressions were still that bad. In actuality, Qinya and Donghuang Baiji were very nervous. After having a discussion just now, they had come up with a series of plans to break out of the prison. The first plan was to anger Yi Hua, and there were only two consequences. One was to let Yi Hua go and the other was to get spanked. And when Yi Hua saw the two women walking over, if he were to flip out and chase them away, there would be too many situations that would happen. Also, what reason should he use to flip out? That is the problem. I am also a reasonable person and I would never act recklessly. The two women winked their beautiful eyes at each other, indicating that the show had begun. The two women walked towards Yi Hua at the same time, and just as they were about to get close to Yi Hua, Donghuang Baiji's body became unstable and fell into Yi Hua's embrace. Yi Hua, what is the meaning of this? You are hugging another woman in front of me. Qinya immediately scolded out. Her imposing manner caused Yi Hua to be stupefied. However, Donghuang Baiji stood up angrily. Yi Hua, you actually touched my butt just now, you old hooligan. Alright, you even touched her butt, Yi Hua. Qinya have misjudged you. Yi Hua was currently in a stupefied state. What are we doing? Qinya and Donghuang Baiji were also very puzzled. I have already scolded out like this, why aren't you reacting? It would be good if you show some expression, don't be so silly. Chapter 241. The atmosphere couldn't be so awkward. The two women hurriedly thought of a countermeasure. Yi Hua, don't you have anything to explain? Qinya shouted coldly. Yi Hua felt that this was an opportunity that was delivered to his doorstep, and it just so happens that I can chase them away. What the hell are you two doing? Do you want to get beaten up? Yi Hua shouted out with a straight face. However, not knowing why, Yi Hua wanted to laugh, thus his expression was a bit distorted. But in the eyes of the two women, this situation was too good. Donghuang Baiji shouted out in anger, you only know how to use domestic violence. I've had enough, I want to leave you. I've had enough too. I want to go out. You can't lock us up. Yi Hua was stupefied. This is too easy, isn't it? I, the Supreme Overlord, didn't even chase them away and they want to leave by themselves? This is great. But he couldn't show it, much less let them see it. Impossible. Yi Hua shouted out. Qinya and Donghuang Baiji knew that this would happen, and they stared at Yi Hua with their beautiful eyes. And when Yi Hua saw that the two women were no longer resisting, he cried out in distress. Was my tone just now too heavy? If he had known this would happen, he would have let them leave just now. Now that they refused to leave, he had really shot himself in the foot. It seemed like it was time to test his acting skills. I, the Supreme Overlord, will let you see what is called acting skills. Qinya and Donghuang Baiji took a look at each other. Seems like we still have to rely on our acting skills. If the two of you dare to walk even a bit, I will beat your butts into mush. Yi Hua shouted out fiercely, and his acting was a bit exaggerated. But in the eyes of the two women, it wasn't exaggerated at all. It was just this kind of expression. If you have the guts, come and fight me. Donghuang Baiji shouted out. Not to be outdone, Qinya said, if you don't spank my butt today, then you are a grandson. Fine, you forced me to do this. Yi Hua waved his hand, and the two delicate beauties automatically flew over to Yi Hua. With their buttocks raised, the two beauties appeared in front of Yi Hua. This position was definitely a blessing, 100% blessing. Imagining two beauties with their buttocks sticking out in front of him, tsk, he could only imagine it himself. Yi Hua raised both of his hands and slapped towards Qinya. Yi Hua used a bit of strength, and Qingya's side was in a slightly better condition. Papa, Yihua. I can't stand you anymore, you are domestic abusing me, I want to leave. Qingya bawled loudly. Qingya's acting was pretty good, in actuality she didn't feel any pain at all, it was more or less the same as caressing. Meanwhile, Donghuang Baiji was truly feeling a bit of pain. Yihua, you bastard, it hurts so much. I want to leave you, tyrant. I want to leave too. Yihua was overjoyed. I was just waiting for you two to say this. After stopping the whipping, Yihua said gravely, Are you all really going to leave me? This tone, this deep tone, it was simply the call of an infatuated man to his beloved wife. Seeing that the two women were not speaking anymore, Yihua wished that he could slap himself. Why did I have to be so flirtatious? What if I don't want to leave? Yes, we have to leave. Seeing how certain the two women were, Yihua felt at ease. Mommy, why did you leave Daddy? Dong Huangli suddenly ran over, pulled onto Donghuang Baiji and asked. Yihua hugged onto his daughter and said gravely, Ali, Mommy doesn't want us anymore. Donghuang Baiji really wanted to smack Yihua's butt. What the hell is this? This is completely slandering me. After I finish my matter, I still have to come back here. Ouch. What's wrong with me? I still want to come back. Qingya, are you really going to leave me? Yihua's pair of deep black eyes looked at Qingya, and traces of tenderness could be seen within. Who said that the Supreme Overlord doesn't have any acting skills? The Oscars owe his honor a golden man. Qingya didn't dare to look straight at Yihua's gaze. I want to go out and calm down. Alright, since the two of you have already decided, I will let the two of you go. From today onwards, Ali and I will live together, all of you scram. Yihua hugged onto his daughter, turned around and then waved his hand. The seal on Donghuang Baiji's body was removed, and the seal on Purity Bar was removed as well. Looking at Yihua who was hugging onto Donghuang Li who was crying, Qingya and Donghuang Baiji couldn't bear to watch anymore. However, thinking about how bad Yihua was, Qingya clenched her teeth and walked out of the bar. Donghuang Baiji wrinkled her brows. Ali can be at ease with Yihua, I will explain everything to Ali when I come back. After the two women walked out of the bar, Donghuang Baiji asked, Qingya, have you made your decision? And since I don't have anywhere else to go, I will just go to your place first. Qingya said powerlessly. After walking out of the bar, she couldn't bear to part with Donghuang Baiji. Donghuang Baiji nodded her head. She felt that something was amiss. Qingya, don't you feel that Yihua is acting very strange today? Yesterday he wanted to lock us up for our entire lives and yet today he is letting us go so easily? As expected of the Empress, she immediately realized what was going on. If Yihua's performance just now wasn't on point, she would definitely be even more suspicious of him. Perhaps he really gave up. In actuality, Qingya felt very uncomfortable in her heart. Yihua really doesn't want me anymore. Donghuang Baiji let out a deep sigh. She didn't know if what Yihua did was right or wrong. Yihua stood in the office and looked at the two women, then said, Hurry up and leave, don't dawdle anymore. Daddy, how can you let Mommy go? Yihua smiled and explained to his daughter. He didn't want Ali to really think that Mommy doesn't want her anymore. After hearing her father's explanation, Donghuang Li immediately understood. Daddy is still the formidable one. Mommy and Aunt Qing were both deceived. Daddy, this isn't lying, this is love. And Ali understands. Donghuang Li had a look of, I am an experienced person, causing Yihua to laugh out loud. When Yihua looked downstairs and saw that the two women were already nowhere to be seen, Yihua felt relieved. Lai Gu, are you keeping up? Your Honor, this Madame Donghuang is a bit formidable. Lai Gu followed Donghuang Baiji to Voidless Realm, and upon seeing the scene in front of him, Lai Gu was shocked. What do you mean? Lai Gu let out a sigh. I also don't know what to say. I saw that those people were all kneeling down to welcome Madame Donghuang. So awesome. Yihua was also very astonished. Soon after, Yihua said, Lend me your eyes and let me take a look. With the help of Lai Gu's eyes, Yihua was able to see the scene. As expected of my woman, this Empress style is indeed very strong. It is causing my desire to conquer her to become stronger and stronger. Lai Gu, continue to protect the two of them and wait for my orders. Yes. Right now, Qingya was also very stupefied. With a Bayou sound, I felt as if I had arrived at another world, and everyone in this world was kneeling down to welcome Donghuang Baiji. And she was actually the Empress of this place. My God. Not only is she a cultivator, she is also an Empress. Qingya immediately lost her confidence. Compared to Donghuang Baiji, I am only rich, I am too useless. The 8 elders hurriedly rushed over and said gravely, "Welcome, Your Majesty. You may rise." "Your Majesty, Ying family is going to attack us 3 days later. Your Majesty, please lead us and fight against the enemy," Yuanda shouted out gravely. Soon after, everyone in Voidless Realm started shouting out, causing Qinya's blood to boil. Donghuang Baiji's beautiful eyes became serious. "Since they dare to come, then let's make sure that they will not be able to return. Our Majesty is mighty. Our Majesty is mighty. Our Majesty is mighty." What they didn't know was that their empress was being molested by Yi Hua last night. Chapter 242. Donghuang Baiji was a bit embarrassed. Right now the battle was about to start. Donghuang Baiji said, "Qinya, do you want to go back or continue staying here? If you stay, I will ensure your safety." "Stay here," Qinya said faintly. "If I were to go back now, wouldn't I be completely suppressed by Yi Hua? In the future I would definitely be bullied by Yi Hua. However, from what Yi Hua said, it seems like he doesn't plan to look for me anymore. I might as well learn from Donghuang Baiji and give birth to the child myself. And how about you stay in Ali's courtyard? That place is quieter and safer." Donghuang Baiji was still very concerned about Qinya. "Both of us are women who have a hard life. Why should I make things difficult for Qinya?" After making arrangements for Qinya, Donghuang Baiji began discussing with her 8 subordinates about the battle strategy to make sure that Ying family won't be able to return alive. Yi Hua was currently in a good mood and he was currently in the 4th row. "Daddy, Ali's 98k is for you." "Papa, I'll give you Ali's high magnification scope." "Papa, Ali's level 3 armor is for you." "Daddy, I'll give you Ali's level 3 helmet as well." Being taken care of by his daughter, Yi Hua felt very touched. Not only was he taken care of by his daughter, but he was also carried by his daughter to win PUBG. This was a little hurtful. He had to teach his daughter not to cheat in games. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi sat at the side and lightly smiled, not saying a word. Of course, Donghuang Li wouldn't allow the child to play games all day and night. It would be fine as long as it was appropriate. In the afternoon, Donghuang Li began to practice her cultivation technique, while Yi Hua was thinking about how to be a hero and save the beauty. For example, what lines to say and so on. All of those lines have to be shocking and moving, and I have to move the beauty to death. I won't be able to leave them even for a second. Before he knew it, he had arrived at the storage room. When he saw the few boxes of mahogany, he immediately contacted Wei Chang. "How did Death Mage send these things over?" "Replying to your honor, subordinate doesn't know either. Let subordinate ask around first." "Hurry up." After Wei Chang finished asking, Wei Chang immediately replied, "Your honor, these are the betrothal gifts that Death Mage snatched from a power called Voidless Realm." Yi Hua laughed lightly. "So she is the Empress of Voidless Realm. However, I seem to have heard of this Voidless Realm somewhere before. Sounds so familiar." Yi Hua and Wei Chang seemed to have thought of the same direction. "Your honor, I heard from Death Mage that the negotiations seem to have broken down, and the battle will start 3 days later." Yi Hua's expression froze. "My subordinate's power went to beat up my wife's power? Isn't this too much of a coincidence?" "Your honor, this is a great opportunity." Yi Hua wrinkled his brows. "What do you mean?" From the start, subordinate had planned to let Ying family be the extras. But now there is no need for us to arrange any plot at all. When the time comes, his honor can just appear and save the damsel in distress. Yi Hua thought for a bit. This idea of Wei Chang's is feasible, and it will save me quite a bit of trouble. Furthermore, it has also fulfilled my requirements of having a big scene. Alright. 3 days later we will take down Voidless Realm in one go. Yes, Your Holiness. After ending the call, Yi Hua carefully thought about it. This is simply killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I can even take over Donghuang Baiji's power. Death Mage, you have done well in snatching, you have given me my wife and daughter, I will be greatly rewarded. Next, Yi Hua could only calmly wait for the hero to save the beauty 3 days later. I cannot be careless with this matter. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi would definitely not be able to participate in the performance this time around. The 2 of them would only cause trouble, and when the time comes, it would be awkward for them to be exposed. And this time, one side was Ying family and the other side was Voidless Realm. Ying family attacked, Voidless Realm defended. The bad guys would be Wei Chang and Lai Gu. Death Mage and Sun Fang cannot appear after all, both of them had been exposed before. Yi Hua was rather cautious. Meanwhile, Wei Chang and Lai Gu had to change their identities and go. Of course, I have to inform Ying family about this matter. If I were to appear and make everyone kneel down, what is there to save? Of course I have to fight for real. With Wei Chang and Lai Gu suppressing Voidless Realm, it is certain that Voidless Realm will lose. In the end, when I appear in front of the two women while riding on a five-colored auspicious cloud, I don't believe that the two women won't be moved. This plan can only succeed, it cannot fail. This plan concerns the harmony of the entire family. This kind of noise is making me tired. Ying family. Wei Chang had already told Death Mage and Sun Fang about the plan, and also expressed his honor's attitude towards this matter. If the plan were to be messed up, the consequences would be very serious. After Death Mage and Sun Fang found out about the plan, they first went silent for a moment, then went to look for Ying family's patriarch. Right now it was already the middle of the night and most of the people had already fallen asleep. Sun Fang walked in front of Death Mage. After all, from the identity that Yi Hua gave to Sun Fang's status in Ying family was higher than Death Mage, and Death Mage was at most just an assistant. Lord Sun. The Imperial Guards who were standing at the entrance were startled and hurriedly kneeled down. Sun Fang's expression sunk. This is a big matter, if something were to happen I will have to take responsibility. The main point is that I did not participate in such a big matter. How am I supposed to control the situation? My head hurts. Sun Fang waved her hand and directly walked into Ying Jingshan's bedroom. The maids who were waiting outside hurriedly kneeled down and cried out, Lord Sun. Ask your family patriarch to come out for a moment. Sun Fang sat on a small stone bench outside of the bedroom, and Death Mage stood behind her. That vigilant gaze of his seemed to be saying, whoever dares to be disrespectful to my ugly woman, I will kill them all. The maids looked at each other. Even the family patriarch is resting? Hurry up, don't make me wait too long. After interacting with Death Mage, Sun Fang unknowingly became a bit vicious, and she was no longer as gentle as before. Without waiting for the maids to leave, Ying Jingshan, who was wearing his pajamas, opened the door and walked out. All of you can leave first. The maids had a nervous look on their faces as they bowed and left. Lord Sun, why are you looking for subordinates so late at night? Ying Jingshan arrived in front of Sun Fang and cupped his hands. Sun Fang looked at Ying Jingshan, and the latter hurriedly lowered his head. Lord Sun is very strange today, her complexion is so bad. His honor has ordered that he will send 2 people to assist you all in attacking Voidless Realm. Ying Jingshan was overjoyed and immediately kneeled down and shouted out, His honor is a wise person, he loves us so much. Sun Fang said faintly, the 2 people that his honor sent out are only to assist you all, and they will only take action when you all are in danger. As for the rest, you all still have to rely on yourselves. Even if that was the case, Ying Jingshan was still overjoyed. It's fine, this is Ying family's matter to begin with. For his honor to be willing to help us, we are already extremely honored. Ying Jingshan's attitude made Sun Fang feel satisfied. From the looks of it, his honor is able to accomplish his goal with this move of his. His honor is indeed extremely intelligent. Yi Hua, I am only going to let them be extras, that's all. Ying Jingshan stood up and said with a slight smile, Is it Lord Sun and Death Mage? Sun Fang shook her head. Ying Jingshan finally understood why the 2 of them had such a gloomy look on their faces. It turns out that his honor didn't send the 2 of them to attack Voidless Realm. Sun Fang stood up and warned one last time, if his honor appears, do not pay attention to him and do not bow to him. Just act as if you don't know him and do what you are supposed to do. Remember this point because this matter concerns our lives. After hearing what Sun Fang said, Ying Jingshan's heart sunk. He didn't dare to be careless in the slightest. Lord Sun, please be at ease, I will make the arrangements. Chapter 243. Ying Jingshan, who was standing in the courtyard, had his brows tightly wrinkled. His honor is going to appear on that day as well? Why did he appear? Could it be that he is planning to subdue Voidless Realm? The possibility of that happening was extremely high. Ying Jingshan immediately called for a clan meeting to discuss countermeasures. At that time, when his honor really appears, everything will proceed according to the plan. All of Ying family's people must keep their mouths shut, lest they ruin his honor's plans and lead to the destruction of Ying family. Everyone was guessing what the purpose of his honor's operation this time around was. If his honor wants to exterminate Voidless Realm, just a single Death Mage would be more or less enough. Yet, his honor actually sent out 2 Death Mages, and furthermore his honor is even going to send out Death Mage himself. It seemed like he didn't want to destroy it, but to subdue it. Everyone in Ying family seemed to be a bit happy. Finally, not only am I enslaved, I am also accompanied by Voidless Realm, and I am no longer lonely. Next would be the Ji family. They could either submit or be exterminated, which was actually a very good choice. If they were destroyed, that would be the best. Then the South would be the only winner. Within Voidless Realm, right now, everyone was busy preparing to receiving family's attack. Dong Huang Baiji personally made arrangements for Voidless Realm soldiers and officers, and after consoling them, Voidless Realm's morale was ignited. Everyone became excited. After all, this was Voidless Realm's first battle in several hundred years. Qinya stayed in Ali's courtyard, and she was sitting in the pavilion in the courtyard with a gloomy expression while looking at the stars in the sky. It had only been less than a day and Qinya was already starting to miss Yihua. Actually, from Yihua's point of view, it seemed that he wasn't wrong. Could it be that I was too willful? Qinya was a bit hesitant. What if Yihua really doesn't come to look for me? Seems like I have really been captured by Yihua. Qinya, why aren't you resting yet? Dong Huang Baiji suddenly appeared in the courtyard. Dong Huang Baiji had just finished her inspection and came over to check on Qinya's situation. Qinya forced out a smile. I was just about to go, are you alright? Dong Huang Baiji sat opposite to Qinya, and the maid immediately came over to pour tea for her. Not really, Ying family is going to attack the Voidless Realm the day after tomorrow, and at that time rivers of blood will definitely flow. Dong Huang Baiji let out a deep sigh. I wonder how many people from Voidless Realm will be left after the Voidless Realm battle starts. Embarrassed, Qinya said, I am truly ashamed that I wasn't able to help you. Qinya, don't say it like that. This has nothing to do with you in the first place. Dong Huang Baiji laughed lightly. She felt that Qinya's personality was rather good, and they could be considered to be able to get along well with each other. If you need money, I still have some here. Yihua won quite a lot of money. I don't want his money. Dong Huang Baiji snorted coldly. Qinya laughed. In actuality, Yihua is quite formidable. If he were to come over, you would be able to relax a lot. I'm not going to go and beg him. This is a battle between Voidless Realm, what's the point of having him come here? Dong Huang Baiji naturally knew how formidable Yihua was. For him to be able to seal me, Yihua's strength was definitely above mine. If Yihua were to come and help me, he would definitely be a good helper. However, the prideful Dong Huang Baiji would definitely not go and beg Yihua. Baiji, to be honest, you still like Yihua, right? As they chatted, the two women began to talk about men. You too, right? Both women had tacitly agreed. Everything was understood without words. However, to Yihua this kind of situation was even better. Right now, he only needed to light up the fire in their hearts. Qinya, you should rest early, I will bring you around tomorrow. Alright, you should rest early too. Although the two women liked the same man, they seemed to be very courteous towards each other, and they could barely be considered as friends. However, if Yihua wanted to make the two women be like Lai Gu and the other women, he still had to work hard. After all, the two of them were not ordinary women. If Yihua wanted to have a woman on his left and a woman on his right, a big show might not be able to satisfy him, but it would definitely be able to make their relationship become better. 3 days passed by very quickly, and the entire Voidless Realm was in a state of nervousness. Over 10,000 fully armed warriors were gathered at the entrance of the barrier, and there were even 1,000 cavalries in the sky. The mounts were golden crow wings, spiritual beasts raised by Voidless Realm, and their battle prowess was extraordinary. Those heart feathers were just like black iron blades, and they were able to kill without leaving a trace. Right now, Dong Huang Baiji was standing in the sky. Dong Huang Baiji was wearing a dragon-patterned purple gown, and her pair of beautiful eyes were filled with coldness and arrogance. Behind her were 8 elders, and all of them were holding on to various types of ancient godly items. Dong Huang Baiji, who was standing in the sky, was emitting out an astonishing spiritual pressure. She looked down at all of the officers and soldiers and shouted out, Officers and soldiers, the war is coming, every inch of land is an inch of blood. For Voidless Realm. Die a worthy death. Tens of thousands of officers and soldiers knelt down on one knee and shouted out in unison, For the Empress. For Voidless Realm. The resounding sound resonated throughout the entire Voidless Realm, and even Qinya, who was standing in the courtyard, heard it. Qinya thought to herself, if I have the ability, I would be able to help as well. Unfortunately, I am just a flower vase that is being protected by everyone. Dong Huang Baiji, who was in the sky, slowly closed her beautiful eyes. When she opened her eyes again, her pair of eyes had become golden, and a drop of blood slowly rose into the sky. The blood of East Emperor, I pray for the descent of an ancient godly beast. In an instant, the entire sky looked as if it was on fire, and a terrifying might seemed to be slowly descending. A huge figure spiraled above the red clouds, and the rumbling sounds coming from the red clouds could be heard, causing people to feel fear. A huge beast swooped down. The wings on its body were golden in color, and its head was shaped like an eagle. The only difference was that it had 3 sharp claws, and its pair of eyes carried an aura of contempt. This beast's name was Three-Legged Crow, and it was an ancient godly beast. At the same time, it was also one of Voidless Realm's trump cards. It was similar to the one summoned by Sun Yi. The difference was that one was a child and the other was an adult. Furthermore, this three-legged crow was actually similar to Ying family's Heavy Dust. One was a godly beast while the other was a ferocious beast. When everyone saw the descent of the godly beast, their confidence increased greatly, and they immediately began cheering. Long live the Empress! Long live the Empress! The three-legged crow landed beside Donghuang Baiji, then shook its feathers and a golden halo spread out. All of the generals and soldiers felt that they had an inexhaustible amount of energy, and they wished that they could directly slaughter their way out. This was the benefit of being a godly beast, having a halo effect. However, ferocious beasts did not have such a passive effect. The battle was about to begin. Outside of the Void Realm, on a land of yellow sand. Suddenly, a white light flashed and 8,000+ people appeared. There was also a huge beast. It was precisely the ancient beast, Heavy Dust. That red nail polish was very eye-catching, but Heavy Dust did not feel that it was ugly at all. On the contrary, it felt that it was glorious, and sometimes, it would even flaunt its beautiful nail polish. Family head, His Honor's people have yet to appear. What should we do? Right now, Ying Shang family was also fully armed, and with an ancient godly item in his hand, the battle today will definitely be a bloodbath. The silver armor that Ying Jingshan was wearing was very eye-catching, and the might that was being emitted from it was very shocking. This silver armor that Ying Jingshan was wearing was also an ancient godly item. A big shot is a big shot, and an ancient godly item is just like an appetizer. Ying Kongshi said faintly, "Wait." Chapter 244. In the bar. While Yi Hua was drinking wine, Wei Chang and Lai Gu were standing behind him, waiting for the latest instructions. "You guys go first. Remember to act real. However, don't hurt Baiji either." Yi Hua lit up a stick of cigarette and said faintly, "Yes. Yes." Wei Chang appeared to be calm, while Lai Gu appeared to be very excited. Voidless Realm. The 8,000-strong army quietly waited. This caused Donghuang Baiji, who was within the army, to tightly wrinkle her brows. "Your Majesty, this is not good." Xing Han stepped forward and said. Donghuang Baiji naturally knew about this. They are waiting for someone. Looking at Heavy Dust, who was outside Voidless Realms, people shook their heads. How does this look like a ferocious beast? Heavy Dust is actually scratching an itch like a dog, and furthermore Heavy Dust is even wearing that beautiful nail polish, and is even showing off there. Voidless Realms barrier allowed one to see the outside world from the inside, while the outside world would not be able to sense the outside world. A black vortex suddenly appeared in front of the Ying family's army. All of the Ying family's soldiers were on high alert, while Ying Jingshan waved his hand. A black shadow walked out of the vortex. It was Wei Chang, who had come to play the role of the bad guy. Ying Jingshan was overjoyed. As expected, the person that His Honor sent over is truly formidable. Although His Honor isn't emitting any pressure from his body, it is precisely this calmness that makes people revere him. The people in Voidless Realm also saw Wei Chang, and towards the shadowy figure, everyone was very puzzled. However, Donghuang Baiji's gaze became even more grave. Ying family has invited a helper over. Shameless. Something even more shameless came. Dragon roars resounded through the sky as a terrifying spiritual pressure swept across the land. Even Heavy Dust was trembling in fear. The black dot in the sky grew larger and larger. A huge bone dragon descended from the sky, stirring up a terrifying sandstorm. It was precisely Lai Gu who obtained His Honor's permission to reveal his true body and act as the bad guy. The Ying family was dumbfounded. The people from Voidless Realm were dumbfounded. Although Lai Gu's true body was smaller than Heavy Dust, it was small yet powerful, small yet durable. At this moment, Ying Jingshan was stupefied. This bone dragon was truly powerful. He felt even more powerful than the giant water devil god. Donghuang Baiji's expression was gloomy. The skeletal dragon is too strong. Where did it come from? and that shadowy figure, it seemed like they were together. Of course, Wei Chang wouldn't stand on Lai Gu, because Lai Gu was his honor's mount. Other than his honor having ridden on Lai Gu before, only Yi Zizi had ridden on Lai Gu once. Don't worry, your majesty. This barrier was set up in the ancient times. If they want to break in, they will definitely suffer heavy losses. Yuanda said. How could Dong Huang Baiji not know how powerful this barrier was? However, her sixth sense as a woman told her that this barrier would not be able to stop them. Ying Jingshan, who was outside, naturally knew how powerful Voidless Realm's barrier was. Lord, can you help me open this barrier? Ying Jingshan shouted in a deep voice. Wei Chang looked at the barrier not far away. What's wrong? You can't even open such a barrier? Lord, this barrier can be opened, but we will lose a lot of people. Ying Jingshan hurriedly explained. Wei Chang thought for a bit. If I were to kill half of the people outside of the barrier, Voidless Realm's advantage would be very big. After all, I and Lai Gu aren't here to kill the madam's subordinates, they are here to put on a show. Thinking of this, Wei Chang made a decision and flicked his finger. A black mist that looked like a black needle came into contact with the barrier, but the black mist did not pierce through the barrier. Instead, like a kind of strange life form, the black mist gradually covered the barrier and spread out. In a blink of an eye, the black mist attached itself onto the barrier like a spider web, and the barrier emitted out a strong spiritual might, seemingly wanting to struggle free from the disgusting black mist. However, it was useless. The black mist was like a domineering man and gradually wrapped around the woman in his embrace. Bang! A piece of the barrier shattered, and soon after, more and more people from Voidless Realm appeared in front of Ying Jingshan's eyes. Everyone had astonished expressions on their faces, especially Dong Huang Baiji, who was in the sky. Her small mouth was slightly opened. Ying Jingshan was the first to react. He pulled out his ancient godly item, pointed his sword towards Voidless Realm, and said with killing intent, Kill! Kill! 8,000 Ying family soldiers rushed into Voidless Realm. Heavy dust roared towards the sky and directly crashed into a floating mountain, shattering it into pieces. The three-legged black beast beside Dong Huang Baiji let out a roar, and Heavy Dust's gaze became serious. Monstrous fury was ignited at this moment. The godly beast and the ferocious beast had always disliked each other, and thus, both sides immediately started fighting against each other. In just an instant, over 100 people had already fallen onto the ground, and the death toll was still rising. Dong Huang Baiji shouted out and rushed straight towards Ying family's family head, Ying Jingshan. Meanwhile, the 8 elders were fighting against Ying family's clansmen. A life and death battle started. Wei Chang and Lai Gu walked into Voidless Realm unhurriedly, and after entering the barrier, they restored it back to its original state. The two stood in the sky and watched the battle quietly, ensuring that Voidless Realm's side was in a disadvantageous position. If not, how was his honor going to save the damsel in distress? Although Dong Huang Baiji was fighting against Ying Jingshan, her gaze would occasionally fall onto Wei Chang and Lai Gu. Originally, Dong Huang Baiji thought that they would start a massacre, but they didn't. They seemed to be watching the show from the side, and from time to time, they would kill a few people for fun. This made Dong Huang Baiji very angry, but at the same time she was also very helpless. If they were to make a move, Voidless Realm would probably be destroyed in an instant. However, they didn't help Ying family too much, and it seems like they are waiting for someone. It must be said that Dong Huang Baiji's feelings were too scary. If she were to find out about this, I reckon that she would not be able to get along with Yi Hua for the rest of her life. The tragic situation was escalating on both sides. Blood had already formed a river on the ground, and countless people were lying on the ground. More than half of Ying family's members had already fallen, and out of the 8 elders from Voidless Realm, only 3 remained. The battle between Heavy Dust and the 3-legged Golden Crow was also very shocking. Both of them had wounds left behind by the other party, and blood was flowing non-stop. The battle was too tragic. However, right now Dong Huang Baiji was gradually suppressing Ying Jingshan. As expected of the North's gang leader. Right now, Ying Jingshan had a lot of wounds on him. Although the wounds weren't fatal, they weren't feeling good either. And on the other hand, Dong Huang Baiji's attacks were getting more and more ferocious. Lai Gu, this family head is still useful, don't let the madam kill him. Furthermore, it is about time for the main show to begin. Right now, Wei Chang was the representative of intelligence, and Lai Gu naturally had to listen to him. He didn't want his honor to be troubled by the family matters anymore. Lai Gu shook his dragon tail and immediately became startled. Why did I shake my dragon tail? I should have roared out. Brr. A dragon roar suddenly rang out, and Lai Gu charged towards Donghuang Baiji. Donghuang Baiji, who was just about to take Ying Jingshan's life, immediately retracted her hand, then quickly dodged to the side. Lai Gu thought to himself, Madam sure is formidable. However, his honor had said to let you suffer a bit. Who asked Madam to be disobedient? In that case, don't blame subordinate, it is all his honor's idea. Divine Dragon Tail Whip. The dragon tail, which brought along a gale, attacked towards Donghuang Baiji. The latter's expression changed. Immediately placing the ancient godly item in front of her body, she quickly formed hand seals. However, this was Lai Gu's attack. No matter how formidable an ancient godly item was, it would not be able to block this attack. Donghuang Baiji's body flew back like a cannonball and crashed onto a mountain. See, Lai Gu, do you want to get roasted by his honor? To attack so heavily. Wei Chang was greatly startled, and he wished that he could break Lai Gu. Lai Gu also panicked. I really didn't do it on purpose, I just casually swung my dragon tail. Chapter 245. Ying Jingshan, who was saved by Lai Gu, carried an incomparably grateful heart as he kowtowed and thanked Lai Gu. However, Lai Gu didn't have the mood to thank Lai Gu. Lai Gu wished that he could slap this trash to death, causing him to slap his wife away. Donghuang Baiji's body could be seen sinking deep into the mountain, and blood could be seen flowing out from the corner of her mouth. However, she did not give up, ferociously attacking towards Lai Gu. Lai Gu, if you injure Madame Donghuang again, his honor will cut you into pieces. Wei Chang warned. Lai Gu is also in a very difficult situation. If I were to intentionally go easy on Madame Shui, the madam would definitely be able to tell, and if I don't go easy on Madame Shui, the madam would be injured. It is really hard to be a subordinate. Voidless Realm was gradually being suppressed by Ying family. Donghuang Baiji was currently fighting against Lai Gu, and all kinds of small injuries appeared on Donghuang Baiji's body. All of them were lacerations. This caused Donghuang Baiji to be very puzzled. He was obviously able to kill me, yet he only gave me a small injury. Just what is the meaning of this? Wei Chang panicked a little. From the expression on Madame Donghuang's face, he could tell that she was starting to suspect something. It couldn't go on like this. Lai Gu, injure the madam and make the madam lose the ability to fight. Oh knock, Lai Gu could be seen opening his huge mouth and letting out a dragon roar. Donghuang Baiji, who was very close to him, had a huge change in expression, and the spiritual energy within her body became extremely chaotic, causing her to spurt out a mouthful of blood. Looking at the corpses on the ground as well as the soldiers who were gradually retreating, Donghuang Baiji's heart sunk to the bottom. Lai Gu was a bit flustered and he shouted out in his heart. Madam, quickly run, what are you blanking out for? I vow to protect Voidless Realm with my life. Donghuang Baiji shouted out, then actually attacked towards Lai Gu again. When the soldiers saw the Empress disregard her own life and continue to fight against the evil bone dragon, a surge of strength surged in their hearts, and the blades in their hands became even more ferocious. Lai Gu was about to collapse. What should I do? The script has gone astray. Wei Chang was also anxious. Madame Donghuang was really a woman who was not inferior to a man. No wonder his honor likes her so much. Only a woman like her is worthy to be his honor's wife. But right now the problem is, the madam is not afraid of death anymore. Gluttonous monster, hurry up and think of something. If I continue to hide, madam will become suspicious. Lai Gu didn't dare to touch Donghuang Baiji anymore. If he were to touch Donghuang Baiji again, madam might not be able to bear it. Wei Chang bellowed, what's wrong with you? Why does madam still have the strength to fight? I'm afraid that I will make madam faint from my loud roar. It will be very hard to control. Lai Gu was very depressed. This situation was just like when Death Mage fought against Xiao Yi. He could have instantly killed Xiao Yi, but the order he received was to injure Xiao Yi. It was just that he was too strong, so strong that any one of his moves could instantly kill him. It was too difficult to injure him. Lai Gu was in such a situation. Fortunately, even if he were to be reckless, he would not die like Death Mage. Haven't you finished yet? I have already waited for half a day. Yi Hua's voice rang out in the ears of the two. Wei Chang said hurriedly, Your Honor, give subordinate a bit more time, I will be done immediately. Madam's battle prowess is a bit high. Be careful, don't hurt this sovereign's woman. I'm already injured. Lai Gu wanted to cry but had no tears. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have accepted this job. I originally wanted to come here to act cool, but in the end, forget it, Lai Gu, be a bit more careful, don't hurt the madam. Wei Chang warned gravely. Lai Gu had no other choice but to stretch out his dragon claw and accurately poke onto Dong Huang Baiji's ancient godly item. Bang! The ancient godly item immediately broke apart, and a huge amount of energy burst out from the broken ancient godly item, sending Dong Huang Baiji flying away. Lai Gu was stupefied, Wei Chang was stupefied. After a long while, Wei Chang said coldly, Lai Gu, if you continue like this, you will really be stewed by his honor. I didn't do it on purpose. Lai Gu wanted to cry. The quality of this ancient godly item is truly not good enough. It broke with just a poke. Dong Huang Baiji landed outside the palace. When the soldiers saw that their empress was sent flying, they immediately rushed over to protect her. There were only 3 elders left, Yuan De, Xing Han, and He Xian. Your Majesty. Yuan De hurriedly checked on Dong Huang Baiji's injuries. Fortunately, her life is not in danger. Ying family surrounded Dong Huang Baiji and the others in a defensive formation. If it wasn't for Wei Chang and Lai Gu's help, Ying family would indeed not be able to come out alive today. On the other hand, Dong Huang Baiji had the ability to kill Ying Jingshan. Without the Ying family head, Ying family's morale would definitely plummet. Unfortunately, this is only if the morale of everyone in Ying family soared. Ying Jingshan even shouted, Empress, if you knew this would happen, you wouldn't have acted in the first place. For your Ying family to actually ask for help, aren't you afraid of becoming a laughingstock if word of this spreads out? Dong Huang Baiji slowly stood up and shouted out coldly towards Ying Jingshan. The winner is the king and the loser is the bandit. Your Majesty should understand this, right? Alright, Ying Jingshan is starting to put on an act. Now that the fight has reached this point, his honor should also appear and subdue Voidless Realm. Just that, what method is his honor going to use to subdue Voidless Realm? This empress is very arrogant. Dong Huang Baiji snorted, my Voidless Realm never surrenders. As expected of a heroine, I Ying Jingshan admire you. Looking at her subordinates that were drenched in blood, Dong Huang Baiji let out a sigh of relief. I didn't expect that Voidless Realm would actually be destroyed in my hands. From the looks of it, I'm going to die here today. Ali, in the future you have to listen to Daddy, Mommy cannot accompany you anymore. Thinking about her daughter, Dong Huang Baiji revealed a tender look on her face. Although Dong Huang Baiji had been taught a lesson by Yi Hua for the past few days, Dong Huang Baiji had truly accompanied her daughter. Recalling Yi Hua's face in his mind, Yi Hua thought to himself, Yi Hua, take good care of our daughter, don't let her feel wronged. If there is a next life you must come downstairs and meet me, then we will be able to live happily together. Baiji. Dong Huang Baiji was startled. Seeing Qinya running over, Dong Huang Baiji shouted out loudly, Qinya, what are you running out for? Go back quickly. Baiji, what happened to you? Qinya hurriedly held onto the weak Dong Huang Baiji. Dong Huang Baiji shook her head, Qinya, I can't do it anymore. I'm sorry I got you involved in this as well. We can go call Yi Hua over. Qinya said hurriedly. At this kind of moment of crisis, there was only one person that appeared in her mind, and that person was Yi Hua. Dong Huang Baiji laughed bitterly, it's too late. Qinya, take good care of Yi Hua in the future. What are you planning to do? If we can't beat them we can run. Dong Huang Baiji shook her head, if I run away what are they going to do? Qinya, I will get someone to bring you away from here. In the future, Ali will have to depend on you. What nonsense are you saying? Ali needs your care, and Yi Hua definitely doesn't want to lose you as well. Dong Huang Baiji smiled sweetly, he doesn't want to lose you even more, hurry up and leave. If he were to find out that I abandoned you and left, wouldn't he whip me to death? Let's leave together. A mouthful of blood flowed out from Dong Huang Baiji's mouth once again, and the blood flowed onto Qinya's clothes. Your Majesty, you retreat first, we will hold up the rear. Yuan De and the others shouted out while standing in front of Dong Huang Baiji. Dong Huang Baiji fell into Qinya's embrace and mumbled, if Yi Hua comes I will forgive him for being so heartless. And we will forgive him together. Wei Chang and Lai Gu were overjoyed, and they hurriedly informed his honor. Yi Hua was currently holding onto his daughter and waiting anxiously, and suddenly, a message came over. Ali, stay at home properly, Daddy will go and bring Aunt Qing and Mommy back. Yi Hua said with a smile. Dong Huangli clenched her small fist, Daddy, you can do it. Everyone in Voidless Realm was in despair. Facing against a powerful enemy, even the Empress didn't have any combat strength left. The ancient divine beast had also fallen to the side, and the ancient ferocious beast was the same as well. The entire voidless realm felt as if it had been bombarded by a cannon. Suddenly the sky changed and rumbling sounds could be heard. A rainbow-colored auspicious cloud floated over from afar, and there was a shadow on top of the rainbow-colored auspicious cloud. That's right, the shadow is Yi Hua. Just now, Yi Hua wore a set of handsome armor at home and he even had his hair sliced back. Furthermore, he seems to have put on a bit too much hair wax, but that doesn't matter as long as he is handsome enough, it is fine. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji stared blankly at the rainbow-colored auspicious cloud that was flying over, and the shadow on top of the rainbow-colored auspicious cloud. Tears of joy flowed out from the corners of their eyes. At the moment of life and death, Yi Hua didn't abandon us this time. He came. He really came. Yi Hua lightly leaped onto the ground and landed in front of the two women with a calm look on his face. Looking at the back view in front of them, the two women were moved to tears. Meanwhile, Yi Hua silently took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up, then pointed it towards Wei Chang and the others and said faintly, "You cannot afford to offend my women." Chapter 246. Yi Hua's appearance made everyone stupefied, especially at Voidless Realm's side. Looking at this majestic-looking man, then looking at the weak empress who had tears on her face, they seemed to have thought of something. Adding on this man's opening line, it was confirmed. Meanwhile, Jingshan completely did not understand his honor's intentions. His honor wants to protect the empress, yet he wants me to attack the empress, and the main point is that he wants me to keep it a secret. From the looks of it, his honor is also a romantic person. Firstly, he can win over the beauty's heart, and secondly, he can subdue the entire voidless realm. Why not? Admirable. Right now, Yi Hua did not turn his head around. In actuality, he really wanted to turn his head around and look at their expressions, but in order to create a better atmosphere, he cannot turn his head around. The show had just started. Wei Chang, what are their expressions? Yi Hua asked curiously. Your Honor, the madams are all crying. Lai Gu was also extremely happy. Your Honor, the madams are truly moved. That's good, but what I want is not just to be moved, I want them to be dead set on me and not be able to leave me for even a second. Continue with the show. Yes. Yes. Who are you? Without waiting for Wei Chang to say his lines, Jingshan snatched Wei Chang's lines. From this, it could be seen that his acting skills are not bad. Yi Hua had a new view of this Jingshan. His brain works very fast. You bunch of salted fishes think that you are worthy of knowing my name, fools? Yi Hua said coldly. Yi Hua had a look of, I am number one under the heavens, especially when he was smoking. Qingya, who was at the back, laughed lightly, then said to Donghuang Baiji, his acting cool after smoking syndrome is acting up again. But I like the current him. Donghuang Baiji muttered. This back view suddenly became so tall and big, and that shattered heart of hers slowly started to heal. Qingya looked at Yi Hua's back view and said with a smile, I like him too. Hearing the words of the two women at the back, Yi Hua became very excited. He wished that he could turn around and teach them a lesson right now. Who asked you to run away? Now you know the importance of me. Jingshan frowned slightly. This frown of his was just right, vividly displayed that expression of, dare yet not dare. Your distinguished courage is truly admirable. It is hard to find a person who is as passionate as your distinguished. Wei Chang and Lai Gu were both stupefied. This Jingshan is so eloquent. Even when he was glaring at me, he didn't forget to flatter me. Meanwhile, everyone from Ying family seemed to have discussed this beforehand, and they were praising Yi Hua endlessly. Some of the words spoken by some people even caused goosebumps to appear on everyone's body. Right now, Yi Hua seemed to have been described by Ying family as a god who had descended to the mortal world, a man who was able to hold the pass against 10,000 enemies by himself. Furthermore, for the sake of his true love, Yi Hua was even willing to disregard his own life. When such discussions fell into the ears of the two women, their pair of beautiful eyes became even more tender. If it wasn't for the fact that there were too many people at the scene, the two women would have already pounced into Yi Hua's embrace and started talking about how much they missed each other. Wei Chang, what's the situation with the two of them? Yi Hua secretly asked. Your Honor, it's done. Wei Chang said excitedly. Yi Hua calmed down. All right then, let's add more fuel to the fire. Looking at Jingshan, Yi Hua said slowly, I didn't expect that my intentions and character would actually be seen through by you. If you want to bully them today, you'll have to ask me first. Yi Hua. They are very powerful, especially those two. Donghuang Baiji said concernedly. Yihua didn't turn his head around and said faintly, "When men speak, you women just have to obediently watch. You are indeed domineering. You are the most domineering person I have ever seen." As he spoke, he even cupped his hands. His acting skills were off the charts. The members of the Ying family all expressed that they had never seen such a domineering man, and they all expressed their respect for him. Donghuang Baiji naturally heard what Yihua said as well. Donghuang Baiji felt that the moment Yihua arrived, the entire scene became different. Even the enemies were praising Yihua non-stop. Donghuang Baiji felt that as long as Yihua waved his hand, all of the winners would listen to his orders. One couldn't help but say that Donghuang Baiji's sixth sense was extremely terrifying. If she were to know that all of this was just an act for them to see, she would definitely collapse. Yihua flicked away the cigarette butt and said gravely, "It is better for you to speak less of these flattering words. Let's see who's more powerful. Let me test the depth of your martial arts." Wei Chang slowly walked out. Everyone in Voidless Realm held their breaths. From the very start, this shadowy figure had not moved at all. This shadowy figure might be the most terrifying existence in the entire Voidless Realm. "Yihua, don't go," Donghuang Baiji said anxiously. Yihua still didn't turn his head around and said faintly, "I will bring you two home later. 1,000 words cannot compare to a family." Qingya and Donghuang Baiji were truly moved by Yihua. Right now they were willing to do whatever Yihua wanted them to do. Yihua slowly floated into the sky, and a long blade appeared in his hand. The blade was emitting out killing intent, causing everyone to exclaim in admiration. As expected of an expert, "If your excellency is able to win against me, I will retreat." Wei Chang began walking according to the script. Yihua snorted, "Want to leave? How can it be that easy?" After finished speaking, Yihua slashed down with his blade. Wei Chang shouted out loudly, "Come at me! Your excellency's martial arts indeed astonish me. Ah! To be able to block my blade, I will consider you to be quite capable. Your excellency, I am going to use my true abilities next." Just what I wanted. The two of them spoke according to their script, causing everyone below the stage to become extremely excited. Such a powerful duel, even if they were to just watch it, they would be able to comprehend something. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji's beautiful eyes were filled with worry. "Yihua, you must not get into any trouble. If you die, we won't be able to continue living on our own." If Yihua was able to hear their confession, he would definitely be excited to death. Lai Gu raised his head and looked at his honor and Wei Chang. Such good acting skills, no wonder Wei Chang left such an important role for me. If I were to play the role, I would definitely lose a lot of influence. Shadow flow consecutive slash. Yihua's hand trembled, and the golden blade light appeared exceptionally dazzling, seemingly as if it was going to connect the heaven and the earth, causing everyone to exclaim in admiration. Wei Chang said with a deep voice, "Your Excellency's blade technique has already reached the acme of perfection," causing me to exclaim in admiration. However, it is still not enough. Dark acupoint. A black whirlpool could be seen condensing in front of Wei Chang, and the numerous blade lights were directly devoured by the whirlpool. Soon after, all of the blade lights were reflected back. The numerous blade lights that brought along destruction attacked towards Yihua. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji, who were below the stage, didn't dare to look anymore. Yihua shouted out coldly, "You dare to be impudent in front of me with insignificant skills." Yihua raised the blade in his hand high up and slashed down. A blade energy that was even more powerful than the previous blade energy emerged, and the color of the world changed. Wei Chang said faintly, "Your Excellency is indeed formidable, then I will not hold back anymore. Come, let me see your strength. Your Excellency will have to be careful then." Wei Chang's body suddenly erupted with a power that could destroy the world, and the entire voidless realm was trembling. And under this terrifying power, the blade energy that Wei Chang sent out just now turned into thin air. Chapter 247. Right now, Jingshan was truly speechless. Death Mage is already very formidable, but this shadowy figure is even more formidable than Death Mage. Furthermore, there is also the Bone Dragon at the side. Just how many formidable subordinates does his honor have? Yuanda was shocked to the point that he was speechless. After a long while, he said, "Empress's husband is truly formidable." He Xian nodded his head. "These two are the strongest people I have ever seen. This kind of battle is unprecedented. For Empress to have such a husband, we can finally be at ease." Xing Han sighed repeatedly. How could Donghuang Baiji have the mood to listen to those things right now? Her beautiful eyes were fixedly staring at the sky. Wei Chang's entire body seemed to have turned into a black fog, and that black fog was like a blade stabbing out from all kinds of weird angles. Streams of berserk aura engulfed Voidless Realm, and the scene looked just like the end of the world. Of course, this was just a fight for show. If they were to really fight, this place would have long turned into ruins. Everyone was imagining the result of the fight with the shadowy figure. There was only one result, and that was being insta-killed. The speed of the two could be seen becoming faster and faster, to the point that they had already disappeared. Qingya mumbled, "Where are they?" Donghuang Baiji tightly wrinkled her brows. This kind of battle is not something we can imagine. It is possible that they have entered into another space. Let's just wait quietly. Inside the bar, Yi Hua placed down the blade in his hand, poured himself a cup of wine, then raised his head and drank it. Comfortable. Congratulations, Your Honor, the madams firmly believe in you. Wei Chang knelt down on one knee to express his sincerity. Yi Hua turned around and said, Wei Chang, your contributions this time cannot go unnoticed. You can ask for anything that you want. I will agree to anything. It is my duty to share His Honor's worries. Wei Chang said respectfully, carrying incomparable sincerity. Yi Hua sat on the high chair and said faintly, Wei Chang, during these 5 years, I have seen the changes that you have undergone. You have indeed improved a lot. To be able to receive Your Honor's praise is the biggest reward for subordinate. Subordinate will definitely pledge my loyalty to you. And I am looking forward to your performance in the future. Subordinate will definitely not disappoint Your Honor. After pouring himself another cup of wine, Yi Hua said gravely, This hero's saving the beauty scene is more or less done. There won't be much use if we continue acting. I feel that it is time for us to reverse the situation. Your Honor is wise. Subordinate feels the same way too. It's just that subordinate is afraid of harming Your Honor's holy body. Yi Hua let out a sigh. In the past, I felt that the love and affection of those humans are all illusory. What's the use of having love and affection? However, after coming into contact with Qingya and the others, only then did I understand how to be a qualified husband. For the sake of this family's harmony, what harm is there for me to suffer a little injury? It seemed that there was a trick of injuring oneself to gain the confidence of others behind this act of saving the damsel in distress. It was truly interlinked and impossible to guard against. For Qingya and Donghuang Baiji to get together with such a man, it was unknown whether it was a blessing or a disaster. Your Honor, subordinate feels that such a small injury won't be effective. Oh. Wei Chang said gravely, subordinate believes that His Honor is going to suffer a serious injury. This way the madams will be even more loyal to His Honor. After all, for the madams, His Honor is even willing to give up his life. And that makes sense. Yi Hua nodded his head. Then he asked, Then what is considered a serious injury? Your Honor, subordinate feels that by temporarily pretending to lose his cultivation and become paralyzed, the madams will definitely feel guilty towards His Honor, and from there they will take good care of His Honor. And His Honor will be able to enjoy the care of the madams every day, and he won't even need to move his hands. Yi Hua looked at Wei Chang blankly, then slammed onto the table. Wei Chang, you are truly smarter than Zhu Tian. If I become paralyzed, then I will have to be taken care of by the madams. Things like bathing, peeling crayfish, massaging, they will have to properly serve me and I will only have to move my mouth. There is nothing better than having them serve me. Subordinate is also doing this to make His Honor happy. Just that, subordinate feels apologetic for having to harm His Honor's holy body later on. Wei Chang, there is no need for you to apologize. This is all for my family, it has been hard on you. Subordinate is afraid. Wei Chang deeply lowered his head. Lighting up a stick of cigarette, Yi Hua said faintly, It's time for me to suffer a bit. Your Honor, the props have all been prepared. Wei Chang could be said to be very responsible, everything had been properly arranged. Yi Hua laughed lightly, What I want is authenticity, I will not do things that are fake. Wei Chang sighed with emotion, then said sincerely, For the sake of the madams, His Honor did not hesitate to harm himself. From this, it can be seen that His Honor's comprehension of human nature has increased by another level. Subordinate is truly ashamed. Human nature is truly a good thing, I am starting to like it more and more. After finished speaking, Yi Hua extinguished the cigarette. Soon after, Yi Hua slapped onto the armor that he was wearing, and cracks appeared on the armor. The armor that was originally covering his entire body revealed his shoulders, and his waist was also shattered. From the looks of it, Yi Hua seemed to have suffered from a huge attack. Afterward, Yi Hua used both of his hands to poke his hair, making it look a bit more decadent. Afterward, Yi Hua took out a small knife and made a wound on his body. Furthermore, it was the kind of wound where the skin and flesh were split open. Without blood to serve as a foil, how could it be visually shocking? Then Yi Hua casually wiped his face a few more times, and with that his task was completed. Qingye, Donghuang Baiji, for the sake of the two of you, I did not hesitate to harm myself. From now on, the two of you have to be obedient. I will not do such a thing next time. Waving onto the mirror, Yi Hua asked, Wei Chang, how do I look like? Your Honor, subordinate admires you. Yi Hua lit up another stick of cigarette, then discussed with Wei Chang about the lines and moves that he was going to use next. Within Voidless Realm, everyone was waiting for the two to appear, but 30 minutes had already passed, and the two had yet to appear. This caused Qingye and Donghuang Baiji to be extremely nervous, fearing that something bad would happen to Yi Hua. Suddenly, two figures appeared in the air once again, and the two could be seen quickly separating from each other. Everyone couldn't help but take in a breath of cold air. There was no change to the shadowy figure, but Yi Hua appeared to be very weak. The armor that was on his body was already broken, and blood was everywhere on his body. His face was pale, and he looked as if he was going to die soon. Yi Hua! Yi Hua! The two women shouted out towards Yi Hua, who was in the air. Their tears were like a dam bursting, and their hearts felt as if it was being twisted by a knife. Yi Hua was delighted. I didn't waste my effort and conscience. Yi Hua blinked his eyes towards Wei Chang. Wei Chang immediately understood what Yi Hua meant. His figure flashed, and a lump of black fog sent Yi Hua flying. Very accurately, Wei Chang landed in front of Qingye and Donghuang Baiji. When Lai Gu saw how ruthless Wei Chang was, he thought to himself, Aren't you afraid that his honor will kill your Xiao Tang? Don't you know that his honor had praised Wei Chang just now? For the sake of shocking Yi Hua, Wei Chang used quite a bit of strength when he smashed Yi Hua's body. Yi Hua. The two women sprinted over and carried Yi Hua, who was in the hole, into their embrace. Yi Hua was feeling very happy in his heart, but he wasn't able to show it out. This kind of feeling was truly painful. Qingye felt very guilty as she wiped off the bloodstains on Yi Hua's face in a flurry, then said while crying, Yi Hua, don't scare me. Chapter 248. Yi Hua slowly raised both of his hands and used his bloodied fingers to wipe off the two women's tears, then said weakly, The two of you are so disobedient, I really want to spank the two of you. You're still thinking of lecturing us at a time like this? Donghuang Baiji cried out. Although Donghuang Baiji was wearing an empress gown, she no longer had the aura of an empress. Qingye said, Yi Hua, I promise that I will listen to you in the future. Nothing will happen to you. Yi Hua looked towards the sky and mumbled, I really want to go home with you all. After finished speaking, Yi Hua wanted to puke out a mouthful of blood, but in the end, no matter how much he tried to puke it out, he was unable to do so. Only after he secretly poked himself did he have a reaction. Sure enough, with the addition of vomiting blood, the scene was even sadder. This demeanor. He was vomiting blood. These lines. Filled with longing and longing for home. This year's Best Actor award belongs to you. Wei Chang, who was in the sky, was also shocked by his honor's acting skills. All of this was done on the spot, especially that last line of his honors. It was just too awesome. Sure enough, as soon as he said that, the two women burst into tears. Yi Hua snickered in his heart, and he was about to be unable to hold back his laughter. In actuality, during these 2 days, Yi Hua had specially gone to ask Qing Yutong about acting skills. Just like in Iron Man 1, the protagonist's last sentence, I am Iron Man. Actually, the line was not like that, but it was this kind of improvisation that created the next series. The atmosphere at the scene became sentimental, and the people from Voidless Realm all felt that the Empress's husband was amazing. It was a man. He had come here alone and fought against the shadowy figure. Facing such a powerful figure, he had persisted for so long. He had not come here for fame but to bring his wife home. He was a true man. Voidless Realm's officers and soldiers seemed to have been infected by Yi Hua, and their eyes turned red. The members of the Ying family were all dumbfounded. Was this an act? Why does it feel so real? From the looks of it, Yi Hua's goal had been achieved, and he managed to deceive even his own people. Wei Chang felt that it was about time. Today's matter should have come to an end. Slowly landing, Wei Chang said indifferently, Your courage is admirable, you are a true hero. What else do you want? The two women could be seen protecting Yi Hua behind them. As an ordinary person, Qin Ye's courage was commendable. Seeing these two foolish women standing in front of him to protect him, Yi Hua's heart felt warm. This kind of feeling was something that he had never felt before. He had also experienced the feeling of being a death mage and his heart was at peace. Wei Chang sighed with emotion in his heart. The madams are truly great, to be able to protect his honor even in this kind of situation. However, the script still has to continue. I admire the two of you. Even in such a situation where there is such a great disparity in strength, you are still protecting your husband. It would not be an exaggeration to say that you are a heroine. Wei Chang's flattery skills had already reached the pinnacle. Of course, it was also improvised. After a pause, Wei Chang asked, "Are you willing to die for the man behind you?" Qingya and Donghuang Baiji slowly stood up and stood in front of Yi Hua. Their meaning couldn't be any more obvious. If Yi Hua wants to kill our man, then he will have to step over our corpses. Your Honor, it is time to wake up, I can't continue acting anymore. Wei Chang hurriedly contacted Wei Chang. Alright, Yi Hua felt great in his heart. Next up, it's my turn to go on stage. You two silly women, I don't need your protection. Yi Hua pulled the two women behind him. Yehua. Yehua. Yi Hua shouted out coldly, back down, if not, I will kill the two of you. Alright, Yi Hua is now the master of the situation. He is able to shout at Qingya and Donghuang Baiji, and the two of them are still extremely touched. As expected of a big swindler, he doesn't even have to pay with his life. Wei Chang seemed to have been stunned by Yi Hua's actions and said gravely, Your distinguished is still able to stand up even after receiving such a heavy injury, this tenacity of yours is enough to convince me. If your distinguished is able to receive a palm strike from me today, I will retreat. Yi Hua, don't. The two women immediately stopped Yi Hua. Yi Hua is already in such a state, if he were to receive a palm strike from me, he will definitely die. Yi Hua silently took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up, seemingly like he was tasting the last cigarette in his life. Looking at Yi Hua's smoking posture, the people from Voidless Realm fell into a sorrowful atmosphere, let alone the two women, they were about to faint from crying. When Wei Chang and Lai Gu saw how his honor was acting for them, they simply prostrated themselves in admiration. His honor truly doesn't let go of any opportunity to act cool. The time it took to finish a stick of cigarette was very fast. After flicking away the cigarette, but Yi Hua raised his head slightly and said faintly, Qingya. I'm here. Qingya said hurriedly while supporting Yi Hua. Properly give birth to our child in the future, I won't be able to take care of you anymore, and I also won't be able to let you hug me when you sleep. Everyone listened to Yi Hua's passionate confession before his death. Even the people from Ying family were deceived by Yi Hua's acting. This is too touching, I really want to cry. So there is actually such a man who is so infatuated with love in this world. Qingya shouted out, Yi Hua, I won't allow you to die. Without you, how am I going to be able to sleep at night? If you are going to die, I will buy a bunch of dolls. That's fine, let the dolls replace me then, but those dolls must have my name written on them. Hearing what Yi Hua said, Qingya was already sobbing uncontrollably. Baiji. Yi Hua called out lightly, seemingly as if he was leaving behind his last words. Yi Hua, I'm here. Donghuang Baiji held on to Yi Hua's other side. Yi Hua asked calmly, do you still hate me for not meeting you back then? I hate you. F***K, I am already in such a state and you still hate me? Do you even have a bit of conscience? But I hate you for wanting to leave me again. You scared me so much that I jumped in fright. Baiji, it's a pity that I won't be able to properly compensate you. Take good care of Ali, let her know that Daddy sacrificed himself to save Mommy. No? You have to take care of Ali together with me, Ali can't live without a father. Donghuang Baiji shouted out with heartache, and that hoarse voice of hers caused everyone's heart to shatter. Wei Chang and Lai Gu felt that his honor's acting was very lively, and they were almost moved by it. It seems like his honor is really going to die. If I am given another chance, I will definitely go downstairs back then and not let you down. From start to finish, Yi Hua was looking at the sky, but it was precisely because of this that everyone felt that Yi Hua was so cool. I know, Yi Hua, don't leave me again. In actuality, the reason why Yi Hua was looking at the sky was because he was about to not be able to hold it in any longer and was about to laugh out loud. However, when Yi Hua laughed out loud, his life would definitely change drastically. In the future, he would only have the life of being a loner. Alright, the two of you take good care of each other in the future, your husband will be leaving first. Yi Hua lightly pushed out with both of his hands, restraining Qingya and Donghuang Baiji to prevent them from disturbing him. Yi Hua! Yi Hua! The two women's heart-wrenching screams resounded throughout Voidless Realm, and everyone was affected by this touching love story. Yi Hua slowly rose into the sky while carrying his weak body, then said coldly towards Wei Chang, "You better keep your promise. I didn't expect that your distinguished would sacrifice yourself for the sake of your true love. I am far inferior to your distinguished." Chapter 249. Stop with these flattering words, come. Yi Hua shouted out gravely, and his body that was originally slightly bent gradually straightened up. Although it was just a small detail, it was the detail that determined success or failure. That kind of great figure was immediately engraved in people's hearts, which had already exceeded the scope of acting. Wei Chang went into a slight daze. As expected, his honor is formidable. Wei Chang shouted out, "Since your distinguished has decided, then I won't be polite anymore." Turbulent energy suddenly burst out, the color of heaven and earth instantly changed and thunder rumbled. Facing against this berserk aura, Yi Hua's expression remained unchanged. This courage of Yi Hua's caused the people from Voidless Realm to exclaim in admiration endlessly. Everyone said that the Empress has found a good man. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji sat on the ground and looked at their man foolishly. If I had known that it would be like this, I wouldn't have quarreled with Yi Hua. After today, even if I wanted to quarrel with someone, there wouldn't be anyone to quarrel with. Donghuang Baiji became even more regretful. If I didn't go and ask for Yi Hua's hand in marriage, Ying family wouldn't have attacked Voidless Realm, and Yi Hua wouldn't have died miserably. But there was no medicine for regret in this world. Berserk energy was currently gathering, and the black figure could be seen immediately transforming into a huge palm that carried a power that seemed to be able to destroy the world and attack Yi Hua. Of course, Wei Chang wouldn't really slap his honor's body over. If he were to slap his honor's body would definitely not be able to endure it, and his honor's body would be revealed. If that was the case, his honor would be finished. Just as it was about to touch Yi Hua's chest, it retracted all of its power. But even if it was to be recycled, the effect of the scene still had to be created. The special effects were absolutely conscientious. The huge air wave engulfed the entire Voidless Realm, and the mountains that were floating in the sky collided with each other one after another. It could be seen that Voidless Realm was going to have to be renovated. Yi Hua nodded towards Wei Chang, then puked out a mouthful of blood and flew out. He fell directly in front of the two women. His entire body was lifeless and he looked no different from a dead person. Donghuang Baiji stared blankly at Yi Hua, then suddenly puked out a mouthful of blood and fainted. To her, this kind of blow was too big. Donghuang Baiji had just reunited with Yi Hua, and there were still a lot of things that she wanted to talk to him about. Donghuang Baiji didn't expect that they would be separated by life and death so quickly. At this moment, Donghuang Baiji's maiden heart died, and she fell asleep together with Yi Hua. On the other hand, Qingya did not faint. Her expression was a bit sluggish, as if she had become stupid. No one at the scene spoke. They didn't even dare to breathe too loudly. A hero like this had gone through a difficult battle, but in the end he still fell. The people from Voidless Realm were in great pain. The members of the Ying family were completely dumbfounded, and they couldn't even tell if it was true or not. Wei Chang began to make his closing remarks. This person's bravery is like that of a celestial being. I am sincerely convinced. Today's matter ends here. Sorry for disturbing you. Wei Chang was very satisfied. From now on, his honor's life should be filled with happiness. As his honor's subordinate, I am also endlessly happy. The people from Voidless Realm let out a sigh of relief. Ying Jingshan came back to his senses, then cupped his hands towards Yi Hua and said, "You are the most affectionate man that I have ever seen. I am ashamed." Everyone from Ying family cupped their hands towards Yi Hua. It was fortunate that they did not kneel down, if not, the dead Yi Hua would definitely jump up. The battle finally ended, and the Ying family began to evacuate. "You can't leave." His voice wasn't loud, but it reached everyone's ears. His tone was very cold and filled with pain. It made the listener feel especially uncomfortable, as if their hearts were blocked. Ying Jingshan said to Qingya apologetically, "Please restrain your grief. You can't leave." Qingya's voice was filled with certainty, and it was also filled with Qingya's obsession towards Yi Hua. Yi Hua, who was lying on the ground, felt his heart sink. "I am not dead yet. Why didn't you come over and check on me?" "Wei Chang, what happened to Qingya?" Yi Hua hurriedly contacted Wei Chang. Wei Chang said gravely, I don't know, the madam is acting very strangely. Lai Gu was also very confused. Your Honor, the madam's expression is a bit strange. You guys take a good look at me. If anything happens to Qinya, I will stew you. Yi Hua was also a bit panicked. The plot was going well, why did something unexpected suddenly occur? Wei Chang said hurriedly, Madam, please calm down, why don't you check on your husband first? Yi Hua wished that he could slap Wei Chang to death. This sentence of yours has too many loopholes. Right now Wei Chang was also panicking. Fortunately, Donghuang Baiji had fainted, and Qinya didn't listen to what Wei Chang said. You guys are going to be buried together with my husband. A roar resounded throughout the world. Boom. A ray of white light descended from the sky and immediately enveloped Qinya within it. A huge amount of spiritual energy gathered around Qinya, and the surrounding people couldn't help but retreat as they stared dumbfoundedly at the ray of white light that descended from the sky. Wei Chang was stupefied. Lai Gu was stupefied. Everyone in Ying family's jaws were about to drop onto the ground. Voidless Realms people were stupefied. Yi Hua also sensed the change in Qinya and he was also extremely astonished. What is going on? Is Qinya going to become Ultraman? The ray of white light that descended from the sky became denser and denser, and it even brought along a godly might, which was very similar to Donghuang Baiji. Yuanda sensed it and his eyeballs were about to pop out. Yuanda wasn't the only one who sensed the special godly might, Xing Han and He Xian had also sensed it. This is Nuwa's bloodline. She is actually Nuwa's descendant. Ing Jingshan looked at the ray of white light blankly. No wonder His Honor would treat them like this, each of their identities is more powerful than the other. Even Nuwa's bloodline has appeared. This also means that another crisis is descending. According to rumors, during the ancient era, the Heaven Emperor gave an order to suppress the humans, but the humans resisted. Thus, the Heaven Emperor sent out Nuwa to destroy the humans and recreate the humans that worship the gods. Who knew that Nuwa would disobey the Heaven Emperor's order and descend to the mortal world to protect the humans? The celestial ruler was furious. He removed Nuwa's godly record and sent out godly generals to destroy the earth. Nuwa led the humans to resist the celestial ruler. In the end, Nuwa died of exhaustion. Her descendants flowed into the human world and protected the humans for generations. However, in the end she was still going against the gods. Nuwa's descendants became fewer and fewer, until today, when Qinya awakened her bloodline. Many people felt it. If such a thing didn't happen, Qinya wouldn't be able to awaken in this lifetime. Qinya's rage was soaring. Qinya actually broke through the strange seal and awakened the Eastern Emperor bloodline within her body. One must know that even Donghuang Baiji has yet to awaken the Eastern Emperor bloodline. Because the Eastern Emperor bloodline can only be inherited by males, that was the reason why Yuanda was so anxious to let the Empress give birth to a male child. When Yi Hua sensed the aura that Qinya was emitting out, he was extremely shocked. Although she is a bit weaker than Wei Chang and the others, she is still stronger than Death Mage. As expected of my wife, she is able to give me surprises one after another. Wei Chang, why are you still standing there? Run. Before Wei Chang could even react, the white light that descended from the sky instantly disappeared. Right now, Qinya seemed to have completely changed into a different person. Even the clothes that she was wearing had changed. Qinya was wearing a cyan-colored silk gown that was embroidered with butterflies and green patterns. Her hair was coiled into a unique cloud bun, and the godly might that was emitting out from her body couldn't help but make people have the urge to kneel down. Right now, Qinya had completely changed. Saying that she was a fairy would be an understatement. She was a true goddess-like figure. Wei Chang looked at Qinya blankly, and Qinya disappeared from where she was standing. Wei Chang was startled. A berserk aura came from behind Wei Chang. Chapter 250. Qinya had indeed gone berserk. She wanted to kill all of these people and bury them together with Yi Hua. Qinya's eyes were as cold as ice. The current Qinya was even more inhumane than Yi Hua. Wei Chang did not dare to injure Qinya. After all, he had already injured one of them. If he were to injure another one, it would be hard to say. Wei Chang's figure flashed and dodged Qinya's attack, then immediately teleported everyone to Ying family's island. Madam's might is too terrifying. Luckily I didn't bring Death Mage over today, otherwise I would have definitely been killed by the madam. Qinya's beautiful eyes turned cold, and she prepared to chase after Yi Hua. Wei Chang underestimated Qin Ye's desire for revenge too much. Yi Hua's death caused Qin Ye's heart to be torn apart. If not for her awakening, Qin Ye reckoned that she would have already died, together with Yi Hua. That was why Yi Hua almost went overboard this time, and right now he was not much better off. Feeling that Qin Ye was going to chase after Yi Hua and start a massacre, Yi Hua had no choice but to wake up. If he didn't wake up now, it would be hard to clean up the mess. Qin Ye, Yi Hua shouted out weakly, but he did not open his eyes, seemingly as if he was talking in his sleep. Qin Ye, who was preparing to chase after Yi Hua, went into a daze. She slowly turned her head around and looked towards Yi Hua, then instantly appeared beside Yi Hua and pressed onto Yi Hua's chest. Her originally cold expression suddenly loosened up, and tears of joy flowed out from her eyes. Yi Hua let out a sigh of relief. Finally, there is someone who came to check on me. If I was really injured, it would be very awkward for you all to leave me here. In actuality, I can still be saved. It can only be said that Yi Hua acted too much. Everyone thought that he was dead. Qin Ye could be seen carrying Yi Hua in her embrace and said tenderly, "Yi Hua, let's go home." In an instant, the three disappeared from Voidless Realm. Inside the bedroom, Qin Ye placed Yi Hua and Donghuang Baiji on the bed. Right now, Yi Hua's armor had already disappeared, and the wounds all over his body caused Qin Ye's heart to break. Yi Hua's external injuries were rather easy to deal with. Qin Ye's delicate hands lightly caressed onto Yi Hua's chest, and Yi Hua's entire body could be seen emitting out a faint white light. The wounds on Yi Hua's body gradually healed. However, Qin Ye discovered that there was not a single bit of spiritual energy left within Yi Hua's body, and even his nerves were broken. This meant that not only did Yi Hua lose his power, he also lost the ability to move. Qin Ye blamed herself very much, but as long as Yi Hua is still alive, even if he is paralyzed, I will still take care of him for my entire life and properly love him. In the past, it was Yi Hua who protected me. Then, from today onwards, it will be me who will protect Yi Hua and not allow him to come to any harm. Donghuang Baiji's injuries were still fine, it was just that she had fainted due to grief. Qin Ye easily woke up Donghuang Baiji. The Donghuang Baiji who woke up had a pair of empty eyes, as if she was just an empty shell. "Baiji, Yi Hua didn't die," Qin Ye said tenderly. Spirit could be seen gradually returning to Donghuang Baiji's gaze. Soon after, Donghuang Baiji suddenly sat up and held onto Qin Ye's hand. "Qin Ye, is what you said true?" Qin Ye smiled lightly, "You will know once you take a look." Donghuang Baiji didn't notice that Yi Hua was lying beside her, and she hurriedly checked on Yi Hua's condition. Although Yi Hua didn't die, if Yi Hua were to find out about his condition, he would definitely wish that he was dead. However, right now, Yi Hua was already aware of his own situation. If he didn't make it real, how could he possibly make them fall for it? After saving the beauties like a hero, he would definitely be able to enjoy the service of the beauties. This made Yi Hua very excited. As expected, all of the women that I have taken a fancy to are outstanding. They didn't throw my face, and when I bring them out, I will be able to gain face as well. Their looks are high and their martial arts are high. Being a human really feels great. However, Yi Hua wasn't in a hurry to wake up yet. After suffering from such heavy injuries, how could he wake up so quickly? At the very least, he would need to sleep for a few hours. These few days I have been a bit tired. Mommy, Aunt Qing, you two really came back. Dong Huangli could be seen suddenly opening the door and walking into the house. Seeing that her daughter had come over, Dong Huang Baiji hugged her daughter into her embrace and cried out softly. "Mommy, what happened to you? Didn't Daddy go to pick you two up? Why are you lying on the bed?" Dong Huangli asked curiously. Hearing those naive words, Qinya and Dong Huang Baiji's tears flowed down endlessly. "Daddy, Daddy, wake up, Ali is here." Dong Huangli shook Yi Hua, who was sleeping. Yi Hua naturally didn't tell his daughter about his plan, and he only told his daughter that he would go and pick them up. Yi Hua, who was sleeping, was very gloomy. Hearing his daughter's childish voice calling out to him, he couldn't bear to wake her up anymore. "Ali, Daddy is asleep, don't disturb Daddy's sleep." Dong Huang Baiji hugged her daughter into her embrace. Meanwhile, Dong Huangli was already crying out loudly, "Don't, Ali doesn't want Daddy to sleep, Ali wants Daddy to hug her." Yi Hua really wanted to get up and hug his daughter to tell her that he was fine. However, if he were to get up all of a sudden, it would be game over. Right now, Qinya suddenly rose to power, and she isn't afraid of me anymore. If I were to scold her a few times, wouldn't she be able to soar into the sky? Seeing that her daughter was crying endlessly, Dong Huang Baiji could only use a spell to put her daughter to sleep. Qingya, your bloodline. When Donghuang Baiji woke up, she immediately noticed that something was wrong with Qingya. Qingya shook her head. I don't know either. Donghuang Baiji didn't know much about Nuwa's bloodline, only those old men knew about it. Right now, Donghuang Baiji only felt that Qingya had awakened some kind of bloodline. Back then, when Yihua accompanied Qingya to the hospital for a checkup, that little monk used his fiery golden eyes to see through Yihua's true body. Coincidentally, that little monk also saw Qingya's true body, which was why he was so scared that he ran away. After all, Nuwa's bloodline was too rare, and Nuwa was someone who went against the Heaven Emperor. Nuwa clan's mission was to protect the common people, and Yihua's mission in the past was to exterminate the common people. Right now it wasn't any better. Life was full of surprises, and this was also what Yihua was looking for. Right now, Qingya had awakened her bloodline, and all the more she wouldn't let Yihua kill people recklessly. Perhaps, while Yihua was killing people at the front, she would be saving people at the back. Qingya, let's give it a try. With our strength, we might be able to help Yihua stand up again. Donghuang Baiji suggested. They indeed had the ability to help Yihua, but Yihua did it on purpose. Even if an overlord came to save him, he wouldn't be able to do anything. Qingya nodded her head. There is no way to help Yihua regain his lost strength, but at the very least, Yihua will be able to stand up again. The two of them helped Yihua up. Yihua, who had just fallen asleep, was woken up again. This is so painful. Can't you let me rest for a while? Sitting cross-legged behind Yihua, Qingya pressed onto Yihua's back with her delicate hands and continuously channeled spiritual energy into Yihua's body, healing Yihua's injuries. After a long while, the two of them checked on Yihua again, and they let out a heavy sigh. There is no effect. It might be that the shadowed man's special technique that caused Yihua to become paralyzed. The two of them took a look at each other, and Qingya didn't say anything. Donghuang Baiji held onto Yihua's hand and placed it on her chest and prayed in her heart. Just like that, the two of them accompanied Yihua by his side, and let Yihua look at them the moment he woke up. Perhaps this way Yihua wouldn't be so sad anymore. How could Yihua possibly be sad? Even in his dreams he might even wake up laughing. Right now Yihua was sleeping soundly. Chapter 251. In Qing Yutong's bedroom. Zizi, brother-in-law, is back from acting cool. Qing Yutong said in a low voice. Zizi put down her mouse and picked up the spicy strip beside her. She ate it with relish, not worried at all. He was very curious about eldest sister-in-law. I feel that eldest cousin-in-law has changed after coming back. Zizi pouted, and her two ponytails swayed behind her head as if she needed someone to hold them back. Qing Yutong silently nodded her head. This time, when Big Sister came back, she brought along a strange aura, and the feedback that the system gave Qing Yutong was stupefied. According to the system's judgment, this was actually the bloodline of Nuwa? My dad is Nuwa? Obviously not. Aunt Wang doesn't look like a descendant of Nuwa. Could it be that Big Sister is picked it up? It seems like my sister's background is very mysterious now. Qing Yutong said solemnly, let's go over and take a look and cooperate with brother-in-law. Okay, then we'll cooperate with big cousin. Should we cry? It doesn't seem to be too appropriate, right? Qing Yutong pouted her mouth. After speaking, the two arrived at Yihua's bedroom. Sis, why are you back? The best actress was indeed the best actress. Her acting skills were flawless. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji stayed by Yihua's side and remained silent. What's wrong with brother-in-law? Is he dead? Qing Yutong cried out in surprise. Zizi let out a cry of surprise and tears streamed down her face. Big cousin, you died so miserably. Qing Yutong blankly looked at Zizi. Didn't I say that I won't cry? Then cry. Wah, brother-in-law, you died so miserably, I didn't even get to see you one last time. You still didn't tell me where you hid those top-notch spicy gluten? Donghuang Baiji and Qingya were both stupefied by the scene that was happening. The one who was even more stupefied was Yihua. I was clearly sleeping well, and suddenly, I heard the sound of ghosts wailing and wolves howling. I don't know if I was snoring just now or not. If I was snoring, that would really be awkward. You two, lower your voice, he's not dead yet. Qingya glared at her younger sister. Qing Yutong and Zizi stopped crying and laughed dryly. It turns out that brother-in-law is still alive. Sorry for bothering you. We're going to play games now, he said as he pulled Zizi away. At the same time, Qing Yutong also confirmed that her big sister had truly transformed into Ultraman. The power of bloodline is indeed awesome. I had painstakingly followed the system to complete the mission to reach my current achievement, and big sister is just like a GM, directly leveling up her level to the max. Looks like I'll have to hug my big sister's thigh tightly in the future. This is incredible. Brother-in-law and big sister are flying at the same time. What is there for me to be afraid of? I should go and stir up some trouble with Yizizi. Yihua, who was lying on the bed, felt that it was about time for him to get up, and he was a bit nervous. Let's see how their reaction is first. Yihua could be seen slowly opening his eyes with a confused look on his face. Seems like he is not done yet. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji were both overjoyed, and the two looked at Yihua with concern. Where am I? Yihua asked weakly. The two women cried tears of joy, and Qingya said while choking with sobs, Yihua, we are home. No wonder it looks so familiar. I'm a bit thirsty. Yihua began hinting at Yihua. Donghuang Baiji immediately understood. I'll pour some water for you. Yihua expressed that he was very pleased. Seems like this is the only way to make the two of them obedient. Look at me now, just by saying that I'm thirsty, the two of them obediently went to pour some water for me. Yihua, the water is here. Don't move, I'll feed you. Donghuang Baiji said tenderly. She didn't have the airs of an empress at all, and she didn't have that fierce aura from before either. Yihua's expression turned cold. Do I, a man, need you to feed me? This sentence was just right, and it fully displayed Yihua's pride. Hearing that, the two women's hearts sunk. If he knew that he couldn't move, he would definitely break down. Be good, be obedient. Donghuang Baiji was coaxing a child, causing Yihua to not know whether to laugh or cry. Meanwhile, Qingya held onto Yihua's hand tightly, not having the heart to see Yihua suffer. It's time to feel. Why can't I move my hand? Yihua cried out in surprise, and his face was filled with astonishment. And my spiritual energy, where did it all go? Right now, Yihua appeared to be very crazy, just like a billionaire who went bankrupt. He didn't dare to accept what was happening in front of him. His acting skills were off the charts. Why is it like this? Yihua shouted out angrily. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji hurriedly leaned onto Yihua's hand and held onto it. Yihua, don't get agitated. Right now, you indeed don't have any spiritual energy left, and your body is also unable to move. Qingya said with pain in her heart. Looking at Yihua's crazy expression, Qingya felt as if her heart was being cut by a knife. He was a man who liked to act cool, and now that he was paralyzed in the future, not to mention acting cool, even when he takes a bath, he would have to be served by me and Donghuang Baiji. Yihua, don't worry, Qingya and I will take good care of you. In this lifetime we will never leave you. Donghuang Baiji promised. Looking at how much pain Yihua was in, she felt very uncomfortable in her heart. For a man who was originally so strong to suddenly lose everything, who would be able to accept such a blow? Yihua expressed that he was feeling very good right now. This is the effect that I wanted. Gradually Yihua's expression calmed down. However, Yihua's expression was no longer as lively as it was in the past. Yihua. The two women shouted out worriedly. Yihua laughed at himself. I didn't expect that I would become a cripple. No, you will always be big and tall in my heart. Qingya tightly hugged onto Yihua's arm. The arm that was strong in the past was no longer there. Donghuang Baiji nodded her head. That's right, as long as you are still alive, you will be my Donghuang Baiji's man in this lifetime. Donghuang Baiji, this supreme overlord's woman is indeed domineering. Donghuang Baiji, this supreme overlord allows you to get on my bed. Yihua let out a heavy sigh. You two don't have to console me anymore. Right now this is a good opportunity for you two. If you two want to leave, then leave. I won't be able to stop you two. Yihua. I'm telling you, I won't leave in this lifetime. If you say something like that again, I'm going to cry. Qingya's speech was already incoherent. In actuality, she was already crying, but she couldn't think of how to threaten Yihua. Donghuang Baiji was even more formidable. If you say something like that again, I will let Ali listen to it and let Ali be the judge. Seeing that the two women were using such a matter to threaten him, Yihua almost laughed out loud. Endure it a bit more. Qingya, Baiji, I appreciate your kind intentions, but with my current state. Before Yihua could finish speaking, Qingya interrupted him. Yihua, Baiji and I will be taking good care of you for the rest of our lives. Don't feel burdened, this is what we should be doing. What Qingya said is right. Yihua, you don't have to worry about anything, we will take care of everything. This feels great. I was waiting for you two to say this. Yihua remained silent for a long while, and in the end he seemed to have compromised and said faintly, I want to drink water. Dong Huang Baiji immediately passed the water over. Right now, I really only have to move my mouth and I don't even have to move my hands anymore. This feels great. Later on, I still have to smoke, I still have to drink, and I still have to take a bath. I have to take a bath at least 3 times a day and I can't stop eating crayfish. Breakfast also needs to be rich and varied. Chapter 252. I, the Supreme Overlord, can finally enjoy the life of hugging beautiful women. Thinking about those family heads who have groups of wives and concubines, I really wonder how they managed to settle it back then. It must be very difficult. Fortunately, I have a good brain, and with the cooperation of a group of powerful subordinates, I was able to subdue them with a snap of my fingers. I'm thinking too much. Other family heads only need to shake their bodies, and beautiful ladies will immediately flock to them. There is no need to make such a big scene. Of course, that depends on who the person is. People like Yi Hua who are picky and possess unparalleled power will not use that method, and Qinya and Donghuang Baiji will not fall for it either. Yi Hua can do it forcefully, but in exchange he will only get 2 soulless bodies. As a perfectionist, Yi Hua cannot accept such a method. Although the process is a bit risky, the reward is full of love. Just like right now. Yi Hua said faintly, I want to take a bath. The 2 of you hurry up and help me take a bath. Wei Chang's method is really good. Qinya and Donghuang Baiji went into a daze, and their faces became a bit red. Yi Hua's heart sunk. I'm already like this and they are unwilling to take a bath? In actuality, the 2 beauties are just shy. Thinking about it, I have only seen him openly that night and I have never done anything else. Forget it, you 2 can leave, I will do it myself. Yi Hua said coldly. I am very angry, the kind that can't be coaxed. Qinya hurriedly said, Don't be angry, I will help you take a bath. I will have to trouble you then, Qinya, I will help Yi Hua take a bath next time. Donghuang Baiji said shyly. Comparatively speaking, Qinya was still fine. After all, they have been sharing a bed for so long, but Donghuang Baiji was not so lucky. Yi Hua felt that something is wrong. Why aren't the 2 of you together? And you still want to separate? However, let's settle down first, we will talk about it tonight. Sleeping together is definitely a must, right? Right now, Qinya is no longer an ordinary woman. She carried Yi Hua in her arms and the scene was very touching, giving people the urge to laugh. Yi Hua, who was being carried in Qinya's arms, felt a bit embarrassed. I am actually being carried by a woman in such a position. You are not allowed to look at me, if you look, I will kill you. After placing Yi Hua into the bathtub, Qinya's face became slightly red, and she began filling the bathtub with water. Yi Hua felt so comfortable that he wanted to moan. If only Donghuang Baiji was here to serve me as well. Right now, I'm just a fly in the ointment. Yi Hua, you can be at ease, I won't leave you just because you lost all of these. Qinya said tenderly while lightly wiping Yi Hua's palm. Yi Hua let out a heavy sigh. I still have to put on an act. After all, I can't accept it in a short period of time. I have to put on an act for 1 to 2 days. Yi Hua said faintly, for the sake of you all, what's the harm in losing a bit? Acting again, I know that you are definitely in a bad mood. If you want to cry, then go ahead and cry. After all, we are already an old couple. Qinya smiled warmly. Yi Hua felt that Qinya was indeed much gentler than before. That careful look of hers seemed to be afraid of hurting him. I'm so conflicted, if I were to let them know that this is all fake, I would be done for. It seemed like he had to slowly recover. He couldn't keep pretending or else they might see through him one day. However, for Qinya to actually make me cry, that is impossible. I, the Supreme Overlord, have never cried before. Even if I am acting, I will not cry. He quietly condensed a drop of water in the corner of his eye. Damn it, for the sake of my acting career, I don't even care about my face anymore. Qinya, if you are to still be mischievous in the future, I will definitely not let you off easily. From the moment she saw Yi Hua, he had always been that kind of cold and aloof man. She had to listen to him for everything, and he would get angry whenever he was unhappy. However, that was only under the situation where he had the strength. Right now he had nothing left, and his heart was definitely feeling unbearable and painful. Looking at Yi Hua's tear, Qinya's heart was simply about to shatter into pieces. Back then, such a strong man didn't even reveal an expression of pain even after receiving such a heavy injury. Now that there was no one else around, he finally couldn't hold it in anymore. Yi Hua's fake tear produced 10,000 critical damage, completely breaking through Qinya's line of defense. As expected of the best male lead. Qinya, who had tears all over her face, kissed Yi Hua. This scene was very beautiful. However, it was only for an instant, because the corner of Yi Hua's mouth revealed out an arc. Her lips still had the same taste, soft, and right now there was even a unique aura that caused me, the Supreme Overlord, to be even more intoxicated. However, Yi Hua really wanted to hug onto her slender waist, but he was unable to do that. Yi Hua thought to himself that my hands should quickly recover, but if my hands were to recover, I would have to do a lot of things by myself. I might as well say that my hands are only slightly recovered, and I can't do any heavy work, but I can still stroke my hands a little. Thinking up to here, Yi Hua seemed to have a new plan. Qingya wiped very carefully, and that gentle look on her face caused even Yi Hua to be intoxicated. After all, Qingya was no longer an ordinary person right now, and right now, there was a unique aura of a monarch between her brows. Right now, Qingya was just like a woman who was supposed to be arrogant, but right now she was lowering her status to serve you. Comfortable, after Yi Hua finished showering, Qingya carried Yi Hua out of the bathroom again, and the scene was too embarrassing for others to look at. Yi Hua also felt that it wasn't good to continue hugging Yi Hua like this. Qingya, let's buy a wheelchair. Yi Hua suggested. Qingya said lightly, you don't like me hugging you? Seems like there are good and bad things about being paralyzed. Qingya could be seen laughing lightly. Alright, I know that you want face, I will buy a wheelchair for you later. After finished speaking, Qingya kissed onto Yi Hua's forehead, then walked out of the bedroom. After Qingya left, Yi Hua suddenly sat up, and the arc on the corner of his mouth became bigger and bigger. I really want to F****, King shout out. Suddenly the door opened. Yi Hua immediately fell onto the ground, and he looked as if he was about to die. Donghuang Baiji walked into the room while carrying a bowl of porridge. Are you still okay? Donghuang Baiji placed the porridge on the bedside table and sat on the bedside. Yi Hua's heart was itching just by looking at the curves of her body. Speaking of which, since Qingya is pregnant and can't move, then Baiji should be able to move, right? Thinking about how I haven't moved for a few months, I am getting a bit restless. Seems like I can't continue being paralyzed for a long time. I should first enjoy this for a period of time, then let Donghuang Baiji continue giving birth to my children. Right now, Yi Hua could only move his head and he said calmly, I am much better. Drink some porridge. Yi Hua nodded his head. Donghuang Baiji slowly helped Yi Hua up and leaned against the headboard of the bed. Donghuang Baiji even used a technique to stabilize Yi Hua's body. This is clearly a sealing technique. Donghuang Baiji lightly blew on the porridge and said embarrassedly, Yi Hua, this is my first time cooking. If it doesn't taste good, don't blame me, but I will slowly learn. Very good, my efforts were not wasted. In the future you have to be obedient. And I understand. Donghuang Baiji replied shyly. I'm just asking you if you feel good or not. To think that such an unyielding woman like her was trained by me to be obedient and obedient. Looking at the porridge that Donghuang Baiji extended over, Yi Hua took a look and was immediately startled. Why does the porridge look a bit black? It's burnt? Baiji, I suddenly discovered that I'm not hungry anymore. Yi Hua didn't have the heart to expose his woman's intentions. Donghuang Baiji immediately understood and said tenderly, I will go and make another porridge for you. Looking at Donghuang Baiji leave, Yi Hua stretched out his hand and wiped his hair. With just a slight hint from me, they immediately understood and obediently went to do it. Chapter 253. After quite a while, Donghuang Baiji came in while carrying the freshly made porridge. Yi Hua, it's done this time. It's indeed done, it looks like porridge. After blowing on the porridge was sent into Yi Hua's mouth. After tasting Donghuang Baiji's cooking for the first time, Yi Hua's eyebrows almost stood up. This porridge is even more salty than salted fish. This porridge is definitely salt instead of sugar. Yi Hua, what happened to you? Are you hurting somewhere? Donghuang Baiji cried out in surprise and immediately checked Yi Hua's body. Water, water. After drinking a mouthful of water, Yi Hua let out a sigh. Baiji, there is something called takeout in this world, you should be able to go and find out about it. Yi Hua, takeout food is not hygienic, I will work hard and let you taste my cooking. Yi Hua was very gratified and said, Baiji, I am very happy that you can think like this, but the food that you make, you have to taste it yourself first, do you understand? Alright, I understand. Stay and accompany me to sleep tonight. Yi Hua finally set out his ultimate goal, which was to hug a woman on his left and right to sleep. Just thinking about it makes me a little excited. Donghuang Baiji was very embarrassed, then said while slightly lowering her head, I have discussed it with Qingya, we will take turns to accompany you. Tonight, Qingya will accompany you and tomorrow night I will accompany you. Yihua's expression stiffened. When did you discuss it? Why didn't you discuss it with me? Such an important matter, you two actually secretly decided on it? If that's the case, wouldn't all of my efforts have been wasted? No, I don't agree to take turns, I want to do it together. At this moment, Qingya pushed the wheelchair that she just bought and walked into the room, then said with a gentle smile, "What are you two chatting about? You came at the right time, I wanted to talk about this serious matter. After all, I have two such beautiful wives, if I can't hug them to sleep at night, wouldn't I be at a loss? Furthermore, after doing so much, I just want to experience the feeling of hugging a woman on my left and right. Both of you come and sit here," Yihua said faintly. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji took a glance at each other, then sat at the bedside. They were curious about what Yihua was going to do. Yihua said very straightforwardly, "Both of you stay tonight." The moment he said that, the faces of the two goddesses immediately turned red, but they did not immediately object. In the end, it was still Qingya who said, "Yihua, we have already discussed it with Baiji. In the future we will carefully take care of you for your entire life, and we will also be your woman for your entire life. However, regarding the matter of sharing a bed with you, can you not force us? And Yihua, other than sharing the same bed, we can promise you anything." Donghuang Baiji also pleaded. It was already very rare for them to share a husband, but to have three of them share a bed, this was something they were very resistant to. "It's over. My fantasy of hugging a woman on my left and hugging a woman on my right has been shattered. I, the Supreme Overlord, created such a big show, and yet I still didn't manage to move them to death." Looking at the disappointed look on Yihua's face, Qingya and Donghuang Baiji's heart ached endlessly. Logically speaking, since Yihua had risked his life to come and save us, no matter what, we have to agree to it. After all, Yihua and Donghuang Baiji were already husband and wife. It just so happened that the two women's self-esteem was the kind that was bursting to the point of bursting, and it was already a miracle that they were able to tolerate each other. Yet Yihua still wanted the two of them to be together? Yihua was simply dreaming, the two of them were not ordinary women. "Yihua, I beg of you, don't make things difficult for us." Donghuang Baiji was so sad that she started crying. Qingya was the same as well. "Yihua, don't be like this, I feel uncomfortable seeing you like this." I, the Supreme Overlord, was feeling very vexed. If I had known earlier, I would have died for a few days before reviving. I reckon that only then would it have been effective. However, it is already too late now. Like once more? The effect will definitely not be good. What I want is to hug a woman on my left and hug a woman on my right. Why can't the two of you satisfy this small wish of mine? Sai, I understand, I won't make things difficult for the two of you. Yihua compromised. No, this is a temporary compromise. Yihua formulated his final plan, which was to hug a woman on his left and hug a woman on his right, and then look for an opportunity. Playing the hero to save the beauty and injuring oneself to gain sympathy definitely won't work. I have to think of another way. Seeing that Yihua didn't make things difficult for the two of them, Qingya and Donghuang Baiji leaned forward and kissed onto Yihua's cheeks. Although I won't be able to hug a woman on my right and left, it still feels great. Baiji, you go and deal with your own matters first, I will be fine with Yihua here. Qingya said concernedly. After all, with Voidless Realm in such a state, it would be very inconvenient for Voidless Realm to not have the Empress to oversee it. Donghuang Baiji's heart had already been snatched away by Yihua, so how could she possibly leave at this time? No need. Baiji, you go and deal with your own matters first. If the two of you keep looking at me like this, I won't be fine either. Yihua said. Right now, both the north and south are my people, things will be much easier. Donghuang Baiji still listened to Yihua and said tenderly, I will be back soon then. After finished speaking, Donghuang Baiji kissed onto Yihua's forehead, then disappeared from the room. After Donghuang Baiji left, Qingya smiled tenderly, Are you happy? I'm happy. After finished speaking, Yihua felt that something was wrong. I'm already paralyzed, how can I still be happy? Yihua hurriedly explained, I am very happy to be able to protect the two of you from harm, even if I ended up like this. This desire to live sure is strong. Lightly leaning onto Yihua's embrace, Qingya said softly, Yihua, have I been very disobedient in the past? You still know? If the two of you are a bit more obedient, I will be able to be at ease. And in the future, I won't make you angry anymore. Qingya, I am very happy to be able to have this kind of awareness. Qingya smiled tenderly and mumbled, Yihua, you are the best. My goodness is something that you all can't think of. If you all can think of it, then I don't need to live in this world anymore. Speaking of which, isn't it time for me to take a bath again? After returning to Voidless Realm, Donghuang Baiji put away her gentle face and displayed the might of an empress. She passed down orders one after another and began rebuilding Voidless Realm. In the palace there were already 5 elders missing. All of them had sacrificed themselves in the battle this time. Only Yuanda, Xinghan and He Xian were left. Donghuang Baiji sat on the throne and asked gravely, "What is the result of the battle this time?" Replying to your majesty, in this battle Voidless Realm lost 3,871 people. 3,712 people were heavily injured, 2,183 people were lightly injured, and the remaining 893 people are unharmed. He Xian reported gravely. Donghuang Baiji's beautiful eyes revealed out killing intent as she shouted out coldly, "From now on, Ying family will be my Voidless Realm's sworn enemy. With the surname Donghuang, I swear that I will definitely take revenge for Voidless Realm's dead souls and bathing family in blood." The 3 elders kneeled down simultaneously and shouted out, "Bathing family in blood." Soon after, Xinghan raised his own opinion, "Your Majesty, in this battle, Ying family suffered a huge loss as well. More than half of their clansmen were killed, and if it wasn't for someone helping them, they would have been completely annihilated." That's right, if it wasn't for that shadowy figure and skeletal dragon, we would have definitely won. However, Your Majesty, you still have to pay attention to the people hiding in the dark. He Xian reminded. Chapter 254. How could Donghuang Baiji not know about this? Originally, our Voidless Realm was the strongest, and that's why we were able to suppress the northern aristocratic families and even more so Ji family. However, things are no longer the same now. Inform the entire Voidless Realm to make a foolproof plan and repair the barrier as soon as possible. Yes. Suddenly Yuanda winked at the other 2. The latter also winked as if they had something to say but did not dare to. Feel free to speak your mind. Donghuang Baiji said faintly. Yuanda took a step forward. May I know how your husband's injuries are? This emperor's husband is naturally fine. Everyone was shocked. Facing such a powerful attack he actually didn't die. Truly amazing. God is blessing our Voidless Realm. The 3 elders spread open their arms and shouted out loudly, just like believers. He Xian hurriedly said, "Your Majesty, the Ying family has an expert helping them. If we want to win, we must inherit the bloodline power of the Eastern Emperor. We hope that Your Majesty will give birth to a baby boy soon," the 3 elders shouted in unison. Donghuang Baiji, who was sitting on the throne, had a slightly red face. "Am I going to give birth to another child with Yihua? I want to find a chance to discuss with Yihua about giving Ali a younger brother. However, when I think about Yihua's current state, will Yihua still be able to give birth to a child? If Yihua were to know of Donghuang Baiji's thoughts, he would definitely recover within a few days and prepare to give birth to a child. How could one be enough? They needed at least 1 football team, 1 every year. Sir is more than 100 years old." Donghuang Baiji's tone became much gentler. "I will discuss it with my husband, you all don't have to worry about it." The 3 elders were finally relieved. Yuanda suddenly thought of something and asked, "Your Majesty, that person with the bloodline of Nuwa? Yuanda, are you saying that Qinya possesses Nuwa's bloodline?" Donghuang Baiji asked in astonishment. "Your Majesty doesn't know?" Donghuang Baiji shook her head. "I didn't expect that Qinya would actually possess Nuwa's bloodline." Feeling happy, Donghuang Baiji wrinkled her brows. The appearance of Nuwa's bloodline might cause some abnormalities. "Empress, please be careful," He Xian said in a low voice. "This emperor naturally knows. From now on, if there's any news, send it to the Jade Slip." The 3 elders naturally understood that creating a human was not something that could be done in a day or 2. The Empress would definitely stay in the mortal world. "Your Majesty, please be at ease, we will take good care of Voidless Realm's reconstruction." "Alright, thank you for your hard work. This subordinate doesn't deserve such praise." After Donghuang Baiji disappeared from the palace, the 3 elders straightened their bodies and revealed out gratified expressions. The Empress is finally thinking about men. This is truly a good thing. This year the Empress would be able to get pregnant, and the child would be born next year. When the child reached adulthood, the child would awaken the power of his bloodline. When Donghuang Baiji appeared in the bedroom, the crayfish was already in position. Donghuang Li's big eyes were already red. Dong Huangli seemed to have just finished crying. Seeing that her mother had arrived, Dong Huangli immediately pounced onto her mother. Ali, what's wrong? Dong Huang Baiji said with a smile while carrying her daughter. Daddy said that he won't be able to move anymore, he won't be able to hug Ali anymore. Dong Huangli once again started crying pitifully. Dong Huang Baiji consoled, Ali, don't worry, Daddy will be fine in the future. Papa said the same thing just now, but I know you are all comforting Ali. Dong Huang Baiji looked towards Yihua with an astonished look in her eyes. Yihua, who was sitting on the wheelchair, said with a slight smile, just now, I felt that there was spiritual energy condensing within my body again. I believe that I will be able to fully recover in a short while. Yihua changed his battle tactic. He first prepared himself well to prevent himself from being discovered. Just now, I have checked Yihua's body, and there is indeed a small lump of spiritual energy within Yihua's body. This is a good start. Dong Huang Baiji confirmed for a while, and sure enough, it was just as Yihua said. Tears began flowing out of Dong Huang Baiji's eyes as she hugged Yihua and said excitedly, this is great. Don't cry, Ali is looking at you. Yihua let out a sigh of relief. Dong Huangli looked at Yihua and said, Mommy, will Daddy be fine? And Daddy will be fine. After getting her mother's affirmation, Dong Huangli became happy. That's great, Daddy will be able to hug Ali and raise her up high again. Ali, peel the crayfish for Daddy. Dong Huang Baiji sat down, wiped away the tears of joy, and began peeling the crayfish for Yihua. Daddy, open your mouth. Little Ali picked up the crayfish meat and fed it to her father. Yihua here, Qingya said tenderly. Yihua here, Dong Huang Baiji said with a gentle smile. I dare to say that in this world, there isn't a man who is more blessed than me. However, I have already laid the foundation for everything. When the time comes, I will just have to find an opportunity to make a move. Everything is so reasonable, there aren't any loopholes at all. Where are Yutong and Zizi? Qingya said with a slight smile. They went out to eat. Originally, Aunt Yi came to ask Ali to go with them, but Ali wanted to accompany Daddy, so Ali refused. Dong Huangli said happily. What Dong Huangli meant was, Daddy, quickly come and praise Ali. Ali is so obedient. Yihua naturally had to praise Ali, Dong Huangli said with a happy look on her face. Didn't Yutong say that she is going to do a live stream? Why hasn't she done anything yet? Yihua asked curiously. Qingya shook her head. Who knows, she has a new idea every day. It's going to be September soon, Yi Zizi should be sent to school, don't always stay at home and play games. Yihua said gravely. Right now, Yi Zizi's temperament is more or less the same as before. Qingya nodded her head. Ali wants to go to school and learn knowledge too. Dong Huangli shouted out. Dong Huang Baiji laughed tenderly. Ali is not at the age to go to school yet. Then when can Ali go to school? Dong Huangli asked curiously. Dong Huang Baiji pinched onto her daughter's cheeks. After Ali's 3rd birthday, she will be able to go to kindergarten. Kindergarten? But Aunt Yi said that she is in the 2nd grade of elementary school, and Ali wants to go to school together with Aunt Yi. If not, I won't go to school. Dong Huangli pouted her small mouth. Her goal was to go to school together with Yi Zizi. Looking at Dong Huangli's adorable look, the three laughed lightly. Ali is so sensible, it doesn't matter if she doesn't go to kindergarten. Yihua said faintly. Yi Zizi going to school was to cultivate her humanity, and her daughter didn't need to go to school at all. Qingya had a different opinion. How can that be? Kindergarten is the beginning of school. It's not like I haven't gone to school and I still have my current achievements. Yihua, who was sitting on a wheelchair, said. Those who haven't gone to school are sitting on a wheelchair. You sure have a lot of twisted logic. Qingya laughed lightly. What kind of attitude is this? Just a few hours ago you said that you want to be obedient. Yihua said faintly. Just how long has it been, and you are already going against me? Qingya immediately smiled apologetically. Alright, I was wrong. Dong Huangli looked to the left and to the right, appearing to be in deep thoughts. Chapter 255. Dong Huang Baiji held onto the cigarette, while Qingya lit the cigarette. Yihua sat in the posture of a big boss and enjoyed a different kind of service. Baiji, is there any result on your side? Yihua asked curiously. I don't know what Voidless Realm is thinking. Dong Huang Baiji held onto the cigarette butt and said faintly, this Ying family must be eradicated. The corner of Yihua's mouth slightly moved. This Ying family is my subordinate. Although they are a bit weak, at the very least they are still somewhat useful. For example, during the performance this time, that Ing Jingshan's performance was pretty good. It would be a pity to eliminate them just like that. Fortunately, this time around, Wei Chang and Lai Gu were the ones taking action. If Death Mage was the one taking action, he wouldn't be able to give his woman any pressure. The result was that his woman couldn't fight with the Ying family, but she could have the other families fight and kill each other. That would be quite interesting. Qinya silently said, "That shadowy figure seems to be very powerful, and that bone dragon too." Yihua couldn't help but nod his head. He seemed to be telling Donghuang Baiji not to touch Ying family for the time being. Although Ying family is insignificant, it is still somewhat useful. However, after Yihua nodded his head, Donghuang Baiji asked curiously, "Yihua, that shadowy figure heavily injured you, could it be that you are going to let him off so easily?" "That's right. That shadowy man is really despicable. I didn't perform well, it's been too long since I fought." Seeing that Yihua wanted to save face, Qinya and Donghuang Baiji smiled tenderly. Yihua exclaimed out loud, "What a close shave, I would have been discovered just by a slight bit of inattention." "Baiji, do you have any good ideas?" Qinya asked curiously. Upon thinking of a method, Donghuang Baiji's beautiful face immediately turned red. Furthermore, it was a very red kind of red. "Smoke, smoke," Yihua reminded. Donghuang Baiji extended the cigarette butt to Yihua's mouth and let Yihua take a puff. "Dare I ask which man is as happy as me? My wife lights up the cigarettes, my other wife sends the cigarettes over, and I only have to move my mouth." "There is a way." Donghuang Baiji flicked away the ash from her cigarette and said with a red face. This caused Yihua to go into a daze. "My woman actually has a solution? How could that do? Hurry up and dispel her idea. This shadowy figure and the bone dragon are not easy to deal with. Let me cultivate for a few hundred years first. When that time comes, I will avenge you, Baiji." Who knew what it would be like after a few hundred years? Donghuang Baiji said shyly, "This method of mine will only take around 10 years. Baiji, just say it, your face is already so red." Qinya was left in suspense. The more Donghuang Baiji acted like this, the more curious Qinya became. Donghuang Baiji bit onto her lower lip and mumbled, "This method of mine requires Yihua's cooperation." "What do you mean? You want me to cooperate with you?" "If that's the case, my main body will definitely not cooperate with you. Maybe I'll consider it a few hundred years later." Baiji, I'm so worried about you. My voidless realm belongs to the Eastern Emperor's bloodline, and if one wants to inherit the Eastern Emperor's bloodline, one must be a male. Meanwhile, Ali is a female, and thus she is unable to inherit the Eastern Emperor's bloodline therefore. Speaking up to here, Donghuang Baiji's face was about to bleed. Yihua finally understood and said faintly, "So, you want Ali to become a boy?" "I won't allow it. Girls are pretty good. Quickly give up on this idea." The two women were immediately amused by Yihua. This blockhead actually doesn't know what he means. "What are you two laughing at? I am talking about this matter very seriously, be more serious." Yihua shouted out in a low voice. Donghuang Baiji extinguished Yihua's cigarette petulantly. "Do you even want me to explain this matter clearly? It's fine as long as you understand what I mean." Yihua immediately wrinkled his brows. "I haven't even taken 2 puffs of this cigarette and you already extinguished it. What a waste, hurry up and give it to me." "Yihua, just smoke less. What Baiji means is for you to help her give birth to a boy." Qinya smiled helplessly. "Sometimes I am extremely smart, but sometimes I am half stupid. Alright, I take back what I thought just now. This method must be strongly advocated and fully cooperated with. After all, I am an expert in giving birth to a child. Baiji, just say it directly, we will start tonight." Yihua couldn't wait to start right now. These two women are becoming more and more enchanting. Qinya teased, "Baiji can do it, can you?" "Who said I can't?" Yihua suddenly thought of something. "I am currently acting as a paralyzed person. F***K. This is all Wei Chang's rotten idea. Right now, my wife has a need for me, so I have no choice but to continue acting. I will be fine after I recover," Yihua said while stammering. "We have only chatted for a short while, and we are already about to expose ourselves twice." Donghuang Baiji felt that Yihua was rather sad, and thought that Yihua was sad because of her injury. Thus, Donghuang Baiji consoled Yihua, "It's alright, take it slow, it's not like I will run away. These words sound very comfortable. Just wait for me, I will be able to pamper you at any time. However, I have to be fair and not wrong Qinya. The most pitiful thing is that I can't hug one on the left and one on the right. If I were to place both of them on the bed, then, just thinking about it makes me a little excited. I didn't expect that there would be times where I would be excited. This is truly mystical. Daddy, Ali finished watching Calabash Brothers. Dong Huangli bounced over and was carried into her mother's embrace. Yihua laughed lightly. Ali, after watching Calabash Brothers, go and watch Snow White. Daddy will test you when the time comes. Alright, Ali loves tests the most. Patting onto her daughter's head, Dong Huang Baiji said, Alright, Daddy is going to rest now. Let's accompany Daddy to sleep tomorrow, okay? Alright, Aunt Qing, Daddy will be handed over to you. Qingya also smiled tenderly. Okay, Aunt Qing will definitely serve your papa well. Qingya pushed Yihua back to the bedroom. Yihua's first sentence was, I want to take a bath. Why didn't I see you taking a bath so diligently in the past? Qingya carried Yihua up. This caused Yihua to feel extremely gloomy. The main thing is that Qingya is carrying me like a princess. This is so awkward. I have decided to take a bath 3 times a day, once in the morning, once at noon, and once at night. Qingya laughed. Yihua, are you trying to tire me to death? Let me stink to death then. You are already like this, but your temper still hasn't changed at all. Qingya placed Yihua into the bathtub and began filling up the bathtub with hot water. Qingya, don't you want to take a bath? Come over and join us. Yihua has a purpose, how can I take a bath for nothing? Qingya rolled her eyes at Yihua. I will take a bath myself later. Sai, I can't move my hands and feet either, if not, I would skin you. Qingya blinked her mischievous eyes. That's right, I can bully you now. Qingya, what are you trying to do? Yihua was startled and felt that the situation wasn't good. Qingya revealed out a crafty smile. Yihua, you have bullied me for so long, now that I finally have the chance to bully you, let me bully you too. You dare. If you dare to touch me, I will. Go on and cry. If you cry, I will not bully you anymore. Qingya, don't forget that I saved the 2 of you and even got paralyzed and lost my power. You cannot pinch my face. Qingya's hands were currently pinching Yihua's face, making Yihua make all kinds of faces. Wei Chang, this is all your good idea. Chapter 256. Under Yihua's threatening gaze, Qingya kissed Yihua to comfort him. I like your way of apologizing, but I hope that we can have a bath together. Do you dare or not? However, he did not achieve his dream. After quite a while, Yihua was carried onto the bed by Qingya, and after pinching onto Yihua's cheeks, Qingya said sweetly, Yihua, when you have fully recovered, I will take a bath together with you. Alright, I don't want to be paralyzed anymore. No. This cunning Qingya is definitely trying to test me. How can I possibly fall for it? Besides, she was his wife. Would it kill him to look at her? After a long while, Qingya appeared in front of Yihua's eyes while wearing thin pajamas. Upon seeing Qingya, Yihua became very angry. Any normal man who saw Qingya's delicate body would definitely have some thoughts, especially the current Qingya, who was even more beautiful than before. In order to act as a paralyzed man, I, the Supreme Overlord, can't even move my hands now. In the past, even if I couldn't see my hands, I could still enjoy my hands. Lying on her beloved man's chest, Qingya said tenderly, Yihua, I like you so much. Yihua went into a slight daze, and at the same time, a feeling of guilt welled up within him. I don't know what will happen if I confess. Forget it. Leniency for confessing was a lie. Qingya, after you give birth to this child, let's have another one. Qingya rubbed against Yihua's chest and said lazily, and I will listen to you. As expected of my woman, obedient. Although Yihua felt a little guilty, he felt that he was feeling very good right now. Thinking back to the past, he felt that he had never felt so good before. Qingya smiled sweetly. Look at how complacent you are you satisfied now? Satisfied. Alright, go to sleep. You're already tired today. Yihua nodded his head. I can finally have a good sleep today. Tomorrow, it will be Dong Huang Baiji's turn to accompany me to sleep. I, the Supreme Overlord, am very happy about this. To express the joy in his heart? Forget it. I'll wait until I have 2 beauties in my arms, then I'll pardon the world. If Yihua were to grant amnesty to the entire world right now, Long Outyin would be the one who would feel the best. In the thatched cottage, Long Outyin was ready to set off again. In just a month, Long Outyin had managed to raise his Dragon God technique to the 3rd stage. One could not help but admit that he was a genius. Nonsense. If Long Outyin didn't work harder on his cultivation, how would he be able to go to the city and make a name for himself? How would he have a harem of 3,000 beauties? Meng Meng. I don't know when we'll meet again after today, Long Outyin said as he hugged the woman in his arms. Meng Meng hugged Long Outyin's tiger body and said, Outyin, no matter how long it takes, Meng Meng will wait for you. Meng Meng, you are so nice. Can you prepare more antidote for me? Long Outyin's tone was a little awkward. This Meng Meng was too good to him. This love gu was the best among all gu. Ao Tian, these are all of Meng Meng's antidotes. When you come back 1 year later, at that time, there will be a lot of antidotes. Meng Meng was very reluctant to part with Ao Tian. A man's ambition was to travel far and wide, and her own 4 directions was only him. Long Outyin heaved a heavy sigh. Meng Meng, take good care of yourself. I'll bring you out after I make a name for myself. Yes, Meng Meng will wait for that day. Alright, I'm leaving. Outyin, looking at Long Outyin's departing figure, Meng Meng burst into tears. Walking out of the thatched cottage, Long Outyin clenched his fist. Right now, my Dragon God technique has already reached the 3rd level. No matter if it is my speed or my strength, both of them have increased by a level. In the end, I still have to thank that assassin. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been able to reach the 3rd level in such a short amount of time. After walking for close to a kilometer, Long Outyin shouted loudly, "Come out!" Right now, Long Outyin had already taken off his modern clothes and was wearing a cyan robe that Meng Meng personally made. Needless to say, Long Outyin was a little handsome. Death Assassin instantly appeared in front of Long Outyin like a specter, giving Long Outyin a fright. I am currently at the 3rd level of Dragon God technique. It's not that I, Long Outyin, am bragging, but you are no longer my opponent now. If you are tactful, hurry up and scram, I'll spare your life. Long Outyin began to brag, but in actuality he was extremely nervous in his heart. GGG, Imperial Translation. Salted fish, if you don't train your Dragon God technique to the pinnacle, don't even think about leaving this place. Not knowing what Death Assassin was laughing about, Long Outyin stood in a horse stance and shouted lightly. The leaves in the surrounding immediately flew up, and Long Outyin even pointed at Death Assassin and shouted loudly, "Come over." Death Assassin let out a light sigh, then pulled out a dagger from his waist and stabbed Long Outyin. Long Outyin's expression became grave. Death Assassin's speed is indeed fast. However, the present is different from the past. I, Long Outyin, am no longer that small fry from back then. His body flashed. Death Assassin was a little surprised. This Long Outyin's improvement speed is quite fast. Long Outyin was a little dazed as he touched onto his hair, then inspected his clothes. I remember that my hair was cut off by Death Assassin last time, but today I am actually not injured at all. This is great. I, Long Outyin, have finally dodged his attack. When I reach the 4th level, I will be able to defeat him. Without thinking too much, Long Outyin turned around and ran. Just you wait, I, Long Outyin, will still be back. Death Assassin did not chase after Long Outyin and looked at Long Outyin running frantically. After running to the front of the thatched cottage, Long Outyin gasped for breath. When he was dodging Death Assassin's attack just now, he had used too much of his essence, chi and spirit, causing him to be unable to breathe. Pushing open the wooden door, Long Outyin laughed loudly and said, "Meng Meng, I'm not leaving any more. Outyin, I have already made the noodles for you, quickly eat it while it's hot." Meng Meng could be seen walking over while holding onto the noodles that were just made. The timing was just right. Not knowing if it was because of warmth or because of heartache, Long Outyin had the urge to cry. If not for the matter that happened earlier, Long Outyin would have suspected that Meng Meng was the one who arranged the assassin. While eating the love noodles, Long Outyin's tears flowed down, not knowing if it was because he was moved or because of heartache. After eating the noodles, I will properly love Meng Meng and continue training. I, Long Outyin, must live up to my name. In the future, I will definitely conquer the entire world and make everyone tremble under my feet. I will also make Qinya regret that she did not choose me, Long Outyin, and chose a man who likes to smoke and act cool. His way of acting cool is too low level. I, Long Outyin, will never imitate him in my entire life. Meng Meng, where did my cigarette go? Here, you can only smoke 1 cigarette per day. After lighting up the cigarette, Long Outyin felt very comfortable, as if the entire world was his. Right now, it was already late at night, and in a dark alley in Long'an City, there were a few figures. Among them, 2 were the delicate and charming Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi. Qing Yutong was disguised as a big sister again, After all, her current status had not expired yet. Yizizi was still dressed in lowly attire, and Yizizi really wanted to grab onto the ponytail at the back of her head and ride it ferociously. Chapter 257. Yizizi's saliva flowed out from her mouth. Tell big sister Qing to leave for a while, I'm going to eat. The few robust men had never seen this beautiful woman before, and this little lowly, she is simply like a big sister from the anime. Those big eyes of hers caused us to become beastly. Little sister, big brother has lollipops here, they are very tasty. The robust man slightly bent his waist and teased Yizizi, and the few robust men behind him laughed out loud. Qing Yutong protected Yizizi behind her. What are you guys trying to do? If you have something to say, then come at me. Big beauty, don't be anxious, I will let you know how powerful big brother's battle strength is, how deep my martial arts are, and I am also proficient in 108 rare finishing moves. The robust man walked closer step by step with a lascivious smile on his face. Qing Yutong scolded in a low voice, shameless villain. My teeth are very white. Yizizi said in a low voice, Big sister Qing, how about you leave for a while and let Zizi play? Zizi, you are too disloyal. Hey, the two of you don't need to discuss anymore, come at me together. The robust man poked his hands together, he was already a little impatient. This pair of big and small beauties can fight until dawn. Qing Yutong and Yizizi continuously retreated. That fearful expression made the robust men even more excited. They liked to see this kind of expression on other people. Right at this moment, a figure suddenly appeared. Qing Yutong and Yizizi looked at that figure. The figure had a cigarette in his mouth, a calm expression, and both of his hands were in his pockets. The man could be seen glancing at them, then continuing to walk. Brat, consider yourself mistaken. The robust man thought that a hero came to save the beauty, but in the end, he did not have the guts to pretend to be a passerby. Qing Yutong and Yizizi had never seen a man who could act cool like this before. He is simply invincible. Hey, why didn't you save us? Qing Yutong was puzzled and shouted out. The man blew out a mouthful of smoke towards the sky. Why should I save you guys? Damn, this man is truly arrogant. Seeing that the man stopped walking, the robust man shouted out threateningly, Brat, quickly scram, don't disturb Grandpa's happy occasion. Yizizi asked pitifully, Big brother, why didn't you save us? The man snorted and said disdainfully, It's kind of me to help you call the police when I see this kind of thing. It's normal for me to walk over. After all, I'm not the Virgin Mary. I don't save anyone I see. Big brother, you won't have a girlfriend in the future if you act like this. Yizizi pouted. She was going to suck you dry later. Who asked you to act like a pretentious prick? Qing Yutong also agreed. That's right, he didn't even want the chance to be a hero and save the beauty. Do you think I'm stupid? Just by looking at your clothes, I know you're some rich young ladies. If I save you now, you'll probably ask me to be your bodyguard, and then a touching love story will happen. I won't fall for it. The expressions of Qing Yutong and Yizizi froze, and the few muscular men were also shocked. We have never seen someone who is so good at bragging before. Tiske. How dare you molest a young girl in broad daylight? I'm going to take care of this matter. A man descended from the sky like the wind, especially that stalwart figure. Wow, big sister Qing, he's so handsome. Yeah, so handsome. Qing Yutong and Yizizi were like two infatuated girls, and they had an intoxicated look on their faces. This caused the man with the cigarette to be stupefied. You two became infatuated just because of this? This trick is too old, isn't it? This is a trick from a few years ago. Song Ji slowly turned his head around and looked towards the man with the cigarette, as if he was saying, although it's old, it's still a classic, you idiot. Sabai seemed to have understood, and he slowly walked over and said gravely, Brother, this is my place, don't interfere. Hehe, weren't you acting cool just now? If you want to leave, leave quickly. Song Ji ruthlessly struck down on Sabai. This caused Sabai to be very depressed. Originally he wanted to take a different route, but in the end, someone interfered halfway. The muscular men came back to their senses and shouted angrily, You two little rabbits are tired of living. Brothers, attack. Kill them all. Song Ji snorted coldly, Kneel down. A formless power pressed the muscular men onto the ground. The few muscular men immediately revealed a frightened look. Sabai snorted coldly, Kneel down. Plop. The muscular men all kneeled down. Kneel down. Call me Grandpa. Song Ji shouted gravely. If you want to compete, then come. As expected, the muscular men kneeled down again and shouted out loudly, Grandpa, Grandpa, Sabai was disdainful. Let's compete then. Kneel down and bark like a dog. The muscular men could be seen kneeling down again. Woof woof woof, kneel down. Call me Grandpa. Kneel down. Bark like a dog. Kneel down. Call me Grandpa. Kneel down. Bark like a dog. Who could understand the bitterness in the muscular men's hearts? Gradually, blood flowed out from the corner of their mouths. Under such huge pressure, how could ordinary people continue to endure it? The few muscular men spurted out blood one after another and died with their eyes wide open. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi let out a long, "Oh, you two played him to death." Song Ji and Sa Bai didn't expect that the other party would die just like that, and they were slightly startled. "Big Sister Qing, let's quickly call the police, a murder case happened here." Yi Zizi hurriedly shouted. "That's right, facing this kind of evil thing, we have to resolutely stop it, and I also have to be a witness." "That Zizi also has to be a witness, lock them up and send them to jail?" Song Ji and Sa Bai were both speechless. "Didn't I do all of this to save you too?" "Young miss, is this a misunderstanding? I am also doing all of this to save you too." Song Ji persuaded with kind words, "It wouldn't be good if I really call the police." That's right, I am just a passerby." Sa Bai forced a smile. Yi Zizi snorted, "You two are murderers, you two have to pay with your lives. Little friend, don't go too far. Otherwise." Sa Bai was also angry. "I saved you two out of kindness, and yet you two actually want to be a witness." Song Ji said in a low voice, "Brother, seems like they are determined to call the police. Let's just take one each. I want the small one and leave the big one for you." Sa Bai remained silent for a while. "In any case, I am a person who got the 3 Merit Student Award. How can I agree to such a shameless question?" "All right, we will exchange again tomorrow." Song Ji patted onto Sa Bai's shoulder. "Brother, you sure are shameless enough." Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi instantly forced the 5 good young men to become criminals. "I am sincerely convinced." "What are you two doing? Don't come over, if not, I am going to scream." Qing Yutong hugged onto Yi Zizi and cried out in surprise. With a smile on their faces, Song Ji and Sa Bai said, "Go ahead and scream, even if you scream until your throat breaks, no one will save you too." Save me, Qing Yutong symbolically shouted out twice, and Yi Zizi licked the corner of her mouth. "These two are much more delicious than those people." Suddenly, the air was pervaded with the smell of blood, and this wasn't an ordinary smell of blood, it was very thick, and even Yi Zizi became interested. Song Ji and Sa Bai's expression changed, and without thinking much, they immediately ran. "Kneel down." The faint words were like 2 palms that pressed Song Ji and Sa Bai onto the ground, and a hole was smashed out from the cement floor. A lump of black fog could be seen suddenly appearing in the air, and the black fog gradually formed into a humanoid shape, and the humanoid shape became a middle-aged man who wore a suit. Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi were both stupefied. What is this situation? Who are you? To actually dare to spoil my business?" Sa Bai shouted out angrily. The middle-aged man could be seen stretching out his right arm, and his entire right arm began squirming just like a worm. In an instant, his entire right arm turned into a terrifying monster, and with a single bite, the middle-aged man swallowed Sa Bai whole. You, just who are you?" Song Ji was already scared to the point that he peed in his pants. Looking at the rows of sharp teeth and the mucus that was dripping down, the middle-aged man simply looked like an alien. Chapter 258. Yi Zizi's pair of scarlet eyes were about to pop out. "Originally, I only came out to do some bad things for fun, but I actually met with so many twists and turns, and even the 7 great sins have appeared. This monster is actually exactly the same as the gluttonous monster. So exciting, so fun, so exciting." After that, the middle-aged man looked towards Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi with cold eyes. "Ha!" Qing Yutong and Yi Zizi clenched their small fists and pointed towards the middle-aged man, seemingly wanting to fight against this gluttony head-on. 1 second later, while holding hands, the two turned around and ran, and while running they shouted, we can't win, we can't win." Yi Zizi was actually very excited. She was wondering who was more powerful between gluttony and Wei Chang. "I'm really looking forward to it. I wonder if they have his honor or not. If I tell his honor about this matter, his honor will definitely be very excited." "Zizi, why did you run away? That person seems to be very powerful." Qing Yutong asked curiously. This was not Yi Zizi's personality. Right now, Qing Yutong still didn't know which organization her brother-in-law was from, which was why she was puzzled. Sister Qing, I am also one of the 7 deadly sins. Yi Zizi pointed at herself and smiled. Qing Yutong cried out in surprise. Then she thought for a moment and her mouth formed an O shape. Then brother-in-law is also one of the 7 deadly sins? Wrong, wrong, wrong. Big cousin is not one of the 7 deadly sins. He is the source of the 7 deadly sins. This caused Qing Yutong to be stupefied. I never would have thought that brother-in-law would be so formidable. Then Zizi, what is your zodiac sign? I'm awesome. Zizi, are you lazy? Qing Yutong guessed. Zizi's small face collapsed. Is it that obvious? Qing Yutong had never seen someone who was lazier than Qing Yutong. Who is that Ligu? Qing Yutong continued to ask. Zizi placed both of her hands behind her head and laughed tenderly. Ligu, a lecherous bone dragon. *CK, what about Uncle Wei? Qing Yutong asked. You're talking about gluttonous monsters. He's gluttonous. He eats more than me. Zizi let out a deep sigh. The gluttonous monster wouldn't even let the dead go. At least she was only sucking the living. Qing Yutong felt that something was definitely wrong and she hurriedly asked, then who was that person just now? That's why it's fun. Someone is using big cousin's name to swindle people. Feels so exciting and fun. Qing Yutong's eyes lit up. No wonder he pulled me and ran away just now, so it turns out that he has some wicked ideas again. Seeing the 2 women running away, the middle-aged man was about to chase after them when a voice rang out in his ears. Gluttony. Come quickly. The middle-aged man paused for a moment before stepping into the black vortex again. 7 people stood on top of a valley in the southeast. Suddenly, a black whirlpool appeared, and the middle-aged man from earlier walked out of the whirlpool and shouted out to a tall and big man, Your Honor. At first glance, it was a shocking sight. This person was wearing a strange robe that was inlaid with all kinds of patterns, and under the robe was a skeleton. Red dots flashed in his eye sockets, and there was a fist-sized red glow on his chest. He crossed his hands inside his robe and stared at the building below. Why are you late? His Honor's words carried an ice-cold aura, seemingly without a trace of emotion. Your Honor, please forgive me. Gluttony knelt in midair and lowered that proud head of his. His Honor said faintly, if there is a next time, I will definitely punish you. Thank you, Your Honor. After finished speaking, Gluttony stood back into the group. All of the 7 deadly sins looked very strange. Among them, there was a little lowly that looked exactly like Zizi, and there was also a refined man who was wearing glasses. Greed, who are those people below? His Honor asked gravely. The refined man who was wearing glasses could be seen walking out slowly and replied respectfully, Your Honor, those people below are one of the powers in the south, Dry Zen sect. Let's start from them then. His Honor said calmly. The 7 people behind His Honor replied respectfully, yes. Late at night, Dry Zen sect was very quiet, and only the patrolling disciples were walking within the sect. However, those disciples weren't very vigilant, and they were yawning continuously, to the point where they didn't even notice that 7 figures had appeared not far away from them. Cough, cough, cough. Greed coughed lightly and rubbed his eyes. At this moment, only then did the patrolling disciples react and cried out in surprise, Who are you all? We are here to save you all. Greed said lightly. When this strange melody entered their ears, the expressions of the disciples gradually loosened up. Thank you, Lord, for saving our lives. Go on, kill your companions. Greed said faintly. Yes, Lord. The disciples appeared to be very normal, and very quickly screams of pain rang out within the quiet Dry Zen sect. Every single one of the 7 deadly sins had an infatuated look on their faces, as if they were listening to the most beautiful melody in the world. The 7 of them instantly split up and began a one-sided massacre. As His Honor, he slowly descended into the sect, stepped onto the blood, and enjoyed the screams of pain coming from the humans. 5 minutes later, Dry Zen sect quieted down, and Gluttony could be seen carrying a person in his hand. The person was precisely Dry Zen sect master, Che Zhishuan. Right now, Che Zhishuan's face was pale white, both of his arms were torn off, and blood was flowing non-stop. Raising his head and looking at the person in front of him, a trace of astonishment flashed past Che Zhishuan's eyes. The person in front of him is actually a skeleton. Who are you? Why did you exterminate my sect? Che Zhishuan asked weakly. His Honor stretched out his skeletal hand and tapped onto Che Zhishuan's forehead, then said faintly, I merely like to kill people. Following that, Che Zhishuan's body turned into ashes and blended into the air. Your Honor, when are we going to look for the next one? The little loli bounced around and asked. His Honor stared at the night sky and said faintly, the people in this world are too weak, let's just wait here. Yes, Your Honor. The 7 of them shouted out in unison. That night, South Dry Zen sect was exterminated. However, a lot of people were killed in their dreams, and the methods used were extremely cruel. When the sun rose, Dry Zen sect looked brand new, just that the sect lacked the aura of human, and the aura of death was present. Meanwhile, on the second floor of Leisure Bar, Yihua said to Qinya, who had just woken up, I want to take a bath. Yihua, Qinya called out sweetly, acting coquettishly. Yihua laughed lightly, I will let you off this morning. That's more like it. After finished speaking, Qinya leaned over and gave Yihua a kiss that would cause others to be envious of her. This made Yihua's scalp go numb. What do you want to eat? Qinya tidied up Yihua's hair and asked tenderly. I want to eat the Xilong Bao from that restaurant in the west of the city. Yihua thought for a bit. I haven't eaten Xilong Bao for a long time, I'm already tired of eating jianbing. Qinya nodded her head. Let's all eat Xilong Bao today then. Remember to buy some kelp soup and ask for more, that restaurant's boss is very stingy. Yihua instructed. Qinya laughed helplessly. The more she interacts with Yihua, the more she feels that Yihua is adorable. Chapter 259. Not long after Qinya walked out of the door, Donghuang Baiji pushed open the door and entered. Donghuang Baiji seemed to be very shy, as if she didn't know where to put her hands and feet. What are you standing there for? Hurry up and give me a kiss, don't you understand this? Yihua said. To even need me to teach you this kind of morning kiss, you really don't know how to behave. Do I have to do this? Donghuang Baiji asked with a red face. I don't think I have ever taken the initiative to kiss a man, right? I feel so nervous. Yihua coughed lightly. This is a family rule. Baiji, you are new here, so you definitely don't understand. Donghuang Li could be seen rushing over and kissed onto her father's cheek. Daddy, good morning. Aren't you going to sleep a bit more? Yihua asked lightly. I'm not going to sleep, Ali will take care of Daddy. You are truly Daddy's good daughter. Yihua was very gratified. My daughter is so young, yet she is already so sensible. Yihua turned his head and looked towards Donghuang Baiji, who was blushing. What are you standing there foolishly for? Look at our daughter. Donghuang Baiji bit onto her lips, then mimicked her daughter and kissed onto Yihua's cheek. Mommy, no, you have to kiss Daddy's mouth. Donghuang Li reminded. You are truly Daddy's good daughter. Donghuang Baiji's face became even redder as she pinched onto her daughter's cheek. Ali, turn your head around, you are not allowed to look. Oh, Donghuang Li turned around, but she immediately turned her head around. Donghuang Baiji took the initiative to kiss onto Yihua's soft lips. Yihua felt extremely good, and he even sucked onto Donghuang Baiji's soft tongue. Donghuang Li covered her eyes and shouted, Ali's goosebumps are coming out. Donghuang Baiji immediately stood up and punched onto Yihua's face. How can you act like a daddy in front of your daughter? That's all for today, wake up. Yihua said like a big boss. Donghuang Baiji helped Yihua get up with a red face, and Donghuang Li even helped her father wear slippers. After Qinya finished washing up, Qinya came back with the packed breakfast and conveniently woke up Qin Yutong and Yi Zizi, who were sleeping. The whole family sat together and enjoyed the delicious breakfast, and Qin Yutong and Yi Zizi were yawning endlessly, and they had the appearance of 2 babies who had not woken up yet. Look at Ali, then look at the 2 of you. Yihua couldn't help but speak out and lecture the 2 of them. As for Qinya and Donghuang Baiji, they sat on the 2 sides and took care of Yihua. They were feeding Yihua and wiping Yihua's mouth. Daddy, don't say that to Aunt Qing and Big Sister Yi, because Ali will become arrogant. Donghuang Li said while drinking the kelp soup. Qinya and Donghuang Baiji both laughed. Meanwhile, Qin Yutong and Yi Zizi took a glare at Donghuang Li, seemingly saying, You little traitor, we won't bring you along to play with us anymore. Yi Zizi, school will be starting in a few days, you go and prepare. Yihua said faintly. Upon hearing that she was going to school, Yi Zizi felt a splitting headache. Eldest cousin, can I not go? No. Yi Zizi immediately became impotent. She looked as if she was about to die. When the time comes, I might as well suck in all the teachers in the school, and then it'll be a holiday. After talking about Yi Zizi's matter, Yi Hua began talking about something else. Leisure bar has been closed for a while, even though it will still be open for business tonight. I reckon that the business won't be that good. Yutong, go on stage and sing a few lines. Qing Yutong spurted out the soup that she was drinking. Brother-in-law, my big sister is so rich, does she still need to use me to earn money? Qing Yutong said with a sullen face. My butt is already slapped, yet I still have to help brother-in-law earn money. Yi Hua took a glare at his sister-in-law. I am a man. Why would I use your big sister's money? Didn't I have a good time using your big sister's money in the past? Qing Yutong muttered. What are you talking about? Yi Hua's gaze turned cold. Your butt is itching again, right? Do you need brother-in-law to help you treat it? Qing Yutong immediately smiled. It's nothing, Yutong will listen to brother-in-law's arrangements. Daddy, then what is Ali going to do? Ali, come and help Daddy wipe the table and mop the floor. Dong Huangli raised her small hand and answered. Only when he saw his daughter's adorable look, Yi Hua revealed out a trace of a smile. Ali will watch cartoons in the morning, learn Daddy's techniques in the afternoon, and do whatever you want at night. Hearing such an arrangement, Dong Huang Baiji did not object to it. With a smile on her face, she looked at her daughter. This family is finally together. This taste of happiness is truly good. That's true, Daddy is the best. Qingya asked curiously, what about me, what am I going to do? Yi Hua snorted. Is there even a need to ask? The two of you are going to protect me 24/7, the kind that will never leave my side. The two beauties shook their heads with a smile and did not reject Yi Hua's offer. After all, their hearts were captured by this man. Daddy, your words of love are making Ali's hair stand on end. Dong Huangli touched onto her arm. Brother-in-law's mouth is getting sweeter and sweeter. Qing Yutong immediately teased. Yi Zizi let out a sigh. Thinking about what happened last night, her eyes immediately shone, and she hurriedly contacted His Honor. Your Honor, Zizi has an important matter to report. Hearing Yi Zizi's secret report, Yi Hua replied faintly, Zizi, there is no room for discussion regarding the matter of going to school. Go to school obediently and do not cause any trouble. Your Honor, Zizi is not talking about this matter. Then what is it? Yi Zizi told Yi Hua about what happened last night. Yi Hua slightly wrinkled his brows. There is actually such a thing? Someone is impersonating Wei Chang? No, not impersonating, rather, it is very similar. This is a bit interesting. Seeing that Yi Hua wrinkled his brows, Qingya asked with concern, Yi Hua, what's wrong? Are you feeling unwell? I'm fine, I just feel like taking a bath. Right now, Qingya and Donghuang Baiji still did not know that Yi Hua's intention was to take advantage of them. Your Honor, how about handing this matter over to Zizi to investigate? Zizi help Your Honor get rid of them? Yi Hua pondered for a moment. No need, I want to see what he wants to do. You continue to go to school obediently, and without my order, you are not allowed to act on your own. Your Honor, be obedient. Yi Zizi could only resign to her fate. If I knew that this would happen, I would have sucked that knockoff's food yesterday night. Baiji pushed me to take a bath. Yi Hua said faintly. Donghuang Baiji stood up, then with a red face, pushed Yi Hua into the bedroom. As for Qingya, she can rest today, and the two of them will take turns to take care of Yi Hua. Just like Qingya, Donghuang Baiji carried Yi Hua into the bathtub, and her face looked as if it was about to drip blood. Baiji, this isn't like you. When you just came to school, you even tried to make a move on me. Yi Hua began laying the foundation for himself again. It would be a waste if I don't go and write a novel. Donghuang Baiji wiped Yi Hua's body, and when she saw that familiar thing, her face became even redder. I didn't do it on purpose. That you're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.